just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. Do not forget to like and subscribe. Head over to Spotify, leave us a positive review, hit that follow button. Head over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment. It has been helping us so much, guys. Seriously, thank you so much. It's been so good. It takes 2 seconds and it really pushes the show into the algorithm, so we really appreciate it. Timmy, how you going, mate?
Good, mate. Pretty chilled out weekend, so nice and fresh today for this one.
Yep.
I'll need to be with Roo out of action. But, the Raiders' bid for an unbeaten season's come to an end, but that's all right. We small hiccup in what should be an otherwise big season.
Hammy, mate, how was your weekend?
Very good. Ricky looked pretty relaxed with it, though.
Yeah, he took it well.
Pretty happy with it. That's good. Inflatable baseball bats back out at training this week. No, my weekend was fantastic. Kempy, how about those Tigers? Top 4. I told you.
Who would have thought, eh?
Yeah. Well, I said top 16, but I'll take top 4.
Okay, fair enough.
Good.
Close enough.
Looking good. That was we'll get to it, but a very not stereotypical Tigers performance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Coming from behind, finished the game well. It was a nice, easy watch. Yep.
Matty, how about you, mate? How you going?
Yeah, much like Timmy, South's undefeated streak coming to an end. Two huge wins against two big informed clubs. So I was very shocked. I was very shocked when we went down to the Sharks and was down about 24-0 after about 20 minutes. But that was expected. The Sharks are hot. Souths are decimated. Outside of that, yeah, another good weekend of footy.
Great weekend. Alrighty, do not forget, let's get into it. But before we do, brought to you by the Bloke Club. At the moment, the Bloke Club has 40% off Musashi products, 40% off DMP shirts, 20% off Grumpy Coffee, 15% off Footy Bro trainers, and if you join the Bloke Club, you go in the draw to win a Mazda BT50. It is totally free. There are no strings attached. It is free. Matter of fact, the first month, we're giving away $2,000 cash, and then every single month, there are going to be prizes all the time, and it's always free. The Mazda BT50, that's happening in 4 months. Anyone can join, all of your friends, whatever. Once you get that Mazda BT50, if you do win it, you can do whatever you want with it. Whatever you want with it. And that is all thanks to Aspley Mazda, thanks to Luke Camilleri. If you actually go to LCD_01, give him a follow or a message. If you want a car, he is the bloke to speak to. He takes care of guys like Alex, Glenn, Opatai, myself. He took care of my car, my wife's car. He's the best in the business. Even if you're interstate, he can help you. Oh, and don't forget, Aspley Mazda currently has a huge sale going. The biggest sale event of the year from all cars are priced to clear. 4 massive deals on top of the already reduced pricing. If you can see it, you can buy it. Everything must go. New, used, company cars, demos, all must go. That's at Aspley Mazda. Obviously, Luke Camilleri, he's the guy that you need to speak to if you want to get some great discounts. LCD_01. Give them a follow. They've currently extended their biggest sale of the year, so get in this week to make sure to take advantage of it. A massive thank you to Luke. So join the Bloke Club, and we're just getting started, guys. We're just getting started. Some of the stuff we've got planned for the Bloke Club, it's going to be huge. As I said, prizes every single month. So this month it's $2,000. It'll probably be at least $2,000 next month, with the 4th month being the Mazda BT50. Even the months after that, there'll always be prizes, and it's totally free to join. Alrighty. Oh, also, really, really stoked to announce we have a new segment coming soon. We've been working on this for quite a while. It was actually when we came back to at the start of this year, we all sat down and said, how can we kind of like improve the show? What's our weaknesses? What's our strengths? And the segment coming, what I like about it is when a big story breaks, one of our biggest weaknesses is we don't have... We're always just speculating. We're always just sitting there going, maybe it's this or maybe this. Now when big stories break with this segment, we're going to have whoever knows the most about that story, they'll be joining us on the show for that segment, and then we can have a really in-depth discussion about whatever that story is. So very, very excited about that segment. It's coming soon, and we've been trying to put this together for quite a while now, and it's finally landed. So I can't wait for that to arrive very soon. But let's get straight into it, Charlie. Let's face a bit of music brought to you by our friends over at Sportsbet. Give us a follow on the feed. Had a huge weekend on the feed.
What'd you have?
As in followers-wise?
Oh, no, just betting-wise.
Not so good.
Okay.
Not so good. Not so good. But followers-wise, really good. Really
nice.
good. Yeah.
I had a great week. I had the Tigers on there.
Yep.
I had my Thursday threesome got up as well.
Your Thursday threesome got up?
Thursday threesome. Always good to get the Thursday
That was the only.
threesome up.
Wasn't the only thing that was up on Thursday then.
So I had the Storm whoever won the AFL game, the Hawks, and the Socceroos. So that was my Thursday threesome.
Okay.
Little cross-code threesome.
Yeah, nice. I like that.
But this, I just want to give a shout-out to a bloke on the feed. This is for last weekend.
Okay.
Obviously you're the king of the feed, but there's lots of everyday punters.
Well, not anymore. I'm not the king in the foot.
Well, I know, there's guys like Snave and Was It Ting that are, everyday punters that are coming up and becoming their own kings. Of
The real
feed.
kings.
Now, this guy here, Noddy72, he had this on the Bulldogs-Titans game last week. He had the Dogs 13+, Burton to score 6 points, Jaden Campbell to score 4 points, Dogs to win the race to 30, Canterbury to score over 12.5 in the first half, Montoya first, second or third try scorer, Tracy anytime, Khan Pereira anytime, and Tino anytime. $526 that was paying last Sunday. So well done to Noddy72.
Holy.
And to the punters that followed him on the feed as well. That's how you do it.
Oh, man, the feed. I tell you, like, the amount of copied bets now is just, it's like such a cool, it's really snowballing.
Yes.
Like the actual feature started off small, but now, like, the amount of copies, like, I think I nearly got 1,000 copies on one bet in the weekend.
Yeah.
Like, just crazy.
It's
so
good
cool.
stuff. It's good stuff. So well done. Keep up the good work, all the punters on the feed. All right, so this week, face the music. Let's get into it. Storm 30 defeat the Panthers 24. Points for all. To kick off round 3. Points for all. Denon was very brave. He took the Storm head-to-head for a whopping $1.33 to get off the mark.
Thank you.
Myself, Timmy and Roo had the Panthers plus 8.5 for $1.90. And Matty, he had the Storm 1-12 for $2.85. So well done, Matty, being nice and specific there. Warriors 14 defeat Chook 6. Timmy, you had the Wars head-to-head for $1.86. Denon and Roo, you had the Wars 1-12 for $3.05.
Ooh.
So decent start.
Thanks
Denon.
for coming.
Broncos 26 defeat Cowboys 16. Now this one, not as pretty reading for the show. Only one of us got points. That was Denon, who had the Cowboys plus 16.5. Everyone else had 13 plus was their selection, chasing a bit of value there. Sharks 27 defeat South 12. Myself and Roo had the Sharkies 13 plus for $1.67. An important field goal in the 79th minute for Timmy. You had the Sharkies minus 14.5. They win by 15. Well done.
Yes.
And well done to Braden Trindle. So
Thank you, Tricky.
you got the most points there. Dolphins 18 defeated by Tigers 30.
What did I have there? Just Sharks 1-12 or something?
Sharkies 1-12.
Yeah.
Yep. Which did not hit. Dolphins 18 defeated by Tigers 30. Matty had the Tigers head-to-head at $1.94. I got greedy. I went Tigers 13 plus. Missed out by a point.
Oh, my God.
Happy should have taken that field goal instead of scoring that drive. That would have been $4.10, but it was wrong. Titans against the Knights. Titans 26 defeat Knights 6. We all took the Knights in that game.
Jesus.
Except Roo, but he only took the Titans 1-12. So no points.
Oh, no.
That sucks. Because that's such a great tip.
They were favourites.
Yeah, I know, but we all went Knights. I think it's a great tip, but he doesn't get anything for it. That
He chased the value, and
that sucks.
He paid the price. This next game, Eels 8 defeated by Dogs 16, 8-point margin. Well done to Roo, Timmy, Matty, and myself, who nailed it to the exact point. Dogs minus 7.5. We all get a point there. Hard times for Denon, who took the Doggies 13 plus. Who gets diddly squat. Last game, Manly 40 defeat Milk 12. We all went chasing value. Everyone backed the Raiders in some way, shape or form, except Timmy, who hates his own club, and took Manly minus 4.5. Well done on getting the points, but I don't know how you sleep at night.
Yeah.
Where was the criticism for Kempy taking the cows with the line?
Wow,
Double standards, mate. Jeez.
Well,
Am I a dog? Yes, but we both are.
Yeah, that's true. You're a dog as well, Kempy. All right, so round 3 results. Guru led the way, $8.46. Timmy, $7.34. Matty, $6.63. Denon, $6.28. Myself, $5.41. Season overall, Matty out in front. 28.51. Myself, 24.92. Roo, 21.92. Timmy, 20.59. Denon, 20.19.
Oh, well, I just got to get used to this fucking new system. It's throwing me all off. I've gone from first to fucking last. Oh, well. This is bullshit! Nah. Alrighty. That's Face the Music. That's it. There we go. Face the Music. I tell you what, it is good, though, because was he 26?
He's 28.
28. So
$8
one big win could swing. Could swing
change very quickly.
Very, very
Well,
quickly.
I got Raiders 13 plus in round one. And that was like 560 or something. So that's like literally that
That's
1-1
push
was
you out
the difference.
front. That's crazy. That's
the
crazy.
beauty of the new format. You know, you can come from anywhere to win this thing.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go. Alrighty, that's Face the Music brought to you by our friends over at Sportsbet. Alrighty, it is time for the hungriest player. The hungriest player. Now, don't ever say this is in a democracy. We had a vote in the text messages. The boys voted for Garrick. I voted for Haas. So that means that Garrick is our hungriest player. It is a democracy. It has been proven. No more. I don't want to get shit anymore. For any hungry player I select, I always cop the brunt of it whenever I get the comment section. The democracy has proven to be the way forward as a group. Garrick is the hungriest player. What an incredible performance by Garrick, scoring 4 tries. What was it, 26 points or something like that? 28 points, close to the club record that he'd already set himself. Also, welcomed his first baby into the world, which is an incredible. That's even a bigger achievement. Congratulations to Garrick, and he really just showed that. You know, I think a lot of us have him on the wing as his best position in regards to when he's playing for Manly. However, his attack at centre has always been outstanding, and I think he proved that on the weekend. His attack was phenomenal.
Well, he's shown time and time again like what a versatile footballer he is because, again, I think we're all in consensus that we think wing is his best spot, but he's proven a gun at fullback as well when he's had to stand in there for Tommy Turbo. At centre, he comes out and puts in a performance like this, 4 tries. And as you said, to do it the day after having his first child, a little girl, I think it might have been, so exciting for Ruben Garrick. Definitely one of the underrated good guys of the game, probably because he's on a team with the Trebojevic brothers who are like the pin-up boys for like good human beings. But like just some of his efforts in this one, the try he scored from dummy half, there was about 4 Raiders bodies on him and he just out-muscled him to get the ball down there. There was that one. And then to sum it up, like he had 4 tries, the game was over and done with, and 5 minutes to go, he came from behind and ran down Hudson Young, who was on a tear away as well, to save a try there, enforce an error. It was an 80-minute performance from him, and I think well-deserved.
Well-deserved. And I think as well with Garrick, we, as fans of the game, and like it's all part of the game, we love it. We get caught up in the stars from each team. Like, who is the main guy? Let's talk about him all the time. But guys like Garrick are arguably just as important to squads as guys like Tom Trebojevic or, guys like, Reece Walsh or whatever. I know Walsh is not playing that well at the moment, but, he's the star of the squad, or Scott Drinkwater up at the Cowboys, or Nathan Cleary at the Panthers. And the reason why I say that is because, like, it's all comparable to what they're being paid. And you look at Ruben Garrick, and he wouldn't be on a massive wicket, but the intangible things he brings to a club, like you can build clubs around him, you can build squads around him. And what I mean by that is that, like, if you're a coach and you're trying to, like, set a standard, guys like Garrick are the ones that set that standard for you. Like, you can sit there and scream and shout and tell the boys, you need to do this and you need to do that. Like, as much as we pretend to, like, oh yeah, every single young player should just do what the coach says, it's just not how the world works. You need players to set standards, and Garrick is like the club man that sets standards like that. And
the way I look at these blokes, Kemp, not necessarily the superstars of the team, especially when you're in a side with, Olaquatu, John Trbojevic, Daly Cherry Evans, it's you kind of allude to it there, but a coach's dream. Ruben Garrick there, who I think wouldn't look out of place in any rep squad. If he played for Australia, the Blues, I think he goes in there and he does a fantastic job. Maybe a touch below that level just because of the quality of footballers that are out there, but he could definitely do it. So they've got what's near enough a rep level footballer, I think should be, Anthony Seibold has, that if anything happens to the fullback, to the wingers, centre on either edge, he's got Garrick, who can not just move and play these positions, but be high quality at all of them. It's a coach's dream. Yeah, and then a goal kicker as well. And a goal kicker. You actually... Goal kickers don't get enough credit for how important it is to go up by 6 rather than 4. Like, how many... We've all been there when our team has scored more tries, but they end up losing the match because the goal kicking is not great. Whereas Garrick has been a bloody good goal kicker for however many years now. 5, 6 years now he's been in the NRL? Yeah. And so, like, it's more things a coach is going to be stoked about having in his side because, like, especially with today's game. What do you got there, Matty?
This is his 7th full year.
7th full year. And so, like, as a coach... let's say you ran out with the outside backs that all could only play that specific position. You'd be stressing out because you'd be like, one thing goes wrong, I'm stuffed. You walk out with a Garrick in your side. Imagine if you had 5 Garricks, you'd be stoked because they can just cover anywhere. So he's a coach's dream. He's a club's dream. When there were whispers that he might be going somewhere else, I was like, nah, he's a Manly boy through and through. What do you reckon, Hammy?
Yeah, extra degree of difficulty for having the kid the night before the game.
Yeah.
That's why I gave it to him over Haas for clarity, but I thought he was excellent. Timely performance for him as well, because they are stacked, as you've just mentioned. Tommy Talau not in the side at the moment, so there's been a little bit of chatter around, how do you fit them all in? And there's a bit of chat that he might be the guy that potentially misses out. So really timely performance. He was, incredible yesterday. And the goal kicking, as you mentioned, the radar had been a little bit off until this point of the year, I think. But yes, when you're kicking well, you're playing well. Seems to be the case with Ruben. 6 from 7. I thought he was outstanding. But that was a hell of a performance. And a win that they needed to have. They were pretty disappointing the week before, and the Raiders had been flying. So he certainly led the way. I thought he was great.
So use code Garrick. That is GARRICK for most likely free.
$7 off Asian just came through.
$7 off Asian food.
Yep.
$7 off Asian food. Use code Garrick, GARRICK. You get $7 off Asian food. As always, a massive thank you to Menulog. Been a partner with us for a few years now. We really do appreciate it. So get around Menulog because they've been supporting us, guys. They're the ones that help this show grow. They're the one that all this content that you get, we wouldn't be able to do it with partners like Sportsbet, with partners like Menulog. So make sure to give them a massive thank you by using code Garrick. Alrighty, it's time for the Grumpy Team of the Week. Make sure to grab your Grumpy coffee. We've got some cool, very, very cool content coming up for Grumpy. You do not want to miss it. I'm drinking my beautiful the pods this morning, everyday pods. Absolutely beautiful. We're all actually got our pods here ready to go. Pod machine just there for a coffee. Grab Grumpy Coffee at grumpycoffee.com.au. We've got everyday blend. We've got very grumpy blend. We've got whole bean. We've got ground. We've got pods. We've got it all. It's beautiful, guys. You will not be disappointed. Trust me. We haven't received a single message of people saying that they don't like our coffee. That's how high quality it is. Alrighty.
Have you ever shown people these boxes? It looks like a grumpy guy.
Yeah. So the reason why we designed it is so that when you do actually open it, so you close that front bit. Yeah, so there's a mouth, and then when you do open it, boom, it looks like a grumpy man opening his mouth.
Is that your genius work there, mate?
That was my genius work there. Okay, at fullback, what a bounce back. He needed it because there's a bit of pressure building, Chance Nickel-Klukstad killed it at fullback for the Warriors. On the wings, Mulatalo. Wow, what a game from him. At centre, Ito. At 4, Garrick. At 5, Zach Climax. Now, we moved Zach Climax to the wing because he was like a roaming centre. He was doing kick returns from the wing. We couldn't leave him out, so Zach Climax is on the wing.
Campy, that low match playing between wing and centre and just giving us a bit of flexibility with our team of the week, that came in handy this week because
so hard.
A lot of stacked centres. So
Lauer was great.
Good. Yeah.
There was some, who else was it?
Purdue from Cowboys was good too.
Taruva on the wing as well.
Toto as usual.
Toto as usual. Yeah. So, it gave us a lot of flexibility. So, thanks for that, Zach Climax. At 6, Tricky Trindle. Him and Hines, absolutely outstanding on the weekend. Yep. But we just gave 6 to Trindle. There was a bit of chatter about could we put Hines at 6 because he was playing there at stages, but we put Trindle at 6. 2 40-20s. Jeez Louise. At 7, Reynolds. Wow, what a performance.
Unbelievable.
At 8, Haas. Holy. Let me just read Haas's stats out for you, just whilst we're here, because we just no one's doing this. No one's doing this.
It's the attacking and the defensive stats together that's mind-blowing.
It's
usually one or the other. But
so we got 1 try, 214 metres, 72 post-contact, 9 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, 1 line break assist, and this is the kicker, 5 offloads and 36 tackles. You're not going to see a stat line like that essentially ever. It is absolutely unbelievable what Haas is doing at the moment.
Until Haas does it next week.
Yeah, exactly. At number 9, Api Coruscant. Wow, he was good on the weekend. At 10, Bole from the Tigers. At 11, Olakau'atu. 12, we had Jacob Preston from the Bulldogs. I thought some of his kick chases were absolutely outstanding. At 13, we had Tino. At 14, we had Fermor. At 15, we had Adam Fanua-Blake. 16 Twal and 17 Bullymore. That is our Grumpy Team of the Week. Alrighty, let's get into it, shall we? All right, we'll just do it here. Okay, so who is our Kayo can't miss player? So look, I couldn't help it, boys. Being a one-eyed Broncos fan, I said, no, I'm going to get him in somewhere. You might have snuck him in for Hungriest player, But
Vanilla
I'm
Polo.
going to... Our KO can't miss player is Payne Haas. He is our KO can't miss player, and truly, it's getting to the point where he's a player that you genuinely can't miss watching him play. He's the kind of player that, you know, young fans or any fans of any age would travel down to Suncorp just to be able to see Payne Haas play once. That's the kind of stuff he's doing at the moment. As I said, on the weekend, 1 try, 214 metres, 72 post contact, 9 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, 1 line break assist, 5 offloads, 36 tackles. So he is our KO can't miss player. And for KO, round 4 of the regular season is upon us. You can watch every game live in 4K with no ad breaks during play on KO Sports. Roosters versus the Titans Friday 6 p.m. exclusive to Fox League. Super Saturday has 3 games back to back, all exclusive to Fox League. Dragons v Storm 3 p.m. Cowboys v Raiders 5:30 p.m. Sharks v Bulldogs, which will be an absolute banger at 7:35 p.m. West Tigers v Warriors Sunday 6:15 p.m. exclusive to Fox League. Don't miss all of the action and get on board today. KO, you can't miss it. But yeah, like Payne Haas, what I love about Payne Haas's performance on the weekend and what he's been doing so far this year is that Michael Maguire has arrived at the club and he has challenged Payne Haas. Like, how easy would it be for a coach to come to a club and you almost look at Payne Haas and go, he's the last person I need to challenge. I need to get all these other guys up on his level. Because even when the Broncos have struggled, Payne Haas has always been good. And yet Michael Maguire's gone in there and said, I actually think you can be better than you are. And the fact that he has added, I mean, this offload, he's always had an offload, but I think he's up at like 12, 13 offloads for the year 16. So far. 16 offloads so far this year, which is crazy to think that he's adding that on top of everything he's doing. This is the best he's ever played, in my opinion. He is playing that well. It's scary to think that he can continue to, like, I think he's like 25, 26 now. So he's still got plenty more years left in him to grow as a player. He has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, look, the obvious one there is that he's looking as fit as he ever has in his life and healthy and just like absolutely destructive. He looks hungry. But it's the one you touched on, Kevin. It's the offloads, and it's just like, thank God a coach has given him back this license to offload. It's like, why shackle one of the best attacking assets in the game in Payne Haas's offload in this side that thrives off this second phase footy with Reece Walsh and Ben Hunt and all these great attacking players? And 16 offloads in 3 games. Compare that to last year. He had 23 offloads in his 14 games for the season. You go back to the year that they made the grand final. Granted, it was in 23 games, but he had 50 offloads that year. Before that, 21, 10. If Payne Haas wants to offload, he'll do it. He busts tackles and he stands in tackles enough that if he wants to, just give it to him. Like, he's also a smart enough footballer that, like, there are some footballers that you go, all right, mate, you've got a license to offload, get some second phase, and they start throwing them willy-nilly out the back and over their head and it hits the deck. Payne Haas is a very smart footballer. He knows when is the time to offload, and for him, it's pretty often. So I'm just so glad that Madge has gone, mate, let's embrace this weapon that you have. Get that second phase play going.
Yeah. And also he has the body shape for it. Like, how often do you see him with, like, people will be hanging onto his legs and he'll have that arm out free. And, he, you know, in the years where he's not offloaded as much, he'll just be like, oh, no, I'll bring it back in. Like, he is such an attacking weapon. I'd almost go as far to say to the rest of the team, if he does make an error, you owe it to him to defend it, because look what else he does for the side. And I think that the Broncos are doing that. What do you reckon about Payne Haas, mate? KO can't miss Payne Haas.
Unbelievable. He scored 1 try, nearly scored 2. It's almost like every time he got the ball on the weekend, they needed 3, usually 4 guys to kind of get him down. He's playing such good footy at the moment. I had this epiphany over the weekend. I thought when it comes to State of Origin time, I think I've got to have a crack at him for man of the match in every game, because if he produces like that's the sort of performance that the rest of the team can and did on the weekend get off the back of. Just having such a big impact on the game. And, you know, as we spoke about before, it's not just one area of the game, it's everything. His defence is like basically flawless as well. Only missed one tackle, I think, over the weekend, made 36. But he's just such a handful with the ball in hand. He's you can't miss him. Can't miss.
What's insane is, like, we're talking about a front rower here and we're just talking about the offloads. He still had 2 line breaks and 1 line break assist. Like, a front rower had 2 line breaks and 1 line break assist. Just that alone, like, let's say he ran for 150 metres, had, 30 tackles, 2 misses, and then he had 2 line breaks and 1 line break assist. We'd be ranting and raving about how great that is. That's lost in all the other stats that he's got. Oh, a try, 214 metres, 72 post contact, 9 tackle breaks. Like, it is just absolutely incredible.
Mate, he was a whisker from that opening try, and I can't remember the exact one. I have a feeling it was maybe an offload or something to Billy Walters, but he was also a whisker from having another try, like a try assist to his
Yep.
game as well. Like, he's scratching the surface of what he could do this year.
It's just crazy. That try where it ended up being a double movement would have been unbelievable. Just barnstorming through players.
It was also
So-
the last one in like the 12th minute. He was the one that jumped on the ball when the Cowboys kicked it in and saved the try.
Yeah,
Like, he just-
they did a kick, I think, back inside, and he was
Yeah.
right there. Yeah, actually got them a note. That's, again, if he just had these attacking stats, you would be sitting there. He's also the guy that's there whenever there's a loose ball, being kicked in his own end. Just incredible. So he is our Kayo can't miss player. And if you love sport, you can't miss it. It's all on Kayo. Make sure to grab your Kayo subscription today. Alrighty, it is time. Melbourne Storm defeat the Penrith Panthers 30-24. Very weird kind of ending to the match where you looked up, Bellamy looked pissed off, Ivan Cleary looked relatively proud for how his team played, and it's one of those like rivalries that is really starting to grow. Each time you head into a Melbourne Penrith game, you really start feeling the tension leading up to it, which is what the game needs. It's what the game needs, especially Penrith Panthers being as dominant as they are. Look, I'm a bit mixed here because I do think people are being a little bit too harsh on the Melbourne Storm, going, they should be super disappointed and they should have won by way more. I will say they lost, I'm pretty sure, 2 outside backs. So was it they lost their centre?
So that was Meaney and Anderson.
And I think the couple of tries went down their edge. Look, maybe if they had stayed playing, they would have still scored those points. But tries did go down their edge. So I don't think Melbourne Storm are getting enough credit for that. Again, I'm not saying that they lost the key players as much as Penrith Panthers did with Nathan Cleary. But so I'm not fully in the boat of just a totally disappointing performance. Because we've got to remember, this is Penrith Panthers. Like, yes, they did lose Cleary early, but it's still the Penrith Panthers. Like, we know how good they are. So I just think that Melbourne Storm will more be disappointed in the fact that they know they could have played better rather than, we were terrible kind of thing. And with the Penrith Panthers, as I said, we got to remember, it still is Penrith Panthers. We know they do amazing things. However, the fact that Isaiah Yeo, after Nathan Cleary gets injured, just goes, I'll go first receiver for the next couple of sets, setting up a try. Isaiah Yeo, we're talking about a guy that essentially comes off as a front rower in Origin. He plays front row in Origin, but he has the ball skills to play 7 if needed for the Penrith Panthers. Now, granted, eventually he took a step back and Cole stepped up and did his thing, but that's how good the Penrith Panthers are. So just a great game to watch. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, I think if you take the 2 competition points out of the equation and just look at it for what it was, the result, I think Ivan Cleary's happier than Craig Bellamy coming out of it because the Storm were going into it full strength, minus Will Warbrick. The Panthers were going into it with a lot of key injuries to their team, and then a few minutes into the game, they lose. There is the case of it's still the Penrith Panthers when they lose Cleary, but I do think it's a little bit different when it's the world's best player that they've lost, and then they've also lost Jerome Luai over the off-season as well. So in the past, if they lose Cleary during a match, it's all right, Jerome Luai steps up, who's also absolutely world-class. So I think it's different. But then you add into it the fact is, as you said, the Storm lost players as well during the game and throughout. Dewy conditions, or not dewy, wet conditions, I should say, down in Melbourne. That sort of impacted it being a little bit of a clunky game at times. But then you saw some real moments of class in these 2 teams. But yeah, the Storm will be happy they got the points. But Penrith, without essentially Cleary and other players going down to Melbourne, I think they'll take a hell of a lot out of it.
Heaps out of it. I mean, I reckon Ivan Cleary's even probably sitting there going, I feel like we're a bit further along. I know they had the terrible performance last week, but if you just say that was just a one-off, they were focused on Melbourne and they just had a bad game, I think Ivan's probably going up. I feel like we're a bit further along than we usually are at this time of the season.
You look at it, they lost Cleary very early on. They had no Dylan Edwards. Their backup fullback, Dane Laurie, was pulled out the day before the game, or a couple of days before the game. Tom Jenkins, a winger, ended up playing
He was bloody good.
Fullback. They lost, as I said, Luai over the off-season. So from the grand final last year, they essentially didn't have their 1, 6 and 7. So big performance.
Yep. What do you reckon, Hammy?
Yeah, I think you're spot on about how Ivan would be happy with how they kind of rallied, because when Nathan went down and for a period there, it looked like the Storm were just going to run away with the game. I thought Jack Cole, after maybe a little bit of a nervous kind of first 20 minutes, there was a penalty that he failed to find touch on, and there's a few nervous bits, but after that, I thought he looked really good. I thought he came, really came into the game a lot. Just goes to show the value as well of having a guy like Isaiah Yeo in your team, where, You know,
Right.
yes, he can be the guy giving you a lot of the go forward in the middle as well, but just him being able to kind of like take a little bit of the playmaking and then the organisation out there as well. I think that really helped Cole also.
Very close to being in our team of the week, Isaiah Yeo. It's just that Tino was crazy, but Isaiah Yeo was phenomenal.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought he was outstanding. And, it just goes to show the value of having someone like that where, you know, to be able to keep the game within 6 points of, the competition favourites when your most important player goes down. Yeah, I thought he was outstanding as well. But, yeah, they showed a lot of ticker, the Penrith Panthers. So I think that's certainly something they can, build on going forward. Obviously, you don't win comps in round 3, but, you know, you can certainly put a bit of a platform in there for them to continue building off.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll speak about. Let's speak about. Actually, you know what? I might pull an audible here, boys.
Go on.
Do we need to squeeze Isaiah Yeo onto at least the bench for our team of the week, grumpy team of the week?
I think there were some pretty big performances on there. My criticism with not Yo, but it's just like with some of these players like Yo, honestly, you could almost set and forget him on the bench or the 13. He's that good every single week. It needs to be an extra good performance from them.
Yep.
Like I know Hammy, when we were talking about it in the green room, mentioned Terrell May. I'm just like, honestly, 65 minutes for those runs and tackles for Terrell May. He's going to do that just about every game this season.
Not enough Tigers in there, to be honest. But
Not enough Tigers.
For the record, you fought for them. You fought very hard.
No, that's right. No, look, he was great, but I think it's still a very commendable performance from the Panthers and stuff. But
Isaiah Yeo, 80 minutes, 22 runs, 136 metres, 30 post contact, 2 offloads, 42 tackles, 0 misses.
Yeah, 136 metres is like par for the course for Isaiah.
A lot of stuff, though, not on the stat sheet. As I said, kind of the organisation and kind of
that's where I'm looking at going.
Team. Yeah.
But whereas we've got Tino, who 17 runs, 147 metres, 58 post contact, 1 tackle break, 2 offloads, 30 tackles, 5 misses. So, look, we'll leave it for now, but I don't know, maybe we got that wrong. Who knows?
In Tino's defence, second game back from a significant injury.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Season.
That's a good shout.
And an all-round great guy. Not that Isaiah Yeo's not, but and one hell of a mullet as well.
One hell of a mullet. But all jokes aside, we'll talk about Penrith Panthers first, then we'll get into Melbourne Storm. Just with the Penrith Panthers, like what they get so right is their ability to when it's a big game, they just play big game footy. And what I mean by that is like 55 minutes in, 28 from 29 sets from the Panthers. Like, that's big game footy. That's going, we are going to give ourselves every chance to just be in this game. It's not like, I would argue that Penrith Panthers are the only team that's done that in at least 4 or 5 big games that I can remember over the last couple of years. Like, I can't remember any other side that has routinely gone into a game, like a big game, 4 or 5 times in a row and completed over 90%. But like, they do that regularly. Like, we always go back to that Broncos grand final and we look at that last 20 minutes. But the key really was they had 1 error the whole game. That's what won them the game. And I look at this, 55 minutes in, and yes, were the Melbourne Storm, especially the first 20 or so minutes or 30 minutes, they're a much better footy side. But what can you do? What's in your control if on paper your side isn't as strong as the other? It is complete as high as possible to keep yourself in the game, and that's exactly what they did.
And that's it with like the Penrith Panthers, right? They said 88% for the game. They never get rattled because they play such high percentage footy. And, if everyone's on deck and, Cleary's there and all's going well, they might play a bit more expansively, use the ball a bit more, but they go, all right, if we've got injuries and new faces in there or things go wrong during the game, we're just going to pump through the middle, we'll kick early, we'll do all those sorts of things, and we'll back our defence. And look, I know they conceded 30 points and the defence at times wasn't the best, but they go, if we can complete at 85% plus, our defence will hold up, because when is it not in the last 4 or 5 years? And they're a good enough team, they have enough strike there that points will come. Granted, they lost a lot of attacking strike weapons in this game, but more often than not, it comes up trumps. Just on this occasion, it happened to be against the premiership favourites at home. Yeah,
I mean, they literally opened the second half and they went 15 from 15. Like, imagine playing against that as a team. Like, it's the pressure that puts on you as a team when you're looking across to them. 1 completed set, 2 completed set, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're not even at 10 yet. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. No errors. That's like, what do you reckon? That's like 10 to 15 minutes of rugby league, maybe even 20 minutes of rugby league of no errors.
And the difference is, like, a less disciplined side coming out trailing at half time, and they go, all right, we've lost our star playmaker, so how are we going to find these points? Let's encourage a bit of second phase footy, whatever it might be, which is obviously more high risk. An offload goes to debt, Pappenhausen scoops up, runs 50, scores, and it's like game over kind of thing, where Penrith just go, no, let's just complete, and we're going to keep ourselves in this game and give ourselves a chance to win it.
Yeah, they're a bit like... It's just their ability to get 17 blokes all on the same page. Like, it's one thing to say, oh, yeah, boys, like, we've got each other's backs or whatever. It's all words. Like, the Penrith Panthers' action of everyone plays their role to a T. 15 from 15 in the second half. Just brilliant. Just a brilliantly coached club team. Well, I spoke about it on the Friday show as well. I don't think they get enough credit for their tactical brilliance as well. We always talk about, like, don't get me wrong, everyone knows they're a good tactical side. And we always look at Cleary, his ability to put plays together or whatever. But I think Ivan Cleary, even though he's won 4 premierships in a row, 5 grand finals, he still probably doesn't get the credit he deserves for what he does. I thought that the try off the scrum, like, that was purely watching a bunch of video and identifying that Melbourne Storm have a little bit of deficiency off scrum defence. So they just hit that short ball, try time. Also, if you actually go back and look at how they lined up for their tries compared to when they play the Sharks, it's 2 totally different styles of attacking footy. In this style of footy, I think their winger was nearly 23 metres infield. That's where he starts his run. And they almost fan out as the play gets. And the reason why they do that is because Melbourne Storm are one of the best defensive sides for jamming in. So if you've got a defensive side that's always jamming in, what you do is you get really close to each other so that your passes are small, so that you can make those quick passes. They're going to land much easier. Whereas if you're really spread out, that 15-metre tip-on, it's going to be super hard. So if you look at Penrith Panthers, they were really squeezed in tight and they fanned out for at least 2 of their tries. You go back and look against the Sharks, where the Sharks are more up and slide. Brian Toto is closer to the touchline, and he's not actually in tight. And it's like all these little details that the Panthers save for the Melbourne Storm, because it's just brilliant tactician from Ivan Cleary.
And that's it. Like, with that sort of fan shape you're alluding to against a team that at times will tend to up and jam defensively, it allows that, because they're basically all the back line are essentially running that overs line. It allows that lofted sort of ball. If they do jam, there's a bit of space on the edge, bang, they're already running the overs.
And the ball lands where you're about to land rather than you're already standing there waiting for it.
Yeah, it was... can't wait to watch Penrith next week. I think they've got the Bunnies, but no Luai, no Cleary, but it's also not like in Origin period one where they also lose Yo and Edwards is out, but other key players. Just to see how they go. I know how they're going to play. They're going to play exactly what we just said, super high percentage, and go, we're not going to blow the Bunnies out of water. We'll be short price favourites, I'd imagine, but they'll be high percentage. Again, they'll bat their D, but I loved... There were a few question marks around Jack Cole early on this season. All right, is he the right man to be that foil to Cleary and be the partner? He'd been okay, but, a few questionable moments. You got to remember someone like Jack Cole, I'd imagine coming through the lower grades, like all these players in the NRL and the halves who are playing second fiddle to a better halfback or a more experienced half, would have been the star coming through, would have been his team, he would have been the dominant playmaker. It's hard to get into the top grade and go... You're second fiddle to a superstar.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you want,
it's irrelevant.
It's about, it's irrelevant. It's about giving it to him when he wants it and playing around him and what Nathan Cleary wants. It was one of the first times we probably got to see, as I said, in a Penrith side that wasn't entirely decimated by Origin, like Jack Cole take the reins a bit. And I thought he was fantastic stepping up under pressure in what was such a difficult circumstance against Melbourne down there. I thought Cole was terrific both defensively for the most part. I thought in attack he got him around the park really well with the aid of having Isaiah Yo, who just, Cleary goes down, and as we said, Yo just steps up and goes, all right, I'll get us around the park. But I can't wait to see them this week, whether they go Schneider or Talangi or whoever it might be in the half with Cole. But, yeah, I was impressed with Jack Cole.
Just quickly on Isaiah Yo, have we ever seen a player like him? Like, have we ever had a 13 that can play front row but also can play first receiver for a whole set?
He's good at what he does.
Not as often as he does.
Like, I don't know. At least in the modern era, maybe before, maybe Bradley Clyde, I don't know. But in the modern era, I don't recall a 13 that can play front row in Origin, but then at the same time be first receiver for an entire set that ends up leading to a try. Like, I don't recall it. And then, look, maybe there is someone that's slipping my mind, but very rarely does a player come along like Isaiah that it's this well-rounded.
Well, that's it. It's, there are players who will do it when required if halves go down or something, like a Cam Murray or like who can obviously play front row if needed, or a Cheese when he plays lock, that sort of thing. But it's just the footy IQ of Isaiah. Lots of people can do it, but how well do you do it? And what decisions are you making? Are you making the right ones? And Isaiah, when Isaiah does it, he looks like a halfback.
It's crazy.
When other players do it, you're like, oh, you're a forward playing out of position. But Yo looks like a freaking halfback.
It's just crazy. Absolutely incredible. Like, his resume is just getting undeniable. It's undeniable. Like, again, I know Jake Trbojevic was technically the captain of New South Wales, but I felt like he was more of a spiritual captain. I felt like the actual captain making the calls on the field and that, I thought it was Isaiah Yeo for you guys this series.
I think the other one there, mate, that has been really impressive earlier this season is Lindsay Smith stepping up. Obviously,
how good is he?
Yeah, in the absence of Fisher Harris, I mentioned footy IQ around Isaiah Yeo, but he's got it as well. And Craig Bellamy recruits a certain type of player, as does Ivan Cleary. And Lindsay Smith, not only can he play massive minutes with a huge motor at a high quality click, he just seems to have this footy IQ as well, where there are a couple of moments in this where there was a bit of that second phase play and it landed in his hands, and most front rowers just go, all right, get this thing going forward and move forward. He just immediately identified that, all right, we've got him a little bit short on numbers and we could be on here, and it was just turn around. I think one of them was like almost like a wraparound play, and he offloaded out the back, or like just gives early ball. Seems like a very smart footballer, Lindsay Smith.
Well, I agree. Like, the amount of times Isaiah and Smith were in pairs attacking the line, like, it's scary to think that. Again, it proves the talent of this Penrith system, that you can get a guy that couldn't be more different from Fisher Harris, but go, all right, you're super different, but we're going to work a game plan around what your strengths are, rather than trying to recreate another Fisher Harris. So, bloody good performance.
Just the one negative, mate, like, yes, they had excuses in this game, but the edge defence is pretty questionable at the Panthers at the moment from anything that we've seen in the past. And, again, players out and the Cleary injury didn't help, but we've already seen earlier this year on Cleary's edge, like last week against the Roosters, it was torn to bits. Their edges, they've got a whole season to get it right, and I'm so confident they will, but they're not where they have been in previous years. And we mentioned last week, maybe it is Luai going, how much that loses to an edge, but looking very vulnerable on both edges.
We have seen them vulnerable before, and they usually sort it out by finals time. I guess the surprising thing is we're looking at edges that have been playing together for a while they shouldn't be. It's like you don't hit a reset button every single year. But a little bit vulnerable on the edges.
But it's always been a case of, like, we talk about these development systems that they have that span all the way down to like SG Ball. They seem to just, whoever comes in does a job, knows the system, and they almost slot in seamlessly. It doesn't feel like that to me defensively on the edges this year. Granted, it's 3 games in, I get it.
Yep. Just quickly as well, some really good signs from Blaze Talangi. Last week and the week before, we're kind of questioning, like, where is he at in his development at the Penrith Panthers? Because it seemed like it was probably a little bit slower than they expected. There was a moment that I thought, you know what, this kid's going to make it. And I know it's a small moment, and, maybe I'm reading too far into it. But Blaze Talangi, he doesn't shoot up out of line, but he tries to get full-on contact against the Melbourne Storm front rower in a one-on-one tackle. He makes the contact. Eventually, people come in and help him. But just like seeing a guy that I think everyone recognised that his Achilles heel at the moment is his defence. And just to see him lean into defence like that and almost enjoy it, like actually trying to put a hit on a front rower and at the very least landing the shot, that's a great sign for Blaze Talangi, because it shows you that he is aware of that deficiency and he's working on it. 21 tackles, only 1 miss. I'll take that. Any day of the week.
2 things about Blaze Talangi. Firstly, great signs from him. And as you said, 21 tackles, 1 miss for Blaze, where his defence is keeping him out of this side. Great signs. And even just with ball in hand, he looks so sharp, but that's not news to us. We know that. Concerning that they picked Tom Jenkins at fullback over him.
Yeah, that's where you're like, but
jeez.
In saying that, what eased my fears was they put him on the bench still.
Yeah.
So I was like, they clearly have faith in him enough to put him on the bench. Otherwise, you just wouldn't put him near the first grade side.
Shout out to Tom Jenkins. I was like, when he got put fullback, I'm like, like I've never seen him not play centre or wing or whatever, and sort of a bigger body. Just Penrith, right? Just went in there, did a job, was safe. I think he had a try. He saw through a good ball. He had a repeat set. I'm like, freaking Penrith.
Well, if you ever want an example of, I talk about it all the time. It probably gets frustrating, but sometimes it's not the players' fault as to why they didn't succeed at certain clubs. Sometimes club systems aren't as good as others. And I think Jenkins, and look, who knows, maybe Jenkins at other clubs hadn't applied himself. What we do know, though, is he went to Penrith on a lifeline, signed with their feeder club. I think he got a training trial in their preseason, and look how much better of a player he looks in the Penrith system. And that's like just a really good example of not all systems are equal. Like certain systems are better than others. And like that sounds like an obvious thing to say. Well, of course Penrith Panthers system is better than other teams. But like when you see it in real time, you see a bloke that literally couldn't get a contract with another NRL side, now all of a sudden playing bloody good in first grade. Like that just shows you the power of a strong system. Because I thought outside, he had one drop ball towards the end, but outside of that, he was great. Who stood out for you, mate, Penrith?
Tom Jenkins, he was great. I wasn't fully aware of the movement in the off-season from him going from the Knights to the Panthers, but, got an opportunity, and Jizzy took it with both hands there the other day. Mate, look, so many players that were just really solid, played their role really well. Spoke a little bit about Jack Kayo. I mean, we haven't probably touched on the guys at the back yet, maybe TOTW and Alamotti. I thought, particularly Alamotti, I reckon he's just having his stocks gone up in the last kind of like 18 months or so.
He destroyed that left edge of the Storm, didn't he?
Absolutely. Got that, early try and stuff. But I think he was a player for me that able to do a little bit of both. Like he switched a little bit between centre and wing over the weekend as well. So, he was really impressive. TOTW, just like as usual, just the standard almost 200 run metres, 67 post contact, couple of line breaks, couple of tries when the game was, on the line as well. I thought those guys were pretty good at the back. Sweet.
Alrighty, on to the Melbourne Storm. It's a bit of a weird one because we're going to sound more positive about the Panthers than the Storm, and the Storm bloody won the game. I will say that penalty at the end for Munster pushing Martin was outrageous. Like, actually outrageous. So you're telling me Liam Martin, who is known for niggle, and why we all love him, like when he's pushing blokes in Origin and standing over him, like that's why we love Liam Martin. He's in their faces. He doesn't take a backward step, but then he gets pushed and he gets a penalty. Like, you wonder why fans blow up. Like, that's an outrage. The game was on the line. Imagine if they went up and scored and won the game. Outrageous call.
So soft. It's like, oh God, there's a bit of niggle in it, and he's got penalised for that. As you said, penalty, sent him downfield. That's with like 3 minutes to go, and I think they turned the ball over not long after. If they score, that would have been just the headline all weekend. It's like, it was blowing a penalty for the sake of blowing a penalty. It's like, what are you doing?
Like, seriously, and this is the same setup that in the preseason was, we're doing a crackdown on the ball playing. There was no crackdown at all in that game. Like, the amount of roll balls I saw were honestly 1,000 of them. They don't help themselves. And I'm going to try to stay away from, we want to be positive about refs. But when I see stuff like that, I get why fans get pissed off. That could have cost them the game.
It's just going away from the norm. Like, I just don't know why that's been blown when that shit happens all game, and you decide to do it in the 77th minute.
It literally happens all game long. Then the game's on the line, and the team that needs points gets the penalty like that. Of course, fans are going to be like, what the hell is going on here? So just had to bring that up. In regards to performances, look, he's been just getting about his work, and hasn't been much hype around him or much talk around him. But I thought Stefano was great. I think he's been great since he's been down there. Just getting through his work, nothing flashy, minimal missed tackles by over 100 metres, I think, every single game so far. I thought he played quite well, Stefano.
He was good, and it was a better siding. Like the round one game against Parramatta prior to that bye, they just blew him to pieces on the edges and shifted the ball early, so it wasn't a great sort of early indication of Stefano there, but not better, but like a better impact in this one.
Yeah, for sure. Jack Howarth, once again, at least in attack, 150 metres, 18 runs. He gets through a bunch of work coming out of his own end, and he's so strong in contact. And he's, 22 years old, I think, at the moment, so he's still got plenty of... Once again, Melbourne Storm, like we rant and rave about the Penrith system, but once again, the Melbourne Storm system, knowing when to be patient with a young player. Like, I guarantee you, nearly every other club outside of maybe Penrith would have played Howarth started him 2 or 3 years ago, literally. Melbourne Storm, patient. Matter of fact, so patient, they swapped him positions. Like, they go, okay, probably not ready for centre, let's put him in the back row. Then he plays a bit of back row, like, okay, he's probably not ready for back row, it's such an important position, let's put him in centres. And ever since then, he's been outstanding.
Yeah, and, switching between back row and centre, with more reps there, he's only going to get better and better and better, especially in this Storm outfit. And, fans sort of sitting there going, we were quite positive about Penrith and perhaps more so than the Storm. I forgot to mention, but there was also, the Storm scored 4 tries off kicks. 3 of them were off Munster's boot. So you take that into the equation as well. They're very attacking this year, the Storm, and they're just leaning into not all-out attack by any means, because that's not the way Bellamy works, but I think he is looking at this squad that he's got and going, you try and outscore us. You won't. I've got one of the best spines we've ever seen. Those early shifts, they are just looking to move the ball every time to kick return or whatever it might be, first, second tackle in a set, just going whack from edge to edge, a lot like Manly doing, going, probably acknowledging they've got a very good forward pack, but, there's better forward packs in the competition, and they're going, all right, we'll hold you off, we'll get in an arm wrestle in the middle, but bang, as soon as we hit our edges, try and stop us because you won't.
They barely play through the middle at all. They spin it and just stay in corridors. They just spin it, land on a halfback, if they identify the halfback, and it works. So the first points they score, there's 3 minutes in, so I think it's either their first or second set. As Pappy could have easily ran the ball into the middle. We used to always get told, as a kick return, run to the middle of the field because it gives you options both sides. And that way that defences can't, scream up and jam up off an edge and keep you locked in a corner. Anyway, so Pappy's like, no, I'm not getting in the middle. He immediately runs to the 3 defender, so the half. Howarth, he takes a hit up. He goes back in and lands essentially just where the edge of the middle third. He could have skipped along and got to the middle and made more metres himself, but he doesn't. But it's all precise. He lands there, then they spin it all the way to the edge. Guess who shoots up out of the line and misses the tackle? McLean, because he's a rookie and it's a rookie edge, shoots up out of the line, misses the tackle on Grant Anderson. Grant Anderson finds his front, gets a penalty because McLean shot up out of the line, and they literally just do the exact same set again. Guess what happens? Katoa lands on their half, which is Cole. Cole just makes a tackle. It's a quick play the ball. They go that side again. They score a try. It's all just the timing and the ability to land exactly where they need to land. They do it so well.
They're for two teams that this could very well be the grand final again. They're very contrasting styles.
Yeah.
Penrith who are
drop under,
and through the middle, drop under. The Storm going side to side, which, when executing it well, which they will more often than not, would just be exhausting to defend, just going side to side to side. And it just puts so much more pressure on that kick chase where you go, guys, there is not one occasion where we can afford to be lazy on kick chases because we'll be punished for it.
Yep. And also you're beholden to how good defenders your halves are. If you could have the best forward pack in the comp, if your halves aren't good defenders, you are going to get ripped apart by the Melbourne Storm because they'll just keep landing on them and getting quick play the balls.
They're going to put on some big scores this year.
Oh, man. They were 14-0 up fucking after 10 minutes against the Panthers.
Even that, I know the Roosters actually put more on them last week, but 30 points on the Panthers, granted tries off kicks and whatnot, but
still 30 points.
30 points on the Panthers.
Now,
he completed at 88%.
Yeah. I thought Pappy looks great. He looks like, just, I don't know, back to his best, but geez, he doesn't look far off it. Doesn't look far off his best. Looks fast. His ball playing looks good. Just looks like the Pappy that we know.
He does. And doesn't he just look hungry to make up for lost time?
Yeah.
He's sitting there going, I was pretty close to an Origin jersey. That sort of didn't eventuate. Then he had all these injuries. He just looks like a bloke out there going, I'm going to put myself back in that rep frame and in the conversation, and I'm in for a big year.
Completely agree. He looks, you touched on it a minute ago, how quick he looks at the moment.
Yeah.
I reckon he looks as quick as I can remember him. He's and he's everywhere in the first couple of rounds of the season. It'd be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, Dill Edwards got a bit of a groin issue and stuff at the moment, but if he keeps going the way that he's going, and there are a few injuries, he could be right back in the
mix
frame for an Origin.
Well, you got Teddy, who's playing good footy. You got Tommy if he's not injured.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a good point.
Tommy and Trell, I think if they're fit, just go in the centres, it just works. And then I reckon, to fitness, if Dill's battling with a groin.
See, I'd probably go if Tommy is fit and Edwards is injured and Teddy is just not playing that good. I'd probably put him at fullback, Tommy, for Origin.
Yeah, I would lean towards Tommy as well, but I see your sentiment, Hammy, as well, where you just go, Tommy, we know how well he roams at centre and all that, so I get that. And put it this way, if Ryan Pappenhausen, which I think he will, has a big too much for the Storm, the conversation will change pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great shout. I mean, what a moment that would be for Pappy to be back to make the Blues
He's
jersey.
one of those, like, he just deserves it. Like, everyone would be so happy.
It was this close a couple of years ago.
Another one from the Tigers pathway as well.
And that was when Teddy was like, maybe not his peak, but like flying.
Yeah.
Pappy was playing that good that they were having the conversation.
Now, the big fella Nelson, got to get it sorted.
Yeah.
Got to get it sorted. Really, really, unfortunately, hurt the boys when he come on. And look, it's one off. I'm sure he'll watch video. I'm sure he'll bounce back from it. But unfortunately, it wasn't his best night.
No, yeah. Look, a couple of penalties, a little bit of friendly fire, which he's got in him as well. Nick Meaney, a little bit of a head clash there, which was unfortunate. But at his best, he just really takes the team to another level. But I think probably, in this particular game, too many penalties and costly little things that, they're the sort of things he's, Craig Bellamy would like to see out of his game, but they probably, reared their head a little bit in this one.
I thought the edge back rolls were quite good. At least Katoa and Blore.
Yep.
Geez, doesn't Katoa he plays so well. He just flies under the radar though. We look at Hamola and granted, rightly so. Olakau'atu is incredible, but when was the last bad game Katoa played? You reckon?
He used to be.
He used to do it all the time.
He used to be so hot and cold, and now he's just turned in the most consistent back row.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Guarantee a try game, pretty much, or a try assist or a line break. But he's just flying under the radar there.
Yeah.
If someone woke up and started watching footy in the last 12 months, they'd be like, "Oh, Katoa, he must be known for his consistency." And it's mate, you don't realise that was his Achilles heel before was consistency. Now it's his biggest strength.
He's unbelievable. Pardon me. He's unbelievable. Tyron Wishart comes in. Oh mate, we just need you to play on the wing for a bit. Sweet. Jerome Hughes throws that massive three-man cutout for him, and he's just perfectly positioned for it as well, in a completely new position. He's so good. Mate, the negative probably to them, it's the same one as Penrith, to be fair. Their edge defence is pretty leaky. And it was for big periods last year. It was the meanie edge last year, and they got it going towards the back end, and it was a lot better, but a lot of points going through their edges, and I look at even that Howarth edge on the weekend, it was conceding quite easy. Alamotti was having a field day down there, and Tungo, and that was even when Clear is off the field. So they might have enough points in them that won't matter, but their edge D, there's some pretty ordinary signs early on.
Yeah. I just put up, I've got enough faith in both squads. It is probably their Achilles heel right now. But I got enough faith in both squads. By the time they get into mid-year, end-year, they'll have it sorted.
The Storm in particular, though, and I'm with you, it's Craig Bellamy. I'm sure they'll sort it out, but there has been a few leaks on the edges in a few years now for the Storm. If they get that right and defensively shore up those edges, they'll be near unstoppable.
Yeah. What I do think the weekend proved, though, is they are on their own level at the moment, both sides, I think. Yeah. I think that the Storm and Penrith Panthers are on their own level. Alrighty, let's get to the next game. Warriors defeat the Roosters 14-6. Bit of a strange one for me because, I'm fully happy with the Warriors getting the win. Good win. I don't know where I land with the Roosters because on one hand you could go substantially better than round one, but at the same time, I don't think I don't think any of us have the Warriors in our top 8 at the moment. So they've lost to it's 14-6, so it's not a blowout, but at the same time, it's against a team that a lot of people don't have in their top 8. So I don't know where I land with that Roosters performance because you could go, 14-6 and they were in the game and they showed a lot of fight. But at the same time, it's if it was 14-6 against the Storm, Penrith, Sharkies, I could go, yep, that's pretty good. But 14-6 against a side that is probably where, around, I'd say at the moment, we'd all probably have them 10th to 12th, I'd say, the Warriors.
Yeah.
Ish, maybe 8th, we'll say 8th to 12th. So I'm actually, I don't know where to land. I knew that they wouldn't be able to keep the heights of what they did last week, but I was hoping that because it was against the Warriors that it gave them a chance to potentially win. Where do you boys, I'm happy with the Warriors performance, so it was good. Where do you boys stand with the Roosters performance?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a lacklustre game. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on the Warriors, but I thought the Roosters threw nothing at them. I thought both of their attacks was quite slow and didn't offer a lot. But, that's been a bit negative towards the Warriors, who were smashed in Vegas. There's all this criticism around them. They've come back, beaten Manly quite well, I should say. They've held the Roosters to 6, who have plenty of attack in them. Granted, they didn't show it here. They completed at 86%. So, you're certainly happy as a Warriors fan. I do think this was two teams, and I wasn't shocked to see it, that they had so much to prove last week off bad round ones. And the Roosters against the Panthers, Warriors against Manly, those games take a lot out of you, where you have to get up, backs against the wall. I thought both of them looked flat in this one. Warriors will be happy enough, and 2 on the trot after that early loss. The Roosters, I think they'll be very disappointed with their performance.
Yeah, and it's just like, do you chalk it up to such a high last week? You're always going to fall off that high. Like, there's no way you can keep it,
I think that has a big part in it.
Yeah,
yes.
I think
but
so. It's still the Roosters, though.
Professional rugby league, it's round 3. You can't use that as an excuse.
And you got 3 players back in as well.
Yeah.
Like, you got a stronger side. So I'm a bit torn. Hammy.
Well, what I would say about the Warriors is it looks like they're a bit of a different proposition when they're at home this season so far. Obviously, the first game in Vegas, they were pretty poor, but they've had 2 games at home now. They've won them both. So I feel it's going to be a tough road trip for a lot of teams this year. It's like regularly the games are sold out, full. It's tough to travel there. And, the Roosters probably had one of their best wins in their club's history last week. I think that was always going to be very tough to back up from that, because it was so unexpected as well to back it up. They're a little bit, underwhelming. You're right, Timmy. I don't think there wasn't much attack probably from both sides, but particularly from the Roosters there. But that said, look, I don't know. The Warriors are very hard to play, so I don't know if I have got them. They're thereabouts on like the edge of the 8 for me this year, but I reckon they're going to be, if you're playing them at home, they're going to feel like a top 8 team is my probably takeaway.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. Yeah, I could get on board with that. The fact that they are a top 8 side at home at the very least.
Yeah,
that's not a bad shout. But yeah, it's where I'm trying to. I'm less like, if you want to put the Warriors in the 8, sweet. That's not a crazy thing to do. It's more, I don't know where to put the Roosters. That's probably where I'm unsure of. Like, where do I put the Roosters right now? Because they have terrible performance, one of the greatest performances of all time compared to what they had on the field, and then a very okay performance. Like, I wouldn't say it was a bad performance from the Roosters, but just not great.
I thought it was pretty unimpressive from the Roosters. Like, I still look at these two teams and go, I don't see either of them playing finals footy as it stands.
Yeah, for sure.
And that can change very quickly, but like, Warriors 2 on the trot and the Roosters 1 terrific win over the Panthers. It hasn't changed my mind about it. I don't look at them and go, there's a finals footy side in here.
The only problem I have, though, is like, this is the Roosters side. Tedesco, Tupou, Nwanga Nituwase, Toya, Young, Smith, Townsend, Lenu, Watson, White, Crichton, Wong, Radley. Like, that's a...
I think the issue becomes, mate, and I know like Sammy Walker and Cheese will be back later on in the year, but like, they need to chalk up a lot of wins before that happens. Connor Watson copped a head knock, so he'll be out now. Like, what does Zach Clay come in and be the 9 for them? If either of the halves go down, they're extremely light on in the halves. So the team you've read out, it's a good team, but
I'm not reading that team out for the rest of the, as in, like, that's not how measured they'll go for the rest of the year. I'm just talking about this performance specifically. Like, as in, this team on paper against the Warriors
should have been way better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, you're right. If any injuries happen to keep positions here in this side, like, it is truly like tough.
Before, and this is assuming Sam Walker and Cheese come back from ACL injuries and look really good and hit the ground running, which, let's call it what it is, they probably won't. It takes time, especially when they're coming up against fit, like rock hard fit players later in the year who've been playing all season. But they need to chalk up a lot of wins, because I just don't think, with their sort of depth at the moment, the Roosters and those blokes coming back from injury, I don't think they're going to be good enough to be able to win, 6 of their last 8 or whatever it might be to make a big charge of the finals. They have to be like in that sort of top 6, 7 and give themselves a bit of a buffer that they don't need to win every game late. And you could say the same about the Warriors. I do think the Warriors' depth is actually quite good. I think that's different to the Roosters. I think across their...
Probably got better depth than the Roosters.
And they've got in key positions as well, the Warriors. I'll get to Tamari Martin in a minute, who lit up New South Wales Cup on the weekend. But yeah, I think they're going to have to do a lot to play finals footy, the Roosters.
In regards to performance for the Roosters, I think White is getting better in that front row position. I think he's starting to warm into it, so there's a positive there. I think that you saw when Connor Watson went off, like he's almost the key to their attack. Like he has become everything to that side, which is again, it's just a testament to how far this bloke has come. If you had ever said that like Connor Watson will be the main player in a spine, you know, a couple of years ago, you would have said like, don't get me wrong, he's a bloody good player, but the main player in a spine. But that's how good he is for the Roosters at the moment, because when he went off, it was just like they just struggled to have any. And
that's it, mate. That's probably something that needs to be, taken into consideration a little bit more. But went off that 39th minute, so didn't play the second half. So a massive, massive loss for them, especially when they're trying to find some spark and create some points in the back end. Nafahu White, great try on the hit and spin there. There's a lot of rocks and diamonds about Nafahu White.
Yeah.
His good games are outstanding, but he can have some bludgers that come out of nowhere. Just needs to find that consistency, and like there needs to be a lot more diamonds there than rocks at the moment. But he's put together 2 really strong weeks on the trot.
Yep.
Trent Robinson will be loving it, but just needs to find that consistency, because if he does, he can become one of the better front rowers in the game, but needs consistency.
Well, yeah, you don't end up at the Roosters unless you got a bunch of talent. Like they're not bringing through a young fella that doesn't have a bunch of talent. I thought there were moments where Sandon Smith was quite good. His running game was quite good. It's just a matter of how does him and Townsend just create a bit more for the men outside him.
I love Sandon Smith. And I say that off the back of the fact that round 1, he was pretty ordinary and he wasn't great in this game either. Like, he's not exactly killing it this season. He was awesome last week against Penrith, but he just looks like a really good footballer. Like he's smaller, but he's quite solid. Just his acceleration off the mark. He takes off so quickly. Yeah. I think he's going to be terrific. I think him and Townsend can, get them by until Sammy's back. But I think when Sammy Walker does come back in, and hopefully just him and Sandy can just put a big stretch of games together and build on this partnership that could be a combination for a long time to come. Sammy runs the show, does all the organising, and Sandon just runs off the back of him because there's something about him, and I think it is that speed off the mark. I love him. Yeah,
a combo with Sam Walker, those 2 blokes, with how quick they are around the ruck, be pretty scary once they click. Radley got through much better in attack, I thought Radley was at very least. Like got through a bunch of work, ran for 170 plus metres, which we haven't seen from Radley in quite a while, which was good to see. I thought no one got Nitawase. That try that he nearly scored, like, holy. Wow. That would have been special, that try. The one where he slid over, chips it.
Yeah, I think I've said the term like every week. Whether he plays, he always plays good, but he's just a freak. And he's a naturally talented freak, eh?
Yeah, like seriously.
His highlight reel by the end of his NRL career is going to be phenomenal, I reckon.
Like that gets the ball off maybe Tupou. Someone passed it to him. He's got no room to work with, chips it over, lands it nearly perfectly, but then because it's dewy and wet, he's juggling the ball, somehow catches it, puts it down, and only for his legs just to go out. Like that would have been one of the tries of the year. Seriously,
you look at some of these players with these freakish highlight reels at the end of their career. Like, not saying Nwanganita-wise he's going to be in this echelon of player, but like Izzy Folau's and GIs at the end of their career, some of the acrobatic stuff they did and freakish stuff they did. He's going to be the same. Like it's going to be a freaking half an hour compilation of just bang, bang, bang.
And wait till he's in a Roosters side that's winning the battle in the middle and going forward. Like he's doing at the moment with like, they're struggling.
Even if his defence, mate, like you see his development very quickly. That I know he played a lot of league through the lower or juniors, but immediately last year you sort of went, there's going to be a few defensive issues, even like to start the season in round 1. But I see developments in his defensive game so quickly, in his reads. Like that's coming on quicker than I thought.
Yeah, for sure. He's an athlete. Like he is a super athlete, an absolute super athlete. Teddy did as much as he could, without being crazy good.
Just couldn't inject himself. Yeah. Tried his ass off, just wasn't happening for him.
I thought, Toya probably not his best night, unfortunately. Tried his heart out.
Teddy did have that try saver on Adam Pompey where he came under it. He's falling over the line and Teddy got himself under it.
Oh, yeah, crazy.
That was brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. Just trying to look at my notes here. I thought both teams' fifth tackle play was not good. Like both teams' fifth tackle just... When you look at the elite, the best, and granted, you look at both sides. Like Townsend, he's a bit past his best. Sandon Smith, more of a ball runner. You look at the other side, Metcalf and Harris Tavita, both not natural hires. But I thought the fifth tackle options were just nowhere near where they kind of need to be if they need to be in the top 8. And I'm just trying to look. Yeah, then I think Townsend kicked out in the full once as well.
To Chad's credit, I will say they sent a lot of traffic at Chad the other day.
40 tackles.
40 tackles.
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
Not a bad.
Shit.
Not a bad
So,
knock.
like, that. See, that's where, like, you know, we always look at, okay, yeah, is he a bit past his best? Yeah, maybe. He's a bit older and he was bought to be a reserve grader and fill in when he needed to. But things like that, like if you went that much at a rookie,
Yeah.
they're missing like 10 tackles.
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas Townsend, he's an NRL player. Like, he can handle that if he needs to. So, I mean, that's why they bought him. They bought him because he could come in and do a job like that. But, yeah, I thought at the very least, Townsend, fifth tackle options, he's better than probably what he showed on the weekend.
Yep.
But, yeah, so, like, just not terrible, the Roosters, but at the same time, probably not where they want to be right now. Now, on to the Warriors. I mean, the big standout for me was Charles Nickel-Klukstad. Like, a lot of pressure, a lot of talk about, you know, is he the man for the job, all that stuff. Ended up with 2 try assists, 300-plus metres. And, like, that's what he can get you at his best. He can get you 300 metres or 250 plus a couple of try assists, whereas, you know, RTS, he can get you 10 tackle breaks, 300 metres, but he may not get the try assists for you. Tuapiki, still relatively young, relatively new, so we don't know what he does week in, week out. Whereas Chance, it's just a matter of, you know, he doesn't necessarily have to run for 300 metres every single week, but how do we get this close to this every week at the moment?
In a game where there weren't a lot of standouts, it was Chance in this one, and it was one where, as you said, there's a bit of pressure creeping up on him, and like you said, with Tuvas Shek, who's now twinched his hammy, and Tane Tuapiki, who can obviously play fullback very well too, it was a real statement going from Chance going, no, like, I'm still the number one for this club. This is my jumper, and I'm not going to give it up without a fight. 316 metres, a couple of try assists, just his energy. He was in.
Oh.
It was like there was a period. I don't think it was last year. It might have been the year before when the Warriors were humming, and he was just in everything. And he was eating up these massive metres every game, and Chance just looked rock hard fit. It was the Chance of not old, but of 2 years ago. Wasn't it,
Of
this game?
their prelim run.
Yeah.
Definitely the Chance of that, because he was just tireless. Like, every time they needed a tough hit up, he was there, one off the ruck. And as I said, plus, like, it would be one thing if he had 300 metres, but it's the 2 try assists that are important, because that's why he's the fullback right now. Like, if you just wanted a good ball running fullback, you put RTS back there, but it's the try assists that help Chance. And he does, as I said, he doesn't necessarily need to run for 300 metres every game, but if he can just be close to this performance, he'll keep that spot for sure. So got through a lot of good work, and, you know, there's an argument to be made, like, if Chance isn't playing there, do they win that game? He's got 2 try assists in 300 metres. Like, they won by 2 tries.
He was clearly the difference in this game. Yeah.
Like, that's how good he was. In a game against Tedesco, like, his opposite fullback, Chance outplayed him, which is a huge win. Very rarely does Tedesco get outplayed. So, yeah, I thought he was outstanding. I'm just looking at some of these notes here. Actually, just back to Townsend, he did kick a good 40-20 late in the game, which was good for the Roosters. But, yeah, another guy. We've been ranting and raving about this guy for a while, and just, like, almost talking about his potential and, like, what it would have looked like with this guy at his best. And Ali Latawa, just too big and strong. Those 2 tries that he scored, like, just genuinely getting the ball and going, I'm 5 metres out, try and stop me. So big, so strong.
Yeah, I'll sound like a broken record with Ali Latawa. He's just fantastic. Again, a bit of an off game in Vegas, which I think is more of a credit that he's bounced back, and even in this one where it didn't necessarily look their best, the Warriors, he was devastating. And I said Chance was the difference. Chance and Latawa were the difference, because the tries he scored, when he gets that head full of steam, he runs one of the better lines that I've seen from a centre, and he's built like a brick shithouse, all muscle.
So big.
Trying to put your body in front of him one-on-one would be terrifying.
He looks like one of those one of those players that, you know, let's say you do an end-of-year content where they're like, who's the hardest to tackle?
Yeah.
And people go, Ali Latawa. He's, like, built like Petro. Like, he's not as big as Petro. But you know how whenever Petro used to make contact, there just seemed to be like he was made of concrete? Latawa seems similar. It's just solid.
It's one of the ones where, like, if you're a centre or like a half, however they play it, trying to defend him when he gets that head of steam up, you just have that split-second decision of, all right, if I'm 99% committed to this tackle, he runs through me and I'm bumped off, The only way I stop him is if I'm 100% committed and I get my entire body in front, and holy shit, I'm going to be sore tomorrow.
Absolutely.
There's no in between.
Yeah, there's really no in between. You're either all in or you're all out,
And
because
then
otherwise it's over.
we haven't seen it in the NRL. We saw it in the trial, but, mate, he's got this little soft, deft hands. He had a couple of try assists in the trial.
Yep.
That'll come as well. Like, we're scratching the surface of Ali Leatawa, future star.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's, 5-6 games into his NRL career? Like, imagine when he's 50. He will just be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Unstoppable.
Let's got to find a way to get him a bit more of the footy.
Yeah.
Just
sure.
11 runs the other day, but if you've got a guy like that who's so hard to tackle, got so many skills, just got to make sure you get him as much as you can.
It's just that impact of, right, like, we talk about, like, with a lot of these devastating, like, line running centres or back rowers, when he's doing that, defenders, all eyes are going to be on him. It's just going to create space for chance sliding out the back, whatever the shape they want to run. Like, it's perfect.
Absolutely. Aaron Clark, aside from one poor tackle miss, I think that led to a try potentially, I love him at 13. I love him. Just wind him up and let him go. We've been calling this for so long. He just suits the modern 13 so well, and he'll only get better. Like, the more games he gets under his belt starting there and playing, or at the very least playing longer minutes at 13, the better he's going to get.
Yeah, and how good's that rotation with him and Dill Walker?
Yeah.
It's the two, like, really high-quality ball-playing 13s. They fit that build of the modern-day lock, or, the modern-day lock as we talk about it each week anyway. And, yeah, to have sort of Clark going off, Walker coming on, to have them playing in tandem at times, like, that's a great asset for them.
If anything, I thought the Warriors forwards all played quite well, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think it was
I think it was more...
It was the creativity and the points. So I think the backs were the ones, and the spine players that were there, a few question marks around what their lack of creativity.
Yeah,
and the forwards were quite good.
I hate to be harsh, and I know it's early in his career, but this is what I was talking about last week with Metcalf. Like, I know they got the win, so that's all that matters. But, like, he came out and killed it last week. He had 2 runs this week. Like, you just can't do that. Like, and unfortunately, like, it paints over the cracks because they got the win, and that's all that matters. And rightly so, that is all that matters. But that's why you can't be, have this big game and everyone's loving you and you're layering up and everything, and then come out and run for 2 runs next week. Like, you're going to put a target on your back, and the only reason there's no blow-ups this week is because you won. If you had lost, it would have been like nightmare stuff.
Yeah.
Like, just in the headlines, the social media. And I look at that with Metcalf and I go, that's when I said last week about, instead of having a 6 out of 10 and a 9 out of 10 game, can we get 8 out of 10 every week? And that's his biggest worry as a first grader. After last week's incredible performance, to come out and only have 2 runs, and look, maybe he's injured, but again, if you're injured, once you cross that white line, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're going to be that 7 for the Warriors, if you're injured or whatever, but 2 runs for 9 metres, it's just... With what he possesses, he is genuinely out and out one of the best ball running 7s in the competition, bar none. He just needs to have more runs, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, mate, agreed on all fronts on Metcalf, and it was a down a week from a terrific game the week before where he was in everything. On the contrast, Chanel Harris-Tavita, I mentioned the spine play's not creating too much. I'm liking the signs from Chanel Harris-Tavita, and it shows how quickly, it shows the sort of the esteem that the Warriors hold him, because he went off, had his year off. They got him straight back to the club, and then he beat out Tamari Martin and Tanner Boyd for starting half spot in round 1, and that took a few people by surprise.
Yep.
And like that try he scored where kicked to himself and leapt over the top of Teddy with bodies around him.
Just competing.
Yep. He's another one of these halves. He plays quite direct. He's got a strong running game, so I think he's fantastic. Talk about the depth of the Warriors and in key positions. There's a lot of it. Tamari Martin in New South Wales Cup on the weekend, 2 tries, 4 try assists, 3 line breaks.
What?
How's that for an outing?
Holy. I mean, it's great for the Warriors that there's pressures on key positions, because...
So good for them.
Yeah, because if you've got Tamari Martin doing that in New South Wales Cup, and let's say Metcalf has another couple of quiet games where he's not running the ball, like... They'll be forced to pull the trigger.
And it's pressure on all of them, because they've got Metcalf can be a 6 or a 7. Harris-Tavita, obviously more of a ball running, probably 6. But Tamari Martin, he can play as a 6 or a 7. Tanner Boyd, he's an out-and-out 7. So it's across both 5'8" and half. They've got options. So it's a great thing for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, I know it's a little bit of a Debbie Downer because they won still, but it's more because I want to see Metcalf kill it. I really do. But if you're doing up and down like this, it just never will happen for you. Whereas like Harris Tavita, he hasn't had anywhere near as good a game as Metcalf's game last week. However, he's been more steady and more consistent, and you can build around that. So hopefully Metcalf just needs to whatever his preparation was for the week where he killed it. How does he get himself in that mind state every single week? That's what he needs to try to find, in my opinion. And then if he does that,
just get him pissed off, get him angry.
Yeah, get him angry, and like people questioning his position. And he just needs to tuck the ball. Like the first 20 minutes, just tuck the ball. Like I'm sure your outside men will understand for the first 10 or so minutes why you had 3 runs instead of giving them the early ball. It's because you're the 7, you're the most important player. It's more important that he's in the game than anyone else in the whole field. Yeah. But yeah, positives though. I thought their forwards are outstanding. So you've got Fisher Harris, 126 metres, Barnett, 156 metres, Aaron Clark, 168, Walker, 137, Jackson Ford, 151. Like just a bloody good knock from their forwards. And so, yeah, they can really build off that. Good win for the Warriors. And I love your shout of that. It is looking like it's going to be a bit of a fortress, the Warriors' home ground, which is a good thing for the Warriors.
Absolutely. Yep. It's going to be a tough road trip for sure.
I'd love to get to a game over there.
Yeah, it's great. Mount Smart's great with the drums and everything like that. Oh, well, what's it called now? Go Media Stadium or something like that?
I've seen some footy in New Zealand. I haven't been to Mount Smart, though, and with the crowds they're getting there and the atmosphere, might need to get that out on the list, little weekend trip this year.
Yeah, mate, it's the best. It's such a good, like with the drums and the crowd, it's always sold out now. It's bloody good. What
about a Bloke Live show on Saturday, July 12, Tigers game next day?
We'll be there. See you there. Yeah, so with the Warriors, look, I will say, for such a disappointing start to the year, they're now 2 from 3. Pretty good. Like, if I'm a Warriors fan, I'm happy 2 from 3.
Oath.
I'm happy 2 from 3. Alrighty, on to the next game. Don't forget, guys, join the Bloke Club. It's completely free. Takes you 2 seconds at www.bloke.club. And yeah, you just go there, you sign up, no strings attached. Every single month there are prizes given away. The first month's $2,000. We're also giving away in the 4th month a Mazda BT50, completely free to enter. All you got to do is go to bloke.club and join. We've got a bunch of discounts, all this other stuff, and it's all thanks to Luke Camilleri. You go to his Instagram, LCD_01, give him a follow. If you need a car, he's the man to speak to. Alrighty, let's get into it, shall we? Broncos defeat the Cowboys 26-16. And I've got to say, I know right now it's not happy place at the Cowboys. If they play like that every week, they'll win more games than they lose. I thought the Cowboys were good, and I actually think Cowboys fans should be relatively happy with that. I felt like they built a bunch of pressure with the Broncos. I just thought it was the Broncos' incredible defense on their line that kept them in that game. And I think that, yes, if you wanted to, nitpick, you could say Cowboys should have, iced a few opportunities. Yeah, okay. But when you're out of form and you come out and play like that, at least you've got a building blocks. If they play like that for the rest of the year in most games, they'll make the 8, in my opinion, the Cowboys. That's how well I felt they played. I just felt like the Broncos were so desperate in defence, they just managed to hang in there long enough for their stars to get them across the line. So what do you think of this game, Timmy?
I think you're being a bit generous saying making the 8, but they hugely improved performance. I think it's a shame. I mean, not that it should matter for a Queensland derby, and we know the history of these two teams, but I think it was a shame for the Cowboys that they got Broncos off that game last week where they sort of just went, no, we need to be better, we need a response, because Brisbane were really good in this game, and it was a great bounce back from the Cowboys on what we'd seen early on this season, the amount of points they conceded. But, yeah, I thought the 10-point margin was a little bit flattering, but nonetheless, it was a great bounce back from them.
Yeah, I genuinely believe that. I believe if they play like that for the rest of the year, each game, I reckon they'd squeeze into the 8. I reckon that's it. I was that impressed with the Cowboys. Like, they dominated the Broncos for like most of the first half. And obviously, if they keep playing like this, their attack will click.
Yeah, and again, not taking anything away from an improved performance, but like there was the try to Purdue, which was just a runaway loose ball at the back end. That was 76th minute. There was the Griffin Nemo, which was off a spilt kick. A better performance from the pack, which is the big one we wanted to see, but I thought the Broncos were a fair bit better.
Yeah, I just think that if you can dominate a Broncos pack like that for as long as they did, you're going to dominate most forward packs and points are going to come. I just think that the Broncos were absolutely desperate. They got players like Payne Haas playing like that. They got players like Paddy Carrigan, Reynolds putting on an unbelievable performance. I reckon put it this way, I reckon that Broncos side is probably top 4. And so that's where I reckon they could squeeze into 8 if they play like that every single week, the Cowboys.
Keep speaking about like teams getting up with their backs against the wall and big contests, and this was a big one for the Cowboys. A disappointing first 2 rounds, going up against the Broncos in this Queensland derby, and they did get up for it. They were much improved. Let's see next week they get a Raiders side who they've got their backs against the wall off that game against Manly, and Joe Tarpany comes back in.
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Let's see.
Actually play like that each week. Yeah.
Back it up, and if they can do it against the Raiders, who the Raiders aren't world beaters, but we do know that they've got a bloody good forward pack. So if the Cowboys come out and the pack, can dominate or get on top of the Raiders pack, then you go, all right, we're starting to see some momentum.
Because I feel like there's probably a lot of Cowboys fans feeling really disillusioned right now because of the start of the season. And I just think, yeah, for sure. Like, of course you can't be happy with a loss. I just think they showed so much in this game that you can go, as a Cowboys fan, it's almost a little bit like the Penrith Panthers to a degree, where you can go, yeah, we lost, and yeah, there were times we could have iced the game. However, they were worlds better than what they've been.
Well,
like, worlds better.
A week ago, they were sitting there going,
maybe win the spoon.
Like, could win the spoon. How bad is this? And then you see them putting that performance, you go, all right, no, there's signs of life. There's the footy team that we knew existed pre-season in this, and we can be much better. So
because when I say they dominated, like the Broncos couldn't get out of their own end. Like they were getting absolutely dominated. And that's like one of my big takeaways for the Broncos side is I think if there's one weakness we have, it's not our defence at the moment. It looks pretty good, looks strong, we look fit. In attack, I think we need to really work on our ability to find our front. There were the amount of times where we'd be caught in upright positions or be running across the field, and we just needed to straighten up. And I get the urge to fight for everything and try and get extra tackle breaks and all that kind of stuff, but I felt like there were so many times where just hit and get to your front. Don't worry about, an extra 2 meters or, getting an extra tackle break all here, because any time we tried to do that, they just get our levers and drag us back and turn us around. I reckon that's one area where Broncos can really work on, is just their contact when they've got the ball in hand and finding their front. But let's talk about the Cowboys first, and then we'll get into the Brizzy Broncos. As I said, I thought the first, what would it have been? It would have been like the first probably 20 minutes. They absolutely dominated the Brisbane Broncos. Like it was a complete, the Broncos could barely get out of their own end. Then Jazeski ended up scoring that try.
Off a kick as well to break the shackles.
Yeah,
so
and
it wasn't as if their defence brought a broke.
Exactly. Like it was just not a lucky, I won't say lucky, but just a bloody good kick from Adam Reynolds.
It's not one that as a coach you go, boys, what have we done here?
Yeah.
Good kick him on line, so be it.
And so 40th minute, Neem scores. So they're basically 12-6 down. So they would have been or like 12-6 or 12-4. So it goes, Jazeski scores, Reynolds scores the 34th minute, Neem scores, Taulagi scores, and it's a close game at that stage. Like it's pretty much, I think it was like
12 all.
12 all or 12-10 or something like that.
Yep.
And so with like essentially 60 to go, because that's when Arthur scores, it was a close match. Like it was a relatively close match. Now, Adam Reynolds scored. He kicked 2 extra goals and he had a penalty goal, so that's what kind of blew it out a little bit. But I just look at that and I go, geez, it was close for a long period of time in that game. And what I'm really impressed from the Broncos' perspective is just their patience. They stayed so patient. They just stuck to their defence, their patterns and all that kind of stuff. Their goal line defence patterns is the best I've seen in a very long time. Like it's so much better than what it used to be. Like so much better.
Yeah. I mean, even like just going back to 2023, the grand final, like the defence on their line was just rock solid. We're starting to see that again, aren't we? Well, certainly on the weekend we did. Absolutely.
Now some positives for the Cowboys is Purdue. You spoke about it earlier, Matty. Like this is exactly the game this young fella needed. Like it just been a nightmare start for the Cowboys, and teams were just identifying this rookie center, this rookie 7, and just going straight at them. This game, Purdue was absolutely outstanding. He had a try. He had 13 runs, 220 metres, 29 post-contact, 3 tackle breaks, 1 line break, 10 tackles, 0 misses, 0 errors. Outstanding game. And look, there's not much of him, but he's so strong for his size. Like he just somehow usually wins the tackle, wins the contact. And I'll tell you what, he's not up against some mugs. Like, he's playing a pretty good bloody backline himself. Great performance from Purdue.
He's got some go about him. Very talented, Jackson Purdue. Very quick also. Holy shit, he can motor.
Yeah.
And, mate, like, he's a halfback. Playing centre. I don't know how much centre he's played in the lower grades, but to my knowledge, he was all a halfback. So, I mean, Jake Clifford came in and it was an improved performance. So, like, you keep Deed and Clifford for a little bit and you give them a crack for sure. But
the only tough thing with Clifford, just like in attack, no creativity. Like, he's a good kicker. He's a good defender. He made 30 tackles, only one miss or something like that. But, geez, they lack creativity on their line.
That's it. Like, Purdue... I'd love to see him get a crack at halfback.
I know, get him in there.
Jeez.
I know it's probably a bit early, but I'm with you, mate. Like, look, I'd stick with Clifford Dearden because
Definitely.
he kicked him around. Clifford's kicking game is substantially better than any of the rookies' kicking game, and that was part of the reason why the Broncos were just camped in their end for so long. Yeah. But look, it's his first game, so I'll cut Clifford some slack. Like, it's going to take, like, he came straight into a derby, but the one thing I'd be working on is Drinkwater needs way more space to do what he does, and I just don't think Dearden and Clifford gave him enough space when they were attacking the Broncos line.
And that's it. Like, with the Cowboys, Clifford, much like, the bloke he replaced in Chad Townsend, who's gone to the Roosters down there. Townsend at the Roosters, like, mate, you don't need to be setting up 2 tries a game or doing any of that. It's getting Tedesco in space and getting his one-on-ones where he'll out-muscle people. It's the same with Clifford. He just needs to be getting Drinkwater in as good a positions as he can. And how do you do that? You do what I'm about to say it 10 more times on this podcast, but it's playing direct, it's playing deep into the line, giving the ball late and just giving Drinky that opportunity to get his 3-on-2s and use his speed, use his ball playing. So he doesn't have to star at all. He doesn't have to have all these attacking stats, but he does have to put Scott Drinkwater into these positions.
Yeah, because Scotty Drinkwater will nail it. You just give him an extra metre and it's game over.
I did feel a bit bad for Duffy, though. Given the first 2, like, the forward pack hadn't played like it played the other night in those first 2 games.
It's a great point.
So poor bloke didn't really get the best opportunity to show what he's got.
He probably, that's a great point because he probably would have thrived with the forward pack playing like that.
That's what I mean. So, they come back in and they look like they're playing a bit more direct, but the poor bloke didn't get much of a chance in those first few games.
My guess and speculation, this is what the segment that we're about to bring in will be good because we can ask the people in the know about what is actually going on. But I would speculate that Payton is trying to protect Duffy rather than drop him. Surely the reason why he's dropped him is more a case of we are playing like dog shit, and the last thing I need is my young 7 for the next 10 years, confidence to be just decimated.
Yeah. Yep.
And so take him out of the spotlight. I hope it's that, because if it's not that, I think it's unfair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, bro, you're dropping the number 7 who is playing behind a forward pack that's getting absolutely dominated each week. If he had been playing behind this forward pack, he probably has a couple of tries.
Exactly. Could show what he's got a little bit more.
I'm not sure.
So I personally reckon it's more a protection thing rather than because it doesn't make any sense. And also in Payton's defence, I think Clifford has been injured as well.
Yeah, okay.
But at the same time,
he came into the season, he had a hernia operation or surgery or something, so he was underdone.
Underdone a bit. So I think that he wanted to give him some time in Q Cup to be able to get some reps. However, I think with Duffy, you almost want to give him at least one game with a forward pack actually having a crack. So, because at the moment, Duffy's sitting there probably a bit rattled with his confidence going, shit, am I up to it? I'm not up to it. But anyway, but it's a good point you make, Hammy. In regards to the forwards, look at this from McLean and bloody Taumalolo. So McLean had 135 metres, 49 post contact, 20 tackles, 0 misses, and Taumalolo had 150 metres, 50 post contact, 25 tackles. I'll just go back to last week so we can get an idea of what they did last week. And I know Taumalolo didn't play last week, but against the Sharkies, which I'd say Broncos and Sharkies probably on par. It'd be a close game, you'd say. Their front row had McLean had 91 metres and McIntyre had 117 metres. Yeah. McIntyre ended up playing in the bloody centres. So, that's how... He's not a big front row. He's more of a mobile front rower that he plays off the back of other big front rowers. But that's how much they improved.
And you mentioned, the Cowboys were on top of the Broncos pack for the first 20 minutes. McLean went off in the 21st minute. Taumalolo went off in the 19th minute. So, it was all down to those guys, really. I thought their forwards were much better. I tell you what, Kayo O'Donnell in defence, geez, he made some good tackles. He made some bloody good one-on-one tackles in defence. I was super impressed with him.
Yeah, in attack, is he a Nanai? No, he's probably not Nanai in attack. However, any time my team was struggling, if I was a coach, I'd just be going pure defence. So I can understand why, although, it was a big call with Nanai being dropped and he's already been brought back into the side, like, maybe you do just bring Nanai off the bench and just go, mate, I need 20 minutes or how long are you not playing? I need 30 minutes of you just running hard.
Yeah, honestly, mate, as long as Scott, and I know you can't rely on him too much, but as long as Scotty Drinkwater's fit and Tommy Din's there as well, who can create, I think if the Cows pack can do this week in, week out and match their opposition forward packs and give their halves and give Drinkwater a platform to play off, a bit of go forward, I think points will be okay. So I'm with you. Like, for the time being, they just need to shore up their defence, match the opposition pack. Points will come. But you need to set a platform with your defence.
Yep.
So I'm happy for now with the decision of O'Donnell. If they can really shore up the defence and Nanai plays well off the bench, maybe at some point you look to bring him back into the starting team, which I'm sure will happen. But you make him earn it, and yeah.
Yeah, you can't bring him back too early anyway. Like, I know he's been brought back into the first grade squad, and initially when he was dropped, Peyton was basically inferring that he'd be gone for a little bit. But look, if you just... Him being on the bench is still a punishment because it's Nanai. He's an origin player.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be on the bench. And so I reckon if you just, as you said, you make him earn it. You want to see at least 4 or 5 games of Nanai ripping and tearing when he comes on, but if he is going to get that edge back row jersey back.
It'll probably be the making of Jeremiah Nanai. Like getting dropped Q Cup and then... I don't know if he actually... Did he play Q Cup the other week or not?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dropped Q Cup, now come back off the bench. So I think it's just what he needed, and hopefully he comes out of it like the rep star that we know he can be.
And in the Cowboys' defence, they had McIntyre playing in the centres for a long period. But so that's as I said, maybe I'm being too glass half full, but I actually am happy with the Cowboys' performance. I really am. I know they didn't win, but they had things go against them. They've been playing like their first 2 games genuinely were wooden spoon performances, and they've gone from that to this. I think it's a big turnaround. But you're right. The big question is, do it next week.
Can you back it up?
Yeah, it means literally nothing if you go out and play terribly next week. You may as well not even done it because then you wasted all this energy for no reason.
I think in my mind, and like a few of these clubs, just one decent performance doesn't do anything for me.
Yep.
I'm just like, there's enough. Every roster in the competition has a lot of talent, especially early on. There aren't too many injuries sort of set in. They can get up for one game. I just back it up.
Yep. Now, onto the Brizzy Broncos. As I said, I've been a little bit nitpicky. I think they really need to work on their contact in attack. So the amount of times that they would be running overs lines and getting dominated from the inside, and then once they straightened everything up is when everything changed. But that's my only nitpick. Outside, actually, I got another one, but it's not a nitpick. It's actually a concern. But outside of that, bloody good performance. The guts they showed on their line, the amount of defence they did in that first 20 minutes, just kept repelling. That's what won them the game. That's what won them the game, is that first 20 minutes of just repel. I'm just having a look at it. Yeah, more goal line, like great goal line D. Then more great goal line D from the Broncos. That's truly what won them the game, is that first 20 minutes of just repel. Eventually, the tides turned. They took advantage of it. We've already spoken about Payne Haas, so if you want to hear Payne Haas rap, it's earlier in the show in the Kayo Can't Miss section, brought to you by Kayo. Make sure, look, if you love sport, you can't miss it. It's on Kayo. Now, some other players that played really well. Jesse Arthur's start of the season has been phenomenal. Easily the best he's ever looked, in my opinion. And we always go back to that 2023 grand final. Like, if they had won, he could have won a bloody Clive. That's how good he was for that grand final. He was outstanding. Another try for Jesse Arthurs, 15 runs, 145 metres, 40 post contact, 3 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks. I thought Jesse Arthurs was outstanding, but the main man for me was Adam Reynolds. A masterclass from him, an absolute masterclass.
Yeah, just like a fine wine, isn't he?
Yeah.
Every time you think sort of, the injuries might set in, and like even this pre-season, he was in doubt to start the year, and you went, it's starting to get the best of him. His body, he's been through a lot over the years. He's just getting better and better. And, I really love for him, like, he's such a crafty and smart footballer, and we know for many years he's had one of the best kicking games in the competition. I love that he makes a competition with his kicking game all the time. So, like, look at sides like the Warriors seem to be doing it this year, and the Knights did it last year, where they just put up these sort of deep kicks and they don't really look to contest anything. Every time Adam Reynolds kicks, particularly like around from about the opposition 40. Instead of just putting it up and, jamming him down in their corner, whatever it might be, he just asks a question of them.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of times he'd sort of drop it just in between sort of Drinkwater and the defensive line, and they came up mistakes from it. There's always bodies chasing. They're super talented, Arthur's, Cobbo, brilliant footballers chasing it. And it asks questions and they get results so often.
Yeah.
Rather than just down there, defend it, whatever. It's very aggressive, and I'm just a massive fan.
Yeah, I will say, so the reason why a lot of teams don't contest, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you into a corner.
Yeah.
Because and it frustrates me because when commentators comment on it, it's I'm just so surprised that they don't know. It is such basic rugby league knowledge. If you kick into a corner and you aren't challenging, the reason is you're trying to catch that player as soon as he touches the ground so that you can then get the fence to run in and jam in the next play. Whereas if I go up for it and miss and knock it on, it bounces 5 meters and they pick up the ball and then run towards the middle of the field. That whole set is dead. It's a schmozzle. They could break the line. Their next run, there's no line speed set, and so that's why teams do it. It's because they're trying to set up to attack with their defense. It's the whole thing is planned. It's all about. We used to call it red sets or cage sets, where it's a cage kick into the corner. You grab them before they hit the ground, so you can hold them up. Another guy comes in, the play the ball is super slow, and then the next play, you've got 4 or 5 forwards absolutely screaming out of line to jam the winger.
And who's the best at it in the NRL? The Penrith Panthers. They're incredible at it.
Yep.
It's in the commentary when they do it, and they're there's got to be bodies there pushing up and competing for the ball. It's as you said, it's
planned.
101.
Yeah, it's planned. Now, I will say there have been moments where I go, okay, if you were playing the Penrith Panthers, what is one way that you might get the bounce of the ball to bounce your way? And I thought the Roosters did it really well against them because they've got such tall wingers, is they did compete for every single bomb that went toward the corners. And so I do think there is a time and place to compete for those cage kicks or those bomb kicks. And so it's just a balance of the two. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to enter the grind, or are you trying to put pressure on the outside backs so they're look at Kayo Weeks. As soon as DCE sniffed out that he was nervous under the high ball, about 20 friggin' bombs went up, and it's arguably lost in the game. From that point on, the Raiders were gone.
That's it. And as I said, there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's different methods based on different scenarios. Who are your wingers? What type of footy are you trying to play that game? How are you trying to win this game? Is it to grind it, or are you trying to outscore them? A bunch of different ways. You're not going to do that against, if you've got, the worst winger in the competition under a high ball, you're not going to do it to them. You're going to ask questions of them. You're going to challenge them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Anyway, another guy I want to give a shout is Shibasaki.
Mm-hmm.
When he was getting selected initially, I'm sitting there going look, Madge, I totally get the idea that you're going for, and everyone that ticks a box, but sometimes when you've got guns, you've just got to pick the gun. But he's been proven right so far. Outside of that one poor read against the Roosters, Shibasaki's been pretty good, and on the weekend he was outstanding.
Well, mate,
18 runs, 176 metres, 61 post contact, 4 tackle breaks, a line break, 12 tackles, only 1 miss.
He's doing that dirty work, isn't he? And
Yeah.
that game was an arm wrestle for the first 30, 35 minutes, and it was busted open with Reynolds throwing that beautiful short ball for Shibasaki, who sort of came in field, straight through the guts of him, went away. I think 2 tackles later, Reynolds show and go, scored himself. The shackles had really been broken.
Yep.
And that busted the game open for the Broncos, I thought. And
absolutely.
Just Shibasaki rolling the sleeves up. Strong boy, really strong.
And I think that's what Madge loves, is just big outside backs that can, you look at his selections for New South Wales Blues, just a big back line that could take, run for 200 metres each. He was great. We've already spoken about Payne Haas. Look, Paddy Carrigan, I feel like he's just going to fly under the radar all year, because 21 runs, 199 metres, 59 post contact, 2 tackle breaks, an offload, 28 tackles, 0 misses, 0 errors. Anyone else is doing that, we're ranting and raving, but because he's with Payne Haas, that's going even crazier. But what a platform to lay if both your front rows are running for 200 metres.
It's such a ridiculous front row.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The fact that Carrigan knocks out these numbers, and it's you don't even feel like talking about him, because it's Haas next to him, he's going to outdo him every week because he's generational freak. And
I will say, I've loved Kobe Hetherington 13. How many times do you see him just chop a bloke with his great tackle technique? He just cleans everything up through the middle. I will say, I'm getting concerned with Walshy, because usually when a star player is out of form, they're still playing at like a 7 out of 10. Like, let's say, for example, when Teddy was out of form, he was still playing bloody 7.5, 8 out of 10. It was just, he wasn't at his peak. The worry I have for Walshy is like, he's almost costing games. Like, he's having like he's had like, I think it's 9 errors in 2 games or something like that. He's just got to, and look, I don't know what direction he's get. So maybe Madge is just saying, mate, because Madge after the game, he said, look, every player's been through this, like every star has been through this, and he's right. Every star, this is not unique to Walshy. I think the only unique part to Walshy is just like the amount of errors. Like most players, because most players aren't like gunslingers like Walshy, they'll try a lot of things. And so I don't know what he's saying to Walshy, but if I was the coach, I'd be saying, mate, because I personally feel like Walshy, he is falling in love too much with the identity of I'm a ball player. Like I'm just a ball player. And I reckon Walshy just needs to get back to what you are, which is an outside back. You're an outside back. And the number one thing outside backs have is their ball running. Like that's their athleticism. And I just reckon he needs to, anything outside the red zone, just run it, bro. Until you can get your confidence back, you don't need to have those crazy passes that you had a couple of years ago. Just run. And then eventually that will come back into your game. I think he's too pass happy. He's always thinking pass first instead of just tuck the ball and run, bro. Because otherwise, if he keeps having this amount of errors, you just can't have that in the side. Like you can't afford your fullback to having 4 or 5 errors a game. And what I will say, and I give the boys a lot of credit, and I love to see it, is every time he made that error, no one blew up at him. They immediately got back in the line and defended for him. And I love the fact that the boys have got Walshy's back like that. But I reckon, and I'm not sure what Madge is saying, but if I was a coach, I'd be saying, Reece, just run it. Don't even think about passing it. Just run the ball. Everything else will fall into place. Just keep running the ball.
Yeah, it's a hard one to sugarcoat with Walshy because last week he had a stinker against the Raiders and he sort of went, this is Reece Walsh at the moment. There'll be a lot more highs than lows, but there will be down games because he chances his arm so much. But he's had back-to-back shockers and... again, while I was probably a little bit more critical of the Cowboys than you, mate, the Cowboys were a chance in this game of winning it. Reece Walsh couldn't have done much more wrong. Like, the ball to Arthurs was a cracker for the try, but he made 5 errors in this game and just, as we keep saying, it's not through a lack of effort. The effort is there.
Yeah, and he's actually, his defence has improved immensely, as in he's behind the ball. He's way fitter.
But he tries to do everything at such ridiculous speed, which makes him so hard to defend, but it's almost just like, mate, slow it down a little bit.
Yep.
Like, he's trying to throw these big, crazy balls going a million miles an hour. Like, just slow it down a little bit. It's concerning because fortunately it didn't pan out this way. And look, it wasn't super close in the end, but if they were to lose this game, unfortunately it would have come down to Walsh because the Broncos as a 17 did just about everything right, mate. Like, they come against a good Cowboys pack in this game, but they controlled the game pretty well. They were high completion. They did all of that, and the Cowboys were still in with a chance. I think what I would love to see from Reece Walsh, and you talk about simplifying his game a little bit and go run first. You've got Payne Haas there, who's been given this license to offload. Just follow the big fella, and not just him, but Paddy Carrigan, a few of these blockbuster middle forwards. Like, can you imagine Pappenhausen or Tedesco in a side with Payne Haas, Carrigan? They would just be sniffing around the ruck, and every time they get their hand free, boom, gone. And Walsh is arguably quicker off the mark than definitely Teddy, but Pappy as well. Just sniff around the ruck off Payne Haas, and he will be devastating through the middle.
Yeah. I just think that the worry for Walsh is 4 or 5 errors. Like, he's just the highs and lows. Like, he is truly either fucking unbelievable or I just think that tuck the ball, mate. Just run the ball. Just run it. He's fast. His first 10's fast. His top speed is actually not that fast at all. His first 10 is electric. Mate, I would just be telling him, like, it's the time and place. If you are in their red zone, throw the crazy ball. Because you're in the red zone, give it a crack. But anything outside of that, tuck the ball and just run. Have 20 runs a game. Just 20 hit-ups a game. And that will get you back into the game. As I said, I think he's just become... And it's hard because, everyone's expecting him to be that guy that has that crazy pass. So, even probably at training, Madge is probably trying to cultivate that because that's his positive. But I would just be going super back to the basics. Remind him that you're an outside back, you're an explosive athlete. Just run the ball first, and then everything will take care of itself.
And that's the thing, mate. Like, it's all good and well saying, he might have 3 unbelievable games to 1 bad game, but you can't have that bad game come an elimination final. Because if he has that game, that'll cost him potentially a premiership. Because the calibre of this Brisbane side at the moment has the potential to win a premiership, and Walsh is going to spearhead that in attack. But if he's off come finals time and he does have these lows, that's the Broncos done for the season.
Yeah, gone. Like we completed at 84% on the weekend. If he let's say he made no errors, we probably completed at 90%, which is a huge difference. So I hope he can sort it. I really do, because he definitely looks a bit off at the moment.
I thought there was one moment in the game where I felt
good 40-20 though.
That's what I was going to say. I thought he was going to ride the momentum of that 40-20 in about the 20th minute-ish, because that was elite. Pinpoint, only
great kick.
Just before the corner post. But after that he kind of went back to pushing a few passes and all that sort of stuff. But as we know, like, there's an absolute gun player there. It's just a matter of time until it clicks again, and then that's on top of the rest of the team that's already playing really well. When he gets going, it's going to be scary.
The risky thing is it's great to run with the ball in 2 hands at that speed, but the ball is so insecure when you run like that. You just need a little bump on your hand and it's gone. So, run first. Outside of that, like Benny Hunt has just been such a bloody good addition to this side. His defence was much improved on the weekend, I thought.
And that's the thing, mate. Sorry to circle back to Walsh, but still pretty young. His development, despite being a freak, probably a bit slower than it could have been in terms of his decision making. Reece Walsh this year next to both Reynolds and Ben Hunt. Like, what a place. He'll learn so much off them.
He'll learn heaps. Absolutely. So, bloody good win from the Broncos, though. As a team, they couldn't have done much more. Like, even when the ball wasn't bouncing their way, the Cowboys had them under pressure. They were super patient, super mentally tough. Just a bloody good win from the boys. Super proud. Alrighty. Good day. Use code DMP for 10% off, and begoodhealth.com.au. You can also pair that with a subscription. That'll get you 20% off. So make sure to grab some Good Day. I had mine this morning. I always have mine every single morning. Doesn't matter where I am, because I just take the little satchel with me. I put in my water, shake it up, drink it. It's the best. Don't forget as well, grab some Grumpy Coffee from grumpycoffee.com.au. Alrighty, Sharks defeat the Rabbitohs 27-12. And this is one of those games where Rabbitohs finally got what they kind of deserved in regards to how they'd been playing. Don't get me wrong, I think they deserve a lot of credit for the grit and toughness they've shown to just somehow, some way get the win over the last couple of weeks. However, eventually you've got to pay the piper. And I think they did that on the weekend. They got up against a really good side that, if I'm being honest, probably should have run 40-12, but they just put the cue on the rack and kind of coasted home. I think the Rabbitohs deserve a bit of credit for coming out in the second half and, hanging in there. But I think it just showed you the huge gap between an injury-ravaged Rabbitohs and a Sharkies team that is playing like a top 4 team. Matter of fact, there's an argument to be made that the Sharkies have been the most consistent out of any team in the competition so far.
Yep.
They've played essentially 7 to 8 out of 10 every week so far this year. Whereas, like, you've got the Storm that were like a 9 out of 10, and then, you're probably a 6 out of 10 against the Panthers. You've got the Panthers that were probably an 8 out of 10. Then they were a fucking 3 out of 10. Then they were probably like a 9 out of 10. You know what I mean? So there is a consistency about the Sharks that I think Sharkies fans can be really happy about. With the Rabbitohs, I just think they're missing so many key players. Like 27-12. And I know if you actually watched the game, the gap was much wider. But 27-12... I'd be pretty happy with that when you consider where the Rabbitohs are in regards to injuries and all that kind of stuff. What do you reckon?
I think that I'm seeing more and more early on this season, probably just the golfing class, that gap in class between the best and the worst sides. Now, I'm not pigeonholing and saying that was exactly the bunnies here for the reasons that you mentioned, Kempy, injuries, all of that. But I just think there's a very clear distinction between the best sides in the competition and the weaker sides, and the best ones being, I know Penrith got done last week by the Roosters, but generally speaking, Penrith and the Storm, the Sharkies. I know Manly were upset last week, but they still look outstanding to me. And some of the margins in games this season early on have been quite big blowouts. Again, 27-12. I'm not saying it's all this game. I just wanted to make the point at some point that, yeah, the best and the lesser teams in the competition, I don't feel like we've seen it this clearly this early on. Would you agree or not?
Yeah, it's a tough one because Broncos got beat by the Raiders. Then Raiders get towed up by Manly. Roosters upset Panthers.
But this is the NRL. Like, there's always going to be upsets.
Yeah.
And there's the lower place teams.
I
are going
see
to
what
cause
you mean in
upsets.
regards to, like, it's very clear who the top tier sides are this year. Even though the Broncos went down to Raiders and struggled or whatever, you'd have them as a top tier side at the moment, at least. You'd definitely have Sharkies as a top tier side. It's very clear Melbourne and Penrith are a top tier side.
Like Storm, I think Sharks and Panthers could so easily be, even with the Panthers losing 2 games already, could so easily just be the top 3 this year. And then you sort of have that Broncos, Seagulls, and then from there, I feel like there's quite a big gap.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see, like, because some of the lower tier sides are dealing with massive injuries at the moment. So it's like, it's hard to measure, what a full strength Rabbitohs side, what does that look like? We actually don't know yet at the moment.
And that's what I said. Like, I just want to bring it up somewhat. It's not necessarily saying the Rabbitohs, because once they get the Troll back and a few faces back, like, they can push for top 4 all going well. But, yeah.
There definitely is a gap. Like, I think if we're all being fair dinkum, like, the Panthers and Melbourne, and if you want to go Panthers and Melbourne are 1, you could argue the Sharks are 1B. Like, they got a bit closer. But I think if you were genuinely just sit there and go, there is a tier of Panthers, Melbourne, and Sharkies, I think.
I'm just looking at some of these, like, teams putting on 50 early on in the season, some 30, 40-point margins, which I feel like you don't really see early on. Geez, you get to later on in the year when a weaker side does have a bunch of injuries hit and they get a full-strength Panthers or Storm or something, there's going to be some big scores.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
That Sharks first 40 is probably the best I've seen them play at this time of the season since Fitzy took over.
Mm-hmm. And, like, to go from Vegas to Townsville, then now their first home game, like, they've covered some Ks. It hasn't been an easy start to the season for them.
I just love how mentally tough they are. Like, I love the fact that they have all these excuses to have a 1 down game so far this year. Like, they, went over to Vegas, they came back, did the job, and then this week they could have easily gone, all right, like, we've travelled a lot, let's look for excuses. They didn't. If anything, they were the ones that looked energised, and the Rabbitohs were the ones that looked fatigued, like they'd gone over to Vegas. So we'll stick with the Sharkies first. Your overview of the
No, the Shark. I've been like I said pre-season that I reckon they're in touch with those top teams and could have a bit of a charge. They've firmed up quite a bit. I was just going to touch on their betting price. They're now into single figures to win the comp.
Wow,
$9.50. So they started the season at about $17, $18.
Wow,
they've halved that in 3 games of footy. So the market agrees that they've been one of the more consistent teams.
Now we'll speak about Sharkies and then we'll get to the Rabbitohs.
But before going player specific, Kempy.
Yep.
And we've also touched on this earlier on the season, but you can just see the Sharkies just reaping the rewards of... we said they're like title contenders this year. I don't think anyone disagrees with that, but 3 rounds in, it's all going to plan. Like, they've got this fully fit roster, but they're reaping the rewards of just keeping this squad together year in, year out in the last 3 or 4 years. Naturally, a couple of changes here, but in particular, like their spine of Brayley, Nico, Trindle, who's been in and out a little bit, but then Will Kennedy... You look at Nico running these unbelievable lines off Nico Hines. Just everyone, the combinations are so in sync with each other.
That line from Nicola was filthy.
Don't they just...
It was filthy.
Yeah, no one was stopping that.
Look like they understand each other, the bloke inside and outside of the game so well. And this is the thing, like when you have a big roster overhaul and changing faces, even if stars have come in, it takes time. The Sharkies... They're playing on the same page.
Yeah, and like what I love is the Sharks. There's no egos in this side. There's no bloke that thinks they're bigger than the team. Like, you got a Dally M winner that's willing to take a backseat to essentially a rookie. I know he's not a rookie, but Trindle, you could put him in the rookie class of, like, I think he's played 60 games now, something like that.
He hasn't been an established NRL player. Like, he's been in and
out. And so there's just no ego in this side. There is no ego. Everyone does their job. They're having fun. They look happy. But the main man I want to speak about is Will Kennedy. All this pressure heading into this year. And we were there too. I think we were all sitting there going, look, there's going to be pressure on that fullback role. And if Kennedy doesn't start the year well, I mean, not even the year. We were all saying he needs to trial well. That's how precarious his situation was. And I think he's back to his best, Will Kennedy. I think there's no... I'd be very surprised if I found a Sharky fan that isn't happy with Will Kennedy so far this year. And that's a testament to Will Kennedy. You know, he could have kicked rocks and, you know, been like, hang on a sec, like, my position's up for grabs. Like, you have to remember, he played the first trial. Like, that is a strong message from Fitzgibbon saying, I'm going to play a bloke that might be at 100 NRL games in the first trial. He's basically saying to Kennedy, it's now or never for you. He steps up. He doesn't kick rocks. He's easily playing as good as he's ever have, maybe better than he's ever played. I thought on the weekend it was one of his best games he's ever played. And he's a real point of attack for him now. Like, he's no longer a guy that, he doesn't make many errors. Kind of, you always, last year you would get outside a game and you go, oh, Kennedy was solid, but it was never a point of attack. I think this year you could argue he's one of their main weapons in attack.
Yeah, and he's a great example for, like, kids coming through the grades and juniors who, you know, want to play fullback, and they're coming up against people who are lightning quick or who are super strong. And, like, at NRL level, that a lightning quick fullback might be Reece Walsh or Ryan Pappenhausen, and how do I compete with that? Or super strong like Latrell, where how do I compete with that? Someone like Will Kennedy's a bit like a Clint Gutherson, where it goes, he's very fit, covers a lot of miles, and as long as you're nailing your 3-on-2s and getting those right, you're safe under the high ball, you're running for your 150, 200 metres, your support plays there off the back of a Nudden, Fanua, Blake, whoever it might be. You do all of those things at 80 to 100% every week, and we talked about the volatility of Reece Walsh before. Kennedy can just be this rock-solid player and have an impact on games, and with his back against the wall a little bit and under pressure to start the season, like, what a response it's been from him. You now go, he is impacting games, he's having a big role in attack, and at least for the short-term future, the spot's his.
Yeah, and he's creating opportunities for the men outside him. And just to further your point, like, is he the fastest? Is he the strongest? Is he the biggest? No, he's not. But I actually think his footy IQ is quite high. Like, and I think that's what his weapon is knowing where to be at the right time, knowing when to throw that 3-on-2 pass, when not to throw that 3-on-2 pass. I think he deserves a massive rap. I really do. A lot of pressure coming into this year. You know, not even just his position, but, you know, if you're a part of the squad, everyone's talking about the Sharks. They're in a window right now, and everyone's talking about. And the key spot where they need to take a level up is fullback. That's where if he takes a step up, that's when they can win the comp. So it's not just like, or they can at least challenge for a comp. So it's not just his position that's putting pressure on. You could almost argue whether they can charge for a premiership or not is whether he plays well, and he's responded well to that. He's been bloody outstanding. What do you think about Will Kennedy, mate? Unbelievable.
Yeah, he was one that I said coming into the season, I was on board. I went, pressure might be on a little bit.
Yep.
But you've spoken about how the Sharks are potentially the most consistent team so far this year. He has played an 8 out of 10 game every game so far this season as well. Combined very well with Iro. Put him away for a couple of those line breaks the other day. Yeah, just picking his moments really well to, as you said, kind of throw that pass, spin it on the first or after he's received the ball. He's looked really good, and if he can get back to his best or maintain this style of footy, for me that was something that the Sharkies, they needed a weapon at fullback, and last year probably a little bit quieter than we're used to from him, but at the moment he's playing some of his best footy. He's looking really good.
Absolutely, I think Fitzy deserves a massive rap too. It's how often do we see coaches, they've got a delicate balance in the hand. They've got some young guns in New South Wales Cup killing it. They got a really good fullback that's not at his potential. He's not playing as well as and they go the route of alienating that player or putting too much pressure on them or trying to change them to be a different player. And he hasn't done that. He's cultivated and made Kennedy the type, he's lent into Kennedy's strength. So he deserves a massive rap.
Side note, it was about 2 weeks ago to be fair, so going back, but to out depth and the competition, poor Liam Ison did his ACL.
Poor fella. Sucks. Absolutely sucks.
Tell you what, they've had an incredibly good run of injuries, the Sharkies, the last 18 months, and to start this year in the top grade. But geez, their cup side and their depth is that fullback slot between Dykes and Ison and that. It's a good thing Will Kennedy has been durable.
Yep. Now, I've got to speak about him. Hines and Trindle. They are just getting better and better and better. And as I said, we talk about playing without ego. This was a game where they both had a hot hand. But I think that if 12 months ago, if both of them had the hot hand, I think they'd probably step on each other's toes. But now they've developed so much. they're so in sync that they can both have the hot hand. Like, and that's the sign of a bloody good halves pairing, where both of them, like Hines was outstanding. Like peak internet, put the result up. First comment, Trindle just proves how much better than Hines he is. And I'm just like, what do we watch? Like, are you obsessed with Hines? Like, he had a bloody good game. Trindle also had a bloody good game. But Sharkies win and you still are having cracks at Hines. Like, it is getting weird. It is, honestly, how obsessed some people are on the internet with Hines. It's getting strange. I'd get it if they lost or something and you want to, okay, he's the star player, he's an easy scapegoat. But after that performance, very strange. I have to say that because it is genuinely getting weird how obsessed some people are.
They're both allowed to play well.
Yeah, like they both played well.
Wrong with that. And in fact, the team's looking better now that they are. You know, one of them knows when to step back a little bit. The other one run the show. Yeah, I reckon they're great. And they do complement each other really well when they kind of get into this mode. You have a look at the stats, and Hines did a lot more running. You know, ran for over 100 metres. That's his strength. Had 10 runs as well.
Try assist.
Yep, absolutely. So still doing all that good stuff as well, but probably playing to his strength a little bit more, you know, doing a bit more running of the ball. So, yeah, I think they're combining really well. They're shaping up as a good combo.
Trying to work out like where these two are going to be in the field and trying to plan to defend them. Like, good luck with it. Like, I have no idea. I don't know if they know at times, but they seem to be making it work. And I'm really liking. There's probably a little bit more of it on the weekend, but the week before was different. And we'd spoken about it, but Trindle sort of playing as a bit more of that traditional not traditional number 7, but like the first receiver.
Yep.
And because like Nico's so deceptively quick, his first couple of steps. And he's just got some nifty little footwork where he'll sort of shape in and away and just he'll make defenders plant.
Yeah.
And then he gets half an inch and then he takes a mile. I like him swinging both sides as that second receiver because his ball playing so good. He's got that speed. He's got that footwork.
And he's played fullback at a high clip.
Exactly. And it's basically that fullback role when he's sweeping both sides. And, yeah, I think the Hines, not so much control, but just Trindle as first receiver more often than not. Hines sweeping both sides. Lethal.
Yeah, absolutely lethal. And just with Trindle, 240-20s. Like, this team has gone from a team with, you know, this great spine that's, you know, looking really strong. Now they're adding a kicker that can ping the ball around the park like that, because that was Hines' weakest point, like his weakness. I felt like when he played Origin, that he just struggled in his kicking game. And as a 7, especially in Origin, you just got to have a good kicking game. And granted, it's because he hasn't played much 7, so he hasn't had time to work on it. And what's special now is Hines, his short kicking game is actually quite good. Short kicking game, even mid to small to middle kick is all right. But you add in Trindle's big boot now that can kick 40-20s. Like, it's such, what I love about it as well, it's such a unique pairing. Like, tell me another halves pairing that is similar to Hines and Trindle. Like, you just can't find it.
Don't know.
And so if you can land this and continue growing and cultivating this, as you said earlier, like video sessions are almost impossible because...
I don't know if there's a halves combo in the comp or not that comes to the top of mind, that there's less of a clear role in like who's the 7, who's the 6. Like, it changes every week.
Yeah, absolutely. Like 1 week, I think last week Hines had more kicks than Trindle. And so they deserve a massive rap, especially with the amount of noise around this. Like, I've always been quite surprised at the noise because with the Sharks, they're a small club. Like, I always understand noise around big clubs, you know, like the Roosters or, you know, your Penrith or your Broncos or your Rabbitohs or even the Bulldogs, because, like, they're big clubs. So I get it. But I never understood, like, the Sharkies is arguably one of the smaller clubs in the competition. But the noise around that halves pairing has just been, it's been one of the main headlines. And I think that, again, Trindle, Hines, Kennedy, Brayley and Fitzy, and whoever is their attacking coach, I'm not sure. Could you check who their attacking coach is? They deserve a massive rap because they've just kept everything in-house, been really patient and really just created an environment for growth. I think that's what Fitzgibbon has done really well. It's just an environment for growth.
Well, you always say, Kemp, you refer to, like, you know, when there's noise off the field and how the impact of that on field, and, you know, a club that's happy, there's never any noise coming out of it. I feel like for 18, well, probably longer, 2 years, there's just been no noise out of the Sharks. Like, whether it's coaching, player unrest, anything. Correct me if I'm missing anyone or anything, but they feel like they're in such good place at the moment.
Yeah, and there's when all these headlines happens around a club, that's when you start to see how strong a club really is, because that can create tension within a playing group when there's all this, like, headlines around Hines and this, that, and the next thing. if one player reads into it too much and starts almost like holding a bitterness towards the players around, you know what I mean? Like it can have chinks in the armour. So they deserve a massive rap because I thought Hines and Trindle were phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. What you got there, Matty?
It just says assistant coaches Josh Hannay, Daniel Holdworth, and Steve Price.
Interesting. So, yeah, Steve Price, obviously a former head coach at the Dragons. Hannay went for a lot of head coaching roles. He's apparently he's a huge part of the Queensland setup as well, Hannay.
Yep. And Handy Holdsworth as well.
Yeah, Handy Holdsworth. So, yeah, good setup there. And they probably don't get enough credit, that coaching staff. But, yeah, they deserve all the credit that they get. And Adam Fennell-Blake, once again, just getting through his work, like, seriously.
Another week where I think he only played 49, 50 minutes just because, which is plenty, don't get me wrong, but there will be tougher games and tighter games where they need him to play bigger minutes, and it all helps.
Yep, and his body by the end of the year, he's going to feel $1 million because he's not playing like 60, 70 minutes every single week. So great stuff from him. Britton Nikora, that line that he ran, just
ran
phenomenal.
it a couple of times too.
Yeah.
That one in particular, it was like a shot out of a cannon or
Jesus.
something. Like, I don't think many teams in the competition would have stopped him on that run.
Mate, and the tough thing is that the reason why the gap opened up is because the defender inside, he was just trying to put pressure on, was it Trindle or Hines? Was it Trindle or Hines that threw that ball? Hines. Like, you're always told in the defensive line, put pressure on the halves. And so, the Sharks have identified that and said if they're going to put pressure on Hines all the time, there is going to be room in behind that player. And just go, read it like a book. Thanks for coming.
It was an odd one defensively, wasn't it? Because, it was good from the Sharks and Nico and Nikora, but it was soft. I think whoever it was, pressured Nico, quite shot up, and it opened that gap in behind.
Like, if he stays back, he would be able to slide off and be able to at least make contact. Because, the problem is that if Keon slides in right to fill that hole, then he's almost leaving a gap outside. It's a tough
Keon
one.
was in no man's land, though.
Yeah.
He was like...
It's tough,
I think he had an eye looking out the back, but it was like, you would have the same, Kempy. The coaches, I was always taught, if they score on the edge and they strip us and the winger scores in the very corner, if they're going to do it, score against us, let it be like that. Do not let us go through the front gate. Solve what happens inside you first, and once that ball goes past you, you turn and you chase. But never turn, it's all about don't turn your hips until that ball has gone past you. And that one there was just that was a gaping hole through the middle of the field.
See, the only thing in Keon's defence, although we would have wanted him to make that play, I'm not excusing it and saying he shouldn't have, but in his defence, Nikora ran into the hole that was created by the defender that put pressure on Hines. So basically, let's say you got two defenders here. This is Keon. This is the defender. He shoots out like that. They could have ran in behind him like that. So it's a lot of space to cover quickly. As I said, I'm with you, mate. You should always take the short runner. Just blindly take him. If anything, just blindly take him.
And I think it's more that. Firstly, the line was unbelievable, but I don't think he touched him. Did he?
Didn't get near him.
I think that if it was all right. Ran the line, the defender jammed on Nico, that gap was created, and Keon sort of went across and went to Matt Table, fell off him fine, very hard. It was a massive hole.
I guess in Keon's defence, if the defender stayed in the line and didn't put pressure on Hines, Nikora would have probably ran straight into him. So it was that far inside Keon. So
anyway.
But Keon is an Origin player, so you would hope that he would. I'm sure next time Keon is just going to take that lead runner and not even worry about out the back because it's such a tough decision to make. But great line by Nikora. In regards to Cam McInnes, got through a bunch of work, thought he was outstanding. Who didn't play well for the Sharkies? Look, if you wanted to be nitpicky, you could say they should have put the foot down and won 40-0. I felt like if there's anything Fitzgibbon could look at, it's the fact that, come on, boys, we should have beaten them by 40 and we just chilled out in that second half because they actually got outscored in the second half. But in regards to other performances, outstanding. Mulatalo, mate, him getting out of his own goal line and them, they scored 2 of tries of the year.
Yeah.
Literally 2 tries in that game you could argue were tries of the year. Mulatalo getting out of his own in-goal and then passing it across like he did. Then it was, who did it go to? Did it go straight to Ito or somewhere else? And then to Ito. Anyway, whoever it went to, just an incredible length of the field try. Incredible. And they did twice.
Yeah. Weren't they remarkable tries? And it's the sign of just such a confident football team, right? Like, yes, there's ability to do this, but the spreading of the balls, like the Kennedy try in the corner, from when Stone Street caught that ball to when Kennedy scored in the corner, it spanned over 30 seconds, there was 7 passes, or went through 7 different hands. Like, that was brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, that's a scary thing with the Sharks is they're just adding things to their game. Like, they're not staying the same, stagnant of like, they're adding the fact that they can attack from anywhere. Like, they had it to a degree, last year, but I would argue to be able to do it this early in the year, to be this synced up, it's a special thing.
Yeah.
Special thing. Mulatalo, great game. Ito, great game. Now, on to the Rabbitohs. Unfortunately, they kind of got what they deserved in regards to the roll of the dice is only going to roll to your favour so many times before you're not going to be able to have a get out of jail free card. And I think that they finally ran into a game where good opposition is not going to let them get back into games. And we looked at the Dragons game, and then you look at the Dolphins game before that. Like, both games, the Dolphins the Dolphins could have probably won that game. The Dragons could have probably won that game. They didn't. And I just felt like we looked at this game and the Rabbitohs needed to be at their absolute best. They weren't. Yes, it is good that they won the second half to a degree, I guess. But, just blown off the park, really.
They were blown off the park. And, the 2 tries in the last 11 minutes. One was off a kick. One was off that Jamie Humphries quick tap. Look, the Sharks, that Sharks roster compared to the Bunnies roster with all their injuries is significantly better. It'll be a bit different once the Rabbitohs do hopefully get a full-strength team back at some point. But,
not a single player in the forwards over 100 metres.
As you said, the one positive take from it is that they came out, they were getting belted in the first half. They came out and won the second half. Even if the tries were a bit fortuitous and however it might have been, they showed the defensive good in the second half that was much better. So there's ticker there. I think there was just a bit of a gap in class from the 2 squads that ran out.
Yeah, some positives. Mamazella, 63 tackles. Like, just the fact that he could get through that kind of work is pretty incredible. Campbell Graham, he had a few misreads in defence, if I recall correctly, but in attack, he just kept turning up. 19 runs, 166 metres, 3 offloads, a line break assist. But, there just really wasn't that much to...
Humphries made the most tackles for a halfback ever since 2008 with 45.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. According to a random stats guy.
Yeah. Rando, killing it again. So... Yes, you can look at those things and say, okay, look, you've got Humphries and Mamazelis, who are 2 rookies that they never gave up. Like, they still kept tackling, they still kept turning up. Like, that many tackles between them. That's over 100 tackles between them, between 2 rookies, essentially.
Yeah.
So you can look at that and look, I think this Rabbitoh side, at least this year, I don't think anyone could question their fight. They've fought every game. That's what's won them in a lot of their games. I just think it's their execution that's been just really, really poor.
It was also, not to make excuses for the Bunnies, because they, completely outplayed. It's one of them games where just nothing went right, did it? Like, every pass they tried to throw was just a little off, went to ground. It was just, they gritted their way to two wins in the first 2 weeks, and a few things fell their way. This week, it just all went pear-shaped. You're right, execution just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And they created a few half opportunities, and that last pass just never stuck.
And even in defence, like Ravalawa and Graham were just totally out of sync. That try where Graham is trying to shoot up to shut stuff down, and Ravalawa is sliding. Now, granted, it's his first game in the club. He literally just arrived this week. But, just tough.
The one for the Trindle try, Ravalawa, I know what he was trying to do, but there was a sort of a 2-on-1 and he was backpedaling. Trindle almost dives over untouched. When he does it, Ravalawa's backpedaled that far. He was a metre behind the line just watching it happen. I'm like,
It's so bad.
That.
I just cut him some slack. I know that he does have that tendency, Ravalawa, but first game, it wasn't just him. No one really played well, to be honest. The problem with the Rabbitohs is we could sit here and go, he needs to be dropped. That's not good enough. This, the blah, 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 blah. But, who do they have? They're decimated. Like, what would you do, Matty, if you were the coach as a fan?
Oh, I mean, you just wait for the team to come back. like AJ and Latrell are coming back in 2 weeks. Cam's obviously out for the year, but like Latrell's the guy. So it's I reckon when this all happened, if they said you'll be 2 from 3 in the first 3 games, I would have eaten that up in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Unfortunately, got Penrith next week, but yeah.
And it was 27-12. Like, that's not... Like, I know it flatters when you actually watch the match. It was never close. But it's not that bad.
I didn't I know it's only a small one, but like Lachlan Hubner was a big minute lock forward the first 2 rounds of the season, so he's suspended as well out of there. He'll come back for that round 5. So, I mean, it's a daunting prospect playing Penrith this week, coming off that loss. Granted, you've got him without Cleary, which is huge, but get to round 5, you get Latrell back in there, you get Hubner back in there. Hopefully, you can stay injury-free, and you know we know what they can offer the Bunnies, so it'll come. It's just keeping blokes on deck, isn't
Thank
it?
God Jai Gray didn't get suspended, because then we'd be in big trouble this week.
Yeah, so it's tough to talk about the Rabbitohs because I think everyone kind of knows the situation they're in. Like, you're not going to sit here and make changes. You're not going to be too harsh on anyone because it's like, okay, yeah, you could look at the forward pack and say, mate, how come not a single one of you ran over 100 metres? Like, that's not good enough. Yeah, so we'll see. We will see. Alrighty, on to the next game. The next game is the Dolphins v. the Tigers. Wowee. What a win for the Tigers. Okay, are the Dolphins playing their best footy? Probably not. However, they were leading, and it was looking like, oh, okay, here we go. The same old Tigers rock up. Great first 2 rounds, but they go up against the Dolphins side, and they just haven't really turned up the way we thought they would. But they did. They did turn it around. They did make the big play. And I'll tell you what the big play for me was. I've already put a video up on my Instagram. But, this is the difference. This is the difference between high-class halves and rookie halves. So the game's in the balance. You're in the arm wrestle, and Luai says, get the ball to me, boys, get beside me. We're kick chasing, and we're going to attack without offence. Whereas what would happen if you've got a rookie half or a half that's not on Luai's level, he just does a normal kick, and he just kind of does his job. He kind of sits in his shell. Whereas Luai's like, no, we need to turn this game without offence. And so what does he do? He puts a bomb up. Appy chases down hard. He knocks it back. Lockie Galvin grubbers through. They lock Asako in his corner. And then, what do you know? Fainu from, I'm pretty sure, is he on the right edge?
Left edge usually.
So left edge, sorry. Yeah, no, sorry. Fainu comes around from the left edge onto the right side of the play the ball and absolutely jams Bostock. Mm-hmm. He drops the ball. They score 3 minutes later. Then they score again from Api Koroisau later. But that was a turning point.
Yep.
And that all came off something as simple as Luai communicating with his kick chase and saying, we are going to attack without offence. You didn't have that in yesteryear. Like even Lockie Galvin as a rookie, like he's going to learn that as he gets older. And granted, it was Lockie Galvin that was on the chase. But think about it like this. Lockie, this is how premeditated this kick chase was. You had Lockie Galvin, Api Koroisau, and Luai all kick chase on the left side. So like you've got all of your key players looking to make change with their defence, like running across from the other side of the field to do this kick chase. And that's just that is why Luai was purchased. Like, did he throw the massive cutout ball or step 5 blokes and score the match winner? No, but that's where the match winner was, with Luai's experience to get the boys around him and say, this is how we turn the game with our defence. That's when the moment was won. And then you relied on Api Koroisau, gets out of dummy half, he isolates, like, just smart. You're on the line, you've got Cody Nikodima there, one of the smallest halves in the game. All I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out, take 2 steps and get safe after running a hard line and him in. And even if Cody Nikodima makes the tackle, he's still going to fall over him and score. So smart from Api Koroisau, and then 5-6 minutes later, dummies left, season opening, steps Gilbert, scores his try. And that's why you pay guys like Api and Luai the big bucks, because they make changes in games. And so, bloody good win for the Tigers. What do you think, Hammy?
It was outstanding. Nice little moment there where he stepped through Gilbert as well. Had plenty to say earlier in the game to some of the boys.
A lot of chitter chat.
A lot of chat going on. But, the key thing you mentioned there, a lot of those tries came 68th, 75th minute. Last year, the Tigers had a bit of a tendency, and in the several years before that, get to about the 65-minute mark, that's it. They stopped playing footy. You know, this year we're seeing a very different kind of approach. They're playing right until the end, even when they lost in round one. And they're coming up with big plays, like you just said, Jerome Luai. That happened in, you know, about the 66th minute where he goes, let's get down there, force an error with our defence. There's just a different, you know, intensity that they're playing games with. Like, they're playing right to the end. And to like kind of come back, you know, 3 tries in the last 15-ish minutes. It was not a very, you know, it's like a new Tigers. Very exciting. It was a great win, and I thought, some big plays from some big players in some key moments, which was really pleasing.
I will say that with the emergence of Bolle and Twal, the luxury to bring Hunt off the bench. I know you pushed quite hard for Hunt to come off the bench, and we were all a bit like, who's going to pick up the slack with May? Bolle has been unbelievable so far this year.
How about his footwork?
He is truly, like, he's gone to another level.
Yeah.
And so that gives you the luxury of bringing Hunt off the bench just to go absolutely wild and just take those massive carries and skittle the defence. And then you got Alex Twal, always been known for his defence. He looks outstanding in attack too. Like, if you had said to me, you know, I'm going to be ranting and raving about Bowl, May, Twal at the Tigers, like, you know, you wouldn't have expected that. They've been outstanding this year.
But what does that tell you as well? Like, you know, the players that have come in and the culture that they've kind of brought. And this is what I, you know, was saying. You know, I know it's in the early days.
Oh, sorry, Bolle. Is it Bolle? It's Bolle.
Bolle, yeah. But we saw it with the Dogs last year when Crichton got there. A lot of these players that had been there for a little while, like, went to a new level. You know, with some new leadership kind of around. So it looks like on the like from the outside looking in, guys like Twal, you know, Bolle, who have been kind of there and thereabouts, they're going to a new level under the new kind of, you know, this new system that they've got, and they're responding well to it, which is great.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll tell you what, we'll speak about him, but Terrell May, mate, so far, if he just keeps playing like this, surely he's got to be in the Blue squad. At the very least in the squad. If he keeps playing like this, it's a scary prospect to imagine a rotation of Barnett, Haas and May. Like, that's a pretty scary prospect in the front row, going up against maybe, you know, Tino, Carrigan, and Cotter. Like, that's a battle. It's a battle.
Yes. Well, just firstly, I think the lesson here, Kempy, is don't question me when it comes to the topic of Tigers bench rotations, because I rarely miss on that exact topic.
He knew Bolle and Twal were going to go to a whole nother level. You were ready for it.
Clip it up. No, I just think, before we get to May, I just think the Tigers' defensive structures, full stop, just have improved out of sight. And that first game in round one against the Knights, a sort of narrow loss, and I know people said, the scoreline flattered the Tigers a bit because there was a lot of line breaks and the Knights sort of didn't finish off a lot of opportunities. But firstly, a pretty new look side. It was like, I just sat there and went, no, like, the structures look way better. And I know it's early days, and I know they've just beaten the Eels and the Dolphins, who are winless to start the season, but you can only beat what's put in front of you. And
but also, they've won 3 spoons. Like, that's where they're at.
Exactly,
So,
And
fucking good.
But just structurally, they just look so much more sound than previous years. And I don't know, you know, firstly, does it continue? Time will tell. But, like, whoever's in charge of the defence, I don't know if they've brought in any new heads or what's happened, but they look just so much more confident and safe defending their line. I think the value of 2 really good defensive halves at the 3-man on both edges shows the value of that in Luai and Galvin, who are both tremendous. Like, conceded 3 tries in this game, but they conceded 3 line breaks, which is outstanding for the Tigers. So, on Terrell May, we chatted about it when we were doing Team of the Week, and Hammy, you pushed for him to be in the Team of the Week. I think...
Surprise.
Yeah, with his numbers that he's throwing up at the moment, and is probably going to continue if he stays fit, 65 minutes with these big runs and tackles, and he never misses them. He's one that you could nearly have in your Team of the Week, whether it's starting on the bench every week, because the numbers he's putting up are unreal.
Well, you know what? It's actually like Payne Haas numbers a couple of years ago, probably like 4 or 5 years ago.
They're very similar.
Like, very similar numbers to Payne Haas. And I mean, if he can keep growing the way Payne Haas did, you're laughing.
And on that Origin side, like, if he keeps doing this through until Origin and the Tigers keep playing good footy, it's going to be bloody hard to leave him out of that rotation.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment he's putting his hand up, and you know what I love about Terrell May is the fighter in him, the competitor. You know, he gets moved on from Roosters, and instead of being down and, you know, oh, life's hard and everyone hates me and everyone's against me and, you know, sooking really. We've seen plenty of players do it. He's gone, nah, fuck you. You know, you want to move me on for like for what we know, for no reason whatsoever, or just he didn't fit or whatever it was. And he's gone, okay, I'm going to go out and be, at the moment, in the running to win a Dally M. I know it's a long, long year, but right now he would be in the running to win a Dally M front row of the year. Like, that's a show of a champion, that he's going to get, rejected and moved on and all that kind of stuff, and he's going to come out and go, I'm going to be even better than what I was.
Mate, 3 rounds in, they'd be about $1 a piece. Him and Payne has to be front rows.
Mate,
of the year.
just crazy. And you know what's insane? It's like we were questioning. There was a period there where we're like, oh, Terrell May's great off the bench, but can he do it week in, week out as being the main man? Like, we actually had that question heading into this year. He's answered that resoundingly. Yeah, he can be the main man. Matter of fact, it suits him to be the main man.
3 from 3.
Like, it's just. It almost feels like he's been so good. I feel like an idiot that I was asking that question. You can be the man off the bench and you've got all these other great players around you, so maybe that's what's helping you. He's literally, he is the heart and soul of this Tigers pack. Like, he is the heart and soul of it. And he doesn't even look like he's breaking a sweat half the time. Like, when he gets taken off, he's not missing a bunch of tackles and falling off everything. Mate, just a great story. Just a great story about backing yourself and, I guess, taking on that responsibility. And we're ranting and raving about how good Bolle was, but Terrell May's done this 3 weeks in a row. That's how good Terrell May is at the moment. But this front row, we just talked about Payne Haas and Carrigan, and granted, I know you can add a bunch other to Payne Haas, he's in his league of his own. However, when it just is to metres, it's kind of similar-ish. You got Terrell May with 182 metres, and you got Bolle with 212 metres in the front row. I don't think there's another, outside of Paddy Carrigan and Haas on the weekend, I don't think there's another front row pairing that ran for that much metres.
No. Yeah.
Which is that's a bloody good sign for the Tigers.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, I mentioned it before, but with Bolle, obviously, can do, obviously, 97 post-contact metres there as well, but some of the footwork that he was putting on over the weekend to kind of, for a big front row to move like that, he started the season so well, and I think that move, he played a lot of 13 in years gone by, but this new role is suiting him so well. Yeah,
absolutely. Dream Buller been good. Taruva, geez, he's been good for you, Taruva.
Outstanding. Good to see that it's only a fine for his cruncher as well. That was concerning me a bit because Skelton potentially going to miss a little while with a hamstring injury. Both those wingers have been so good for us so far. I was just going to touch on Talon De Silva and this role that he's kind of found for himself, just giving Appy a little chop out in the middle of the games. So good. When the game breaks up a little bit, he is so similar to him, the way that he knows when to scoot, take a few little runs. He obviously scored that great try on the weekend as well, in and around the half-time mark. It's going to be great to watch the way that he develops under Appy because he's an absolute gun. And, they've certainly they're using him really well at the moment, I think.
And I think what I like about it as well, as you already said, it's just the fact that it gives Appy a bit of a rest.
Yeah.
He is a bit older now. And, I don't want Appy out there making 50 friggin' tackles a game. There's no need for it. And we saw the benefit of it because when the game needed Appy to go to another level, he had the gas tank to do it because he's got a guy that's giving him a bit of rest. And when the game, so you're 10 minutes to go and you've got Appy, the best ball-running, craftiest 9 in the competition coming at you, you will find tired forwards and you will get points.
Perfect.
So it's perfect for him. I'm just trying to look here because my boy, Alex Twal, I'm just trying to confirm here first quickly because I'm pretty sure my boy Alex Twal has yet to miss a tackle this year.
Oh, really?
Get around him.
30 plus tackles every game. So let's just say he's at 100 tackles, 0 miss.
Yeah.
The GOAT.
He's been great.
So
and just on him as well, if you haven't watched a bit of social content that the Tigers team put up singing the song after the win, his rig is in some of the best nick.
He's rigged out of his mind.
It's outrageous at the moment.
He is looking so good.
Yep.
He's waxed within an inch of his life as well.
Yep, could probably ease up on that a fraction, but playing some great footy and looking fantastic.
Mate, no one they can't tackle him. He's bloody covered in wax.
Too slippery.
Yeah.
Slippery twirl.
I think with Alex, the positive for him, he's always been one of the best defenders in the competition, but it's his attack that's gone to another level.
Yeah,
a little bit, probably with that, the new rig coming out, he just looks a little bit more mobile, a little more agile than previous years, right?
He's strong in contact as well. So, when they were looking at considering moving him on, I think it was last year, I was like, what the hell?
What are we talking about?
We're talking about a guy that in the depths of the darkness at the Tigers has tackled his ass off. Why would you move him? And they kept him, and he's been great. all jokes aside with that Hunt situation, the reason why a lot of us were umming and ahhing about what do you do with Hunt is because we were so unsure about the strength of the other players. Like if we knew Bolle was going to come out and play like this, of course you bring Hunt off the bench. But I think me and Rue were saying you start with Hunt because you just almost want to just get a good start and then hang on. But the fact that Twal and Bolle have gone to a whole new level, it gives you the luxury of playing Hunt off the bench.
Yeah. The one for me, mate, you'd think like 4-time premiership winner, seemingly wanting to come and prove himself as the number 7 at a new club and show that he can be the dominant man in a team as a halfback at the NRL level. They've lent into a Lachie Galvin, which just says everything about that kid and how good he is.
Yeah.
Like, he's the dominant ball player for them, certainly in attacking territory. And like the numbers reflected as well, 62 touches to 50 on the weekend, Galvin over Luai. The week before he had 56 compared to 42 from Luai. And said, especially in the opposition 20, when they're attacking, they're looking to Lachie Galvin, not Jerome Luai, which it doesn't blow my mind, but it does just sort of emphasise what they think of this kid and how good he is. And it's paying off early. Like, there was the ball playing for the Bostock try on the weekend where he just went deep into the line. He knew they had him stripped, but you still have to execute. And good defences will shut that down. And he waited as long as he could. Bostock eventually jammed in. He went, boom, thank you. Tunnel balled straight through to the back. I think it went to maybe Herbie or whoever who tipped on. Just like summed it up perfectly. But yeah, they're leaning into Lachie Galvin in attack, not Jerome Luai, the 4-time premiership winner.
Well, I think also you got to give credit to Jerome Luai because there's this stereotype around Luai because he celebrates tries and he's a little bit different or whatever, that he's arrogant. He's actually the furthest thing from arrogant that you could find, because coming through the grades, to my knowledge anyway, he was the man. It wasn't Cleary. It was Luai that was the man. He was the guy that scored all the points. So he gets into first grade and plays the second fiddle to Cleary perfectly. That says he doesn't have an ego. That means he's not arrogant because he's going to go, yeah, I'm a gun player that could be the main man, but I'm going to take a back seat for Cleary to win premierships. Then he comes to the Tigers. Easily could be like, hey, Galvin, take a step back, mate. I won 4 premierships. Let me do what I do. But he hasn't.
I thought that's what was going to happen. I think most of us did.
I think we all did. I mean, I think we were all worried that Galvin was not going to see the ball as much because you've got a premiership winner.
Yep.
But again, Luai, the complete opposite of arrogant, doesn't have an ego, says, it doesn't matter if I won 4 premierships. What is the best for the team? I'm just going to lay the platform and Galvin, you do your thing. That's signs of a guy that's playing without any ego, without any arrogance, and it's exactly what the club needed, in my opinion.
Exactly what the Tigers needed,
Yep. And so, like, all of a sudden, if they can just somehow keep this form up, they don't need to win every game, but that negotiation with Galvin is going to be much easier if he feels like he's the main man, if he feels like he's being, not put up on a pedestal is the wrong word, but, he's a young fella that probably wants to have his ego scratched a little bit and probably doesn't want to play second fiddle. So let him do it. It's just going to be easier in the negotiation room, I think, if they're winning games and Luai is making him feel like he is the man. Because, like, he is the man. He's a gun. So, yeah, be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks. If I'm the Tigers, like, I'm just going, here's a 5-year deal. Let's just get it done, Lachie. Maybe they're already at that stage. I don't know. Look, I don't want to talk about it too much because it's a downer on what's so great at the Tigers, but I hope that gets sorted sooner rather than later. I really do.
Well, given who potentially some of the other suitors are at the moment and the way these guys are going, why wouldn't you want to stay? Really?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And also, you've got, like, if he goes to the Roosters or whoever else, he doesn't have a fan on the biggest sports podcast in the country.
Well, exactly.
Backing him every week.
Think about that.
Think about that. Because I tell you what, you don't want to be on Hammy's bad side.
Yeah,
He'll ride you to death at the Roosters.
I'll leave it with you.
every game, he's just like, we open this. It's like it's like Broncos versus Cowboys. Fuck that, Lachie Galvin just wasn't good this weekend. Terrible. Just ride him to death.
Yeah, I will do that.
So there we go. We are starting to enter media manipulation territories. We're becoming like old-fashioned media where we just run agendas.
I think every now and again there's a time and a place for a bit of media manipulation.
A bit of agenda running?
This is one of those times.
Hey, Galvin, don't make us start to run agendas, brother. We'll start running agendas.
Ball's in your court, mate.
Mate, I'll tell you what, that guy is psycho. Look, he looks all innocent and sweet with his glasses on. Psycho.
Mad as a hatter.
Yeah. Don't push me.
Okay, now into the Dolphins. I think this is similar-ish to the Rabbitohs where, like, don't get me wrong, the Rabbitohs you can be much happier. with what happened. You know, you've won your first two, but I think that this is a really dark days are probably a bit too aggressive for the Dolphins. But to get beaten 30-18 by the 3-time spoon winners, and I know they're so much better, I get it, but this is one game where you genuinely could look at and say we should win this game, the Dolphins. And the worst thing about it for the Dolphins is the game was there to be won. They didn't. And I know that they've had some stuff going on the first round or two and all of that, but this is a really, really disappointing result for the Dolphins, in my opinion. I think Wolfie will be fuming.
Yeah, well, going into the game as, I think, narrow favourites. There wasn't much in it, but against like the Tigers, what they've done the last few years.
But also with where they were at, they've gone 0 from 2.
Yeah.
They're at home for, like the circumstances.
But all of that, and then to go out to that early lead, like it was 18-6 or something, at home, at Redcliffe, bumper crowd, like a 12-point lead, it's pretty bad. Like, again, they didn't score from after the 22nd minute onwards, and hopefully for the Tigers, we look at this in a month's time and go, no, the Tigers have just turned over a leaf.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't end up that way, we look back and just go, as we suspect, it was a pretty poor one to drop from that lead.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go as far as to say just poor one to drop in general. Like again, it's the context. Like if they'd gone, I don't know, 1 from 2, and they'd played all right footy. Look, I get it. The Tigers are much better than but it's the fact that you're 0-2 heading into your first home game. You got a new coach that you should be playing for. Now, granted, I'll give them credit. They completed a much higher percentage this game, at least for the first 60 or whatever. But that left edge it's a huge problem for them. It's a huge problem for them. And I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but if I'm Wolfie, I'm just picking the best defensive 13. That's all I'm just going to go. Whoever is my best defender in each position, they're getting picked. And then I'm building on from that. I think Hammer needs a bit of a kick up the bum. I think that this is why, I know Fuller has done his ACL, but this is why I was pushing for, if everyone's fit, you put Fuller at fullback, you put Hammer at the centres, just because in a game like this, Fuller is going to make 25 runs and run for 200 metres at least. And with Hammer, because he's a Ferrari, in games like this, sometimes he struggles to get himself into it. And so I just think that I think Hammer just needs to offer a little bit more. Look, we all agree Hammer is, on his day, he is a superstar. He's a superstar. He mixes it with literally the best of the best of the best in Origin in Australia. He just needs to be a bit more consistent at clubland, in my opinion.
He's the marquee man for them. Like, he's the big name, he's the rep star, and he ran for 92 metres in this game.
11 runs.
Against the Tigers. The week before, 121 runs.
Metres.
Metres. He didn't bust a tackle in this game, which I know it's a small little petty thing, but
it's Hammer.
This is Hammer.
Like, we're talking about a guy that's gone toe-to-toe with Tom Trbojevic.
Yeah. Hasn't scored, again, stats aren't everything we know, but hasn't scored a try this year. He has 1 try assist, which was in round 1. You need more out of him.
Way more. You need, that's my one worry with Hammer in the modern day fullback. At a club that can afford to have him be a Ferrari, then I can cop. Then the stats aren't really. He's a Ferrari at a club that can afford it. They can't afford it at the Dolphins. He needs to be in everything.
The other thing, mate, as a fullback, there's not many halves in the game, particularly up-and-comers, that I'd want to be outside as much as Isaiah Katoa. Isaiah Katoa has had, in what's been a tough start for the Dolphins, he's had some moments of magic, and there was numerous ones in this. But
he had 7 tackle breaks.
Yeah, the way...
He's had the most... Sorry to interrupt you. Isaiah Katoa has the most tackle breaks of any player in their side, except for Herbie.
Yeah.
Which is... that shouldn't be the case.
He's brilliant, and he set up a few absolute pearlers in this one. There was the one for the Bostock try, straightened, he dummied on the inside, turned out, threw a cut ball to Herbie. It was brilliant to set up that try. The way Katoa does that and he plays deep and creates that space out wide, that should be a dream for a fullback like Hammer with that extra speed, because we spoke before at the Cowboys about Clifford and trying to do that for Drinky. Katoa's doing that for his fullback and for his players outside him. He should be able to be producing more off the back of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just get a bit worried for Hammer, because I think that if put it this way, if Trey Fuller was back next week, Hammer would be going to centre. My centres would be Herbie and Hammer. Think of the defence that brings. Like, think about how strong that makes their outside back. Nikodima, although he scored a good try, I know I've said it for a while, I'll be putting Donahue in there.
His defence isn't there.
He just, unfortunately, when you get it to your line, they're just going to pick at you. And I think Nikodima is the perfect 14. He's so, like, bring him on, he will tear teams apart. But at 6, I think you just need a bigger body there.
Yeah, you bring him on for one or two stints, whatever it might be, with a tiring pack, just in around number 9, whatever it
kill
might be.
teams.
Yeah, and as I said, there's a spot for him, but like the Seyfarth try where Appy isolated him 1-on-1, Seyfarth's not a big, strong, fast body, and he was never not scoring that.
Yeah.
And I was a bit concerned with how easily they isolated him there. Like, there wasn't anyone within Kui on that line.
And also, there was no one protecting Cody Nikodima there either. And so, like, if you're going to have a smaller 6, the blokes around you need to protect. So if you're on your line and you're looking up, you can see Seyfarth running that. Someone jam Appy Coruscant at least. No one even touched Appy. It's like, mate.
Too easy.
Like, way too easy. Like, if you're on your line like that, someone's got to be getting their hands on Appy Coruscant so the pass isn't easy. And it gives Cody Nikodima at least an opportunity to, like, if the pass is a bit behind Seyfarth or a bit low, then he might be able to make the tackle. But, like, I find it hard to blame Nikodima in that circumstance because he can't help he's that size.
No.
So it's like he didn't select himself in that position. That's where I look at Wolfie and I just think he's making the wrong call with that. I think you put Nikodima at 14, you bring him on, he will literally tear teams to shreds. He could be one of the better 14s in the competition. That's how much I rate Nikodima at 14.
Yeah.
Put Donahue at 6. Yes, okay. Is he as fast at Nikodima? No. Is he attacking-wise? He might not be as good. But if you trust him defending in the middle, surely you're going to trust him at 3. And then if that doesn't work, then you need to recruit. You need to find someone that's going to help Katoa out. Because at the moment, I just think Katoa's in a tough spot as a young 7. He can only do so much.
And again, like, the creativity, the points, they'll be there for Nikodima. He's a great attacking player, but it's just a defensive liability. And unfortunately, Katoa, who's been better this year, but, like, I don't know if we can say smaller body because he's getting bigger very quickly. I say Katoa, great physique on him.
Well, he's 20 years old.
Yeah, exactly. But
he's
that's
young,
and because of that, he's also a spot like for them oppositions. But it just keeps saying, but there's oppositions that go bang bang at the 2 halves, and there's too many opportunities, too many passive tackles. So yeah, I'm with you.
I thought Marshall King started well. And I thought defensively he was pretty good. 40 tackles, only 1 miss, which is bloody good. I look at their forwards though, and sometimes, like, when you look at some of these other, so Gilbert, Gilbert end up playing in the front row, or they kept him at 13? They kept him at 13, didn't they?
Yeah.
I don't know why, for the life of me, Max Plath isn't 13. He was like getting this close to getting called into Origin at 13. Why is he playing on an edge?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's strange. I don't get
Put
it.
Gilbert in the front row with Saifidi, bring Kafusi off the bench to go hard for 20, 30 minutes. Just some of these selections, I'm
That
not understanding.
Lemuelu injury was untimely as well. I mean, they've got a few options. Like, it's weird. Felice Kafusi's obviously made that move to the middle, but I don't know, maybe he's slowed down a bit. But he's one of the best defensive back rows we've ever seen. Maybe it's gone past him.
Yeah, I think they think that he's just a bit older now.
Yeah, and
But that's when you put Gilbert in the front row. Gilbert's a bloody good front rower. And Max Plath, he was getting called into Origin at 13. Like, I just don't get it. I don't understand why you wouldn't put Max Plath at 13.
even the other one,
Unless he played there. Am I tripping out?
Who?
I'm pretty sure Gilbert stayed at 13, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or did he move out to an edge?
I can't remember.
No, I think he was in the middle.
I think he was in the middle. Is there any way to check on the...
I thought he was swapping between. I thought he spent some time on the edge. But
That's what I mean. So I don't want to make the wrong accusation of like they should move people around. Can you check for us, please, where he played most of his minutes?
The other one there, and again, I haven't seen any of him in Q Cup or anything, another veteran of the team, and that's probably the critique on this Dolphins pack at the moment between Kofusi and Marky Nichols and Kenny Bromwich. Like, it is a pretty aging pack. Like, could Kenny Bromwich come in and do a defensive job on the edge for him? Another one who had been tremendous, obviously older now, maybe, just getting past him, but...
It is an interesting question because you go, well, if you put Kafusi and Bromwich on the edges, you at least know their defensive reads are going to be the best in the business. Like, I'd argue Kafusi and Bromwich as a pairing, are the best defensive edge back rowing pairing of the modern era.
Yeah.
Like, or at least in the top tier.
And then to put them next to the two little halves.
It would help them a little bit. Now, I can only assume that they're going, no, Kafusi laterally, because he's older, just can't get across as quickly.
And maybe it's the same with Kenny, but anyway, food for thought.
Food for thought. But I will say, I'd be putting Platt at 13. He'd be my 13 for the next bloody 10 years nearly. I'd be putting Gilbert in the front row with Saifiti. I'd be putting Donahue at 6 and just saying, mate, just run the ball as hard as you can and make your tackles. Katoa's a gun kicker. We've got that sorted. He's also a bloke that can create space for people. And I'll be putting Nikodima at 14, and I'll be giving Jerry Marshall King a bit of a rest. And I'll be playing Nikodima for maybe 20, 30 minutes on either side of half time or whatever it is, and just say, mate, whenever you get on the field and just get everyone playing front foot footy. Because if he comes on tied forwards, he'd be doing what Appy did to them at the end of the game. That's how good he'd be in attack.
Side note before we move on, Western Suburbs Maggies, Tristan Hope, the recent debutant, 4 tries from number 9.
No way.
And scored the first one in the 56th minute, then had 3 tries in 7 minutes to finish the game.
No way.
Good seeing him to get his debut, be sent back to because of players come back from injury.
Talking about Tigers 9, aren't we?
Yeah. Back there and 4 tries in cut. It's huge from a
from a hooker. What do you got there, Matty?
Yeah, I think he did play a bit on the edge. I'm just like scrolling through footage, and he's out there at some parts of the game.
Yeah, so that's why I'm confused. But even then, surely you can, surely there are other edges that you can find. And I just reckon they need to strengthen their middle a little bit. Because Saifiti and Kafusi, that's a pretty aging front row compared to other. Because Saifiti's 29 now or something. Kafusi would be 34 or something like that.
Yeah, confirmed. He was definitely playing on the edge for a lot of the game.
So he played on the edge for a little bit. Okay.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Quite a bit. But he started in the middle.
He started in the middle.
Yep.
But he moved to the edge pretty quickly.
Oh, you know why? Because I think Oregon got injured. Oren Keeley played 18 minutes. So he must have got a head knock or something.
Yeah,
or injured or something like that. Anyway, a bit of a concern. The concern is we're a bit unsure what their back row is. We don't know who we would put there. That's a worry heading into a season. Tough times for the Dolphins, and they've got to turn around quickly, because if they don't, it is going to be a bloodbath.
Outright favourites for the Spoon.
Oh.
Fins, 4.33.
No. I'm such a fan of the Dolphins. I love them as a setup. They're so cool to work with. Great people at the administration. Sucks.
Called it 2.5 years ago and no one listened.
Oh, wow. That's
I'm kidding,
disgraceful.
Dolphins. I'm kidding.
That's disgraceful stuff right there. Wow. Boo Earns.
Direct your hate mail to SC Playbook.
Oh, wow.
I've just won them back over, I think, as well. I'm kidding.
Okay, before we get into the next one, don't forget Bloke Undies, premium Bloke Undies. Actually got a message on the weekend, a bloke going, mate, these are way better than I'm not going to say what undies he had before, but he's like, these are way better than very popular undies that I wore all the time. So much so that he was hoping that we bring out girls' ones, because this girl uses the girl version of the one he used before. They're bloody good undies, I promise you guys. We have put a lot of time and effort, and they're the highest quality material we could find. Go to bloke.shop, grab your Bloke undies, and boys, you've all won them. They're outstanding.
Mate, my bloke merch power rankings. There's some good shit. I mean, it's all good shit, but it goes bloke hoodies. The undies are number 2.
Yeah.
They're that good.
They're so good.
And then it's obviously jerseys. But that's just saying, I love the jerseys. That's how good the undies are.
My power ranking goes jersey, undies, and then hoodies. But we got some around the middle of the year when those big games are on. We got some sick things we've never done before. Oh, also, guys, this is obviously the jersey that we're bringing out this year. A few weeks before Magic Round, so put your little shekels aside. It'll be cheaper for the Bloke Club. Cheaper for the Bloke Club. So it'll probably be $99 for the Bloke Club, and it'll be like $110, $120 for non-Bloke Club members. So that's a discount you get being part of the Bloke Club. And yeah, this is what we're doing this year, guys. Honestly, might be one of my favourite, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I like that colour scheme.
Great colour scheme. I will say nothing beats the OG. The original is my number 1.
Yep.
But this comes close. I love this one. And the amount of comments I get on this one whenever I wear it out is quite a lot. So that's going to come up at probably around 7 or 8, guys. So put your shekels aside. Be ready for it. Limited edition. We never drop them again. And great colour scheme is all I'll say.
Yes, agree.
Okay, now Titans defeat the Knights 26-6. I did not see this coming at all.
No.
I watched that first game against the Doggies. And then I watched the Doggies again on the weekend. And I go, okay, maybe I wasn't cutting the Titans enough slack. Maybe the Doggies are just bloody good this year. And I'm still not used to the Doggies being like a top 6 side. So maybe that I was guilty of that. But the Titans looked outstanding here. And, if that forward pack can lay the platform, the spine is outrageous with Campbell, with Brimo, with Kinney, but Jaden Campbell on the weekend. Like, we saw the damage he can do with a forward pack that's winning that battle. Who I watched really closely on the weekend was Tino. Mate, the amount of work that bloke gets through and key moments he has that gets them points, it's honestly sickening. He is honestly night and day when he is on the field and when he's not on the field. He is that important for them.
A few assets to his game, and number one is he has one of the most underrated offloads in the game. It's not just standing, tackling, popping. It's going to the line at speed with support and popping and putting blokes through, as we saw on the weekend. But it almost reminds me a bit of George Burgess in his sort of prime at the Bunnies, where the amount of attacking opportunities and tries that were scored after his play the ball, because he was so destructive and he gets such quick play the ball away and creates such momentum through the middle, they'd score next, and you're never going to get any stat on the sheet for that, for a try assist or a contribution. Tino does the same.
Yeah.
Off the back of his runs, it creates everything for them.
It really does. And just the amount of times he does it too. And even little things they took a quick tap, they get a line break, and guess who makes the try-saving tackle? It's Tino. It's
being that big, coming out from an ACL injury.
Mental.
What a ridiculous return.
Second game back.
Yeah, just crazy. So really, really, this is exactly what the Titans needed. Just a really strong win against a pretty good Knights side. I know they didn't play that well, but the Knights have been okay so far this year. Just the confidence that they'll get with this and understanding, okay, this is the style of footy we need to play to get the win. I thought Kinney, once again, he must be so hard to tackle because he's ducking and weaving and spinning and he's like a prime Teddy. Remember Teddy 2018, 19, genuinely every time he would get to that first tackle and he'd start spinning like a pinball and he'd break 6 tackles in one run and it'd be almost impossible to bring down. And I look at Kinney and not only does he have that, but he's also lightning quick as well. I thought he was really good at the back there. Really good.
Well, they've got I did not see this result coming, but it also couldn't have been any more on brand for the Titans.
Yeah.
To just come out and put in this one-off great performance. And, there was sort of mixed excitement from us in the pre-season going in. I was quite high on them because I just thought the roster they have such explosive big middles with great offloading games, Fodawaker, Tenef Malawi. But then you have this spine of these Brimson and Jaden Campbell and then Kinney, who are such great support players and play off the back of it and look to get on the front foot. The ingredients are there for a terrific rugby league team. But can they put it together? Week 1 against the Doggies, very disappointing. Week 2, they scored the points, cool, but the defence was there, which that I did not see coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
To hold the Knights to one try.
And for a long period, it looked like they were going to hold them nil. And they look like a brick wall. They couldn't be broken. There was very rarely was I sitting there anxious that the Knights had them on the racks. They looked calm, collected, and solid. Even
the try that was scored, it was really late on in the game, last 5 or so minutes. There was a line break through the middle off an offload, and the scramble was awesome. They had a quick play of the ball. They got bodies back there. They got the line sort of somewhat set, and then there was a bit of good work from Ponga, and there was an offload, and they still had to scrap to get that try the Knights. There was Titans bodies there off the back of the line break.
Yeah.
Again, I don't give a shit what they do in attack because we know they'll have points for them moving forward, but just this week against the Roosters, just give us that same defence.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the Titans are so hard to talk about because there are so many flashes of hope like this.
Yeah.
Every year you go, oh my God. Remember last year when they went on that run? They looked like a top 4 side. They were unbelievable. And then all of a sudden it just all fell to shit.
Honestly, I'm not willing to say they're top 8 contenders or wooden spoon favourites or whatever it might be. until we get to about round 24.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it happens every year. Like the ebbs and flows with them, you just don't know. But as they do every year, they've shown like there's a good footy side, not just a good footy team, but a potentially very good footy team in there.
The thing I do get excited for with the Titans, and we haven't really had this for a while, is like the fullback question is all sorted. They got their best players all on the field. Whether you agree or disagree that Foran should be 7, we can see the vision. And so if it clicks, like imagine Kinney, Brimo and Campbell clicking. Like that's the point of difference I have compared to other years where I've never looked at a Titan side and gone, you know what, you have a unique point of difference that could really separate you from some of the better sides. Whereas this year is really one of those times where if Desi can work his mad scientist magic somehow, some way and get this spine to click, like they'll be similar-ish to the Storm spine. Like that's the way they'll play. And that's where I get excited for the Titans and go, it's just a matter of, it all falls back to it. I say it every week. It all falls back to the forward pack. If the forward pack can win the battle, this spine will put points on.
Oh, and lots of them. And like credit off a 1 game sample size to Desi because they were great together, Campbell and Brimson. More so Jaden Campbell, who looks to be running the show a little bit more. They had pretty even touches in this game, but I think it looks like it's sort of Campbell's been given the keys a little bit. Brimo will play a bit of that more flamboyant, off-cuff sort of football, but they made it work on the weekend. So,
I mean, as I said, I think we all agree it's 1 game. Yep, we could turn around next week and go, what happened? But you got to give credit where credit's due. They played bloody good. It all seemed to work. What do you reckon, Hammy?
Yeah, it's interesting with this spine. So Kieran Foran's out for quite a while, isn't he? He's out for
I think
10 weeks.
I think that you could probably, like, they already, even with him fit, I think they were already planning to have this spine.
I think it's got to a point now where they just got to lean into this and kind of make it work because, you're right, it is a point of difference. And, it looks like, at their best and when they've got a forward pack to path the back of, they're going to be a real handful. I thought they were very impressive on the weekend. Tino, as you mentioned, outstanding, particularly to do that second game back from missing the whole year last year.
Mental.
Unbelievable. But, a bit of a shock win. I didn't expect them to, even if they did win, I didn't expect it to be so significant.
It's 26-0 for like a long period.
Yeah. One of the pleasing things to hear after the game was Tino got interviewed and he goes, he was actually a bit filthy that they conceded 1 try. He's like, we'll go back and have a look at it during the week. That wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
So just having him back and, the standard that he kind of holds them to and all that sort of stuff, huge in. But, if they can replicate that semi-regularly, they're going to be a good team.
I tell you one thing about Tino, or not one thing, and people already probably know this, but like, fans always put shit on players like you take the money and there's this, and you go to clubs, selfishly you'll leave this club that's not going well and you go to a big club to win premierships. Like Tino is truly putting his money where his mouth is and going, I'm going to go to a club notoriously that, has struggled and struggled and struggled and do everything I can to bring a premiership to this club. And I get it. You could say, oh yeah, but he got a long deal with the Titans. I'll tell you this much for free. Tino could get a long deal at any club. Like, if he put his hand up, if he said to the Storm, give me a 5-year deal, I reckon the Storm would do it like that. Because I know the Storm were after him only recently, and that's what made the Titans have to put in that crazy deal. So it's not like he's this guy, it's a little bit different to the Dylan Brown situation where that was a once-in-a-lifetime deal that no other club was probably going to offer. Whereas you look at Tino, it's like, I'm confident there would be multiple clubs that would offer him anywhere from 5 to 8 years because he's that crucial to a side. And yet he's gone, nah, I'm going to be loyal. I'm going to stay at the Titans no matter what and try and win a premiership. And I think he deserves credit for that because he is the calibre of player that I personally believe deserves to win a premiership.
Yeah, he's been brilliant.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, I mean, talk about the long-term deal as well. Yep, he had the ACL injury, missed last season, but how reassuring for them. It's like the worst fears with those long-term deals is if they get the injuries and how do they come back from injuries. He's come back and it looks like he hasn't missed a beat. So. Yeah,
crazy. Another bloke that I thought played really well, Philip Sammy.
Yes.
One of the most underrated outside backs in the competition, Philip Sammy. Like, some people that don't watch Titans games, I wouldn't say wouldn't recognise him on the street, but he wouldn't be that recognised by some NRL fans. But every week he's putting up big numbers. And also, like, he's played Origin. I know it was, in a time where they were a bit low on troops or whatever, but he's a freaking good outside backs.
Always flies under the radar. And
Yep.
as effective at centre as he is on the wing, like, he moves around positions really well. Huge meter eater, great finisher, super quick.
Yep.
Definitely under the radar.
Super quick.
Yeah, flies under the radar heaps.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at some of these other performances, I thought Fafita to come on with much more zest this game. He seemed like he really wanted to make a difference. Obviously, he had that try.
Well, the thing about that try, right, was, we know that Dave Fafita can explode, but we need to see the 1%ers from him. That's what Desi's after. And the pressure he put on that kick chase to create the fumble, to follow the ball and score, like, that's what you want to see from him.
Well, yeah, like
The effort areas.
that is truly the one area of his game he needs to be good at, and he's done it. So, that's good to see. Bo Firmo, I thought, was really good. He obviously had his try, 7 tackle breaks as well, which is bloody good to see. I think the main one for me, though, like, they didn't set the world alight, but, I thought their front row did a job at least. Cleese Haas over 100 metres as well. So just a really good win for the Titans, exactly what they needed. They just got to lean into this now. And I know we talked a lot about Tino and, Campbell or whatever, but it really was like they did spread out. Like, it really was a team performance. Like, there wasn't anyone that you could look at their fantasy numbers and they were like through the roof or whatever. Like, it really was a spread out performance. So hopefully they continue doing it. On to the Knights. Look, we spoke about this at the start of the year, and I know some Knights fans got a little bit frustrated, but it's just the depth in the front row. That's the big issue. They lost Leo Thompson. Then they had... I'm pretty sure they had 2 of their front rows out, if I recall correctly. They started in with Jacob Saifidi and Brodie Jones. Adam Elliott at 13, but did he...
Well, even Dill Lucas injured, so
that's right.
Brazil moved to an edge.
Yep, that's right. Brazil moves to an edge. And so that's where I just think that without Leo Thompson there and Lucas, their depth in their forwards, although it's okay, but I just felt there was quite a substantial drop-off without those 2 boys playing for them on the weekend.
Yeah, and you sort of wonder how much it ties in together because they looked just rudderless in attack. Like, they didn't threaten a thing, and does that come back to maybe being down in the middles and losing the ruck a little bit through the middle? Could they not, create that ruck speed to produce these chances and put Kalen Ponga in positions? They just looked worlds apart from what they had in recent weeks.
Yeah, and I just think that they build so much off guys like Thompson and Lucas that, they just didn't look like the same team that we know. They looked flat. They looked really flat.
It's extremely flat.
I will say Thomas Cant had a bloody good game.
He's a goal.
18 runs, 152 metres, 56 post contact.
Ton of tackles too.
56 tackles, only 2 misses. So he played really well. But I just felt like you probably needed a big lift from guys like... you needed Jacob Saifidi to really lift. You needed Brodie Jones to have a big one. Hetherington, when he got on, you need to have a big one. I just don't know if... Yeah, they just look flat.
This is definitely some Supercoach bias in me, Kempy. And I watch a player like Kalen Ponga so closely, and as Supercoaches do with individual players, but I genuinely feel like at times the Knights are just they have players who... They don't want to seem like they have to rely on Kalen Ponga to score their points for them. I was watching that game on the weekend, and they'd have shapes it up with Ponga, and you'd have players around him, all that, and they'd just dummy and go another way. It was like they're intensely trying to go away from him at times. I'm like,
so weird. Don't
overthink it. They scored, and for the record, Ponga had a bit of a barrier in this. Didn't have a great game, too many mistakes, but it's don't overcomplicate it. You've got one of the best attackers in the world, if not at his peak, the best attacking creator in the game. And they were just going away from him. It's just utilise him while he's there.
Yeah. And then you add on the fact that they completed 65%, 67% or whatever.
Is that because it happens, is that Supercoach bias in me, or do you see that?
I did feel like there were times last year, I didn't see it as much. I just thought he was out of Barry, to be honest, and I think that it just wasn't working for him. But I did see last year at times where it felt like they just were almost saying, we're not just a Kalen Ponga side. And I don't know whether that's Adam O'Brien, trying to create other weapons so that he doesn't have to worry if KP gets injured or whatever.
Which is fine, but just use him.
Just use him when he's on. He just had if anything, I think it proved that this side does rely on KP so much because he had a Barry and they all had a Barry.
And
4 errors.
And you look at it and I go, with the calibre of players they've got there and like Ponga there and all these great attacking weapons, my eye test doesn't say like they have a problem with their attack, but the stats tell a different story, right? Like second worst attack in the NRL last year, 7 clear of the Tigers who were in last place. They put the Titans, a notoriously poor defensive team, scored 1 try, very end of the game. Like, is there any sort of concern there or not?
No, I think, like, I know Knights fans get frustrated when I say this, but they just are built around Ponga. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say they're a one-man team because that's not fair. It's not fair on Bradman Best. But their season hinges on Kalen Ponga. And it's unfortunately, that's just the reality of it.
And even like round 1, they scored 2 tries against the Tigers, who their defence looks better, yes, but like 2 tries there. Didn't score for the last 36 minutes in that win last week. So, again, I watch them and go, no, I think they'll be all right attack-wise, but the numbers over the last start this year and all of last year, they're not good at all.
Yeah, so
Anyway.
I also think the completion rate, they're a side that needs to complete high. That's what they're known for, is relatively conservative footy and let KP do his magic. But, yeah, anyway, I think they'll bounce back. One off. We'll see what happens next week. It's the completion rate is the biggest concern for me, to be honest. And also, when your main star doesn't play well, like in any team, like look what with Reece Walsh, at the Broncos, they're just lucky they've got a bunch of other, top tier players.
Bye next week as well, so a bit of time to think about it.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe their head was in the bye. That sometimes happens when players get a little bit ahead of themselves. They look for a break. Okay, on to the next game. Eels versus the Bulldogs. Bulldogs defeat the Eels 16-8. You know what I loved about this performance from the Bulldogs is that, like, okay, were they as good as we've seen them? Probably not. Were the Eels way better than they have been? Absolutely. But what I loved about this, this is a perfect example of defence wins premierships because sometimes it's just not working for you. Sometimes, your attack is a bit, just a bit stunted. You've got rookies in playing sixes or whatever. And this was a game where the Bulldogs just backed their defence and said, look, if we can just keep them below 8, like if we can just keep them to low numbers, we'll be confident enough we'll score enough to win the game. And I thought there was no bigger example of that where then, so there was about 10 to go. Just got the notes here.
Stephen Crichton.
Yep, 10 minutes to go. Stephen Crichton comes from the centre, gets his 7 or 6 or whoever to put a bomb up in the middle of the field, similar to Luai, what Luai did with 13 minutes to go. Kick chase really hard, picks him up, puts him into the in goal, and that's just such smart footy that even a lot of halves don't even think to do that. There's 10 minutes to go and you're ahead. So what do you want to do? You want to just build pressure. Just make sure you have the ball in your hands. They put the ball up, they kick chase, they get a repeat set. Like, just for Critter to be intelligent enough all the way from centre to run in and do that, just smart footy from Critter. He knew it wasn't working that well from that game, so just build pressure. Now, granted, Satilli friggin' dropped the ball, like play 2 or 3, but again, it's just about there's 10 minutes to go, let's play smart, not stupid.
Yeah,
I just nailed it.
Mate, I had the exact same moment written down, and it was just like... It's just such a skipper's play.
Yeah.
Game on the line. We need something big here. And it came out of the blue because Stephen Crichton doesn't often come in field and do that and chase bombs like that. He'll hang out on his edge. But he went, no, like, we need to stand up and we need to get a result out of this. So he literally put it on himself and came with a huge play. As I said, it didn't eventuate too much, but... I mean, if nothing else, it slowed things down, ate a minute or 2 off the clock, and it was a huge skipper's play, that.
Yeah, whereas like if they grub her in and they get in the grind, who knows what would happen. So really smart play, and that's just having confidence in your defence, just confidence in your defence.
As you said, like it wasn't pretty by the Dogs at all, but... we want them to lean into this Dogs of War and that gritty old dog side, and that's what this win was. And at the same time, Burton out, Kikau out, Kiraz out, give or take Stephen Crichton. That's arguably your 3 best players. Like especially talking about attacking weapons. Like it was probably never going to be pretty, was it?
Yeah, and this is what separates the good teams from the not so good teams. Is like when you got players out and you're not playing well, do you still get a win? Like that's what Penrith are built on, Storm are built on. And I thought the Bulldogs did that really well. Now, the big call, I mean, not really that controversial. Didn't really change that much because they ended up winning. But Josh Curran obviously calling. He was near the ref. Dury gets up. I think it was Matt Dury.
Yeah.
Gets up. He goes, Matt, you're offside. Dury thinks it's the ref because he's about the same. Curran is close to where the ref is. He pulls back. They get an extra 10 metres. And Curran gets a penalty against him for spirit of the game. Now, I think he probably used the wrong terminology.
Yeah.
Spirit of the game, a little bit weird because we always see players like calling balls and passes or whatever. I spoke to Hammy before. I think it's more along the lines of imitating a ref that is the penalty.
Yeah.
See, I'm okay with it. I don't think you should be able to imitate the ref. I think that, what if you made a line break just then? So I'm okay with the penalty. I just think the spirit of the game, that was a bit weird.
Well, yeah, because we were talking about, you see quite often, and Cam Munster's very good at it when a player runs away, he'll kind of get off his hip and go, yeah, and he'll get them to offload the ball to him.
Yep.
So in that instance, the difference is he's not trying to be a ref, he's impersonating another player, so it's different. But when you're pretending to be a ref to create space or whatever, that's where the difference lies.
Yeah. So it's not that big of a deal, but I'm okay with the penalty. I just don't think you should be able to imitate a ref on the field. However, if you want to call plays or confuse people, that's all part of footy. Happens all the time.
Yeah, I'm normally one to lean into the more old school line of thinking. In this case, that's it's gamesmanship and it's a part of the game and it's the way the smart players do it and that. But I don't think so with this one. I think if he sits there and he's saying. And he's trying to get in the ref's ear and he's like, he's off, look at him, does something like that.
That's
I'm
different.
fine with that. But to imitate a ref, it's I just don't think it's needed. It can have a massive impact on the game.
Yeah.
And you see Dury, pulls back and that opens a gap. What if someone takes off through that? It can change a game and I don't think you can imitate a ref.
Yeah, I don't think so. So I think he probably just called the wrong thing. Spirit of the game, it was a bit weird. I think all of us were spirit of the game. It's more banter, but imitating a ref, I don't know.
And it's anyone that has the line of argument of gamesmanship and that old school line of thinking, I don't think players really ever try to imitate the ref. They tell the ref that someone's off or this or that, but they don't imitate them, I don't think.
Or they say, I'm in the inside, or this player or that player.
That's different. You're not trying to be the ref.
Yeah,
you're trying to be another player.
It's hilarious. Curran doing that is so funny. It's so funny. And look, I think everyone knows now you can't imitate a ref, I guess, but it was so funny. It was hilarious. And it was hilarious, again, I think what threw everyone off is penalty for spirit of the game. We just haven't seen...
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Because it's where is this coming from?
Spirit of the game, it's a competition. I think if you had said, mate, you're not allowed to imitate a ref, I think most people... look, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm in the minority
I think
here.
you're right. If he was, mate, you can't imitate me.
Imagine if he was calling six again.
I have a feeling... I'll see what I can find. I thought I saw something go up on Twitter earlier about there is in the rule book. It might be spirit of the game.
Yeah, maybe it's called it. I just think maybe communication to the fans. Because, Matty, what do you think? Or did you think it was the wrong one when you text?
No. When I texted, when Hammy said, what do we think of the spirit of the game penalty, I just gave a thumbs down emoji back. And that's how I felt. But then once I realised what it was actually for, I was like, oh, no, yeah, I'm so fine with the penalty.
Yeah.
Love to know in the comment section. Let us know, guys. And don't forget, we will get back to Beak's bag. So leave your questions and we'll make sure to get one next week. But anyway, back to the doggies. In regards to performances, look, I thought just I don't know, Bailey Hayward just got through his work, 33 tackles. I know he didn't set the world alight, but he had a try assist. Yeah, I didn't mind him. I didn't mind him at 6. I know it's a tough ask. He's been playing middle for over a year now in NRL, and he hasn't played a lot of 6. He played it coming through the grades. And I know you could look at the stats and go, he missed quite a few tackles or whatever, but just the eye test, I thought he was pretty good at 6.
And we say it a lot, mate, but not all missed tackles are equal, especially with the Bulldogs. And Serraldo's gone down that defensive line of thinking rather than bring up one of the more rookie halves into the team. I mean, they'd have Drew Hutchinson there as well, to be fair, but he's just gone, I'm just going defence first, and that was Bailey Hayward. So for his first hit out there, they won. They conceded, 1 or 2 tries. 2 tries, so yeah, it was all right.
Bronson Sherry, I thought, had his best game of the year. I thought he was outstanding. Obviously had the try, but 23 runs, 200 metres, 65 post-contact, 3 tackle breaks, a line break. Really, really good effort from Bronson, I thought. Really good.
Yeah, agree. He's and he's started the year all right as well. But yeah, this was definitely his best performance so far. Certainly asked plenty of questions of the defence when he had the footy. So yeah, good hit out from him.
Connor Tracy, consistent once again. it almost feels like a bad dream. The trial match he had where he had a barrier, it was just like, where did that come from? Because ever since he's been consistent as anything.
Good time to have a barrier though in a trial.
Exactly.
Get it out of the way.
211 metres run, which is what you want, and a try assist as well. Just a really good defensive team effort. And we've got to shout out our boy, Jacob Preston. He's another guy that you always forget. Like, obviously, you've got Angus Crichton, you've got Martin, you've got Hamole that are there, Hudson Young. Like, the amount of back rowers New South Wales had is insane. You've got Jacob Preston just waiting in the wings, who would not look out of place in the Origin squad. I know he's quite a ways down the pecking order, but geez, he just does all the 1%ers. He does them perfectly.
Yep.
It just reminds me, I've said it before, but just Josh Jackson.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, just runs a good line, hard nose, tough as nails. Like I said, the 1% is like, I say he's not like a superstar, like an Angus Crichton that'll bust games wide open, but to his credit, like he's got it in him. Like
absolutely.
He can break games wide open.
Yeah.
So, mate, he'll play Origin at some point. Might not be for a year or two, but his time will come.
And what I like the most about Jacob Preston is like, he doesn't just have good games when his team's playing well. Sometimes when the Bulldogs play terribly, you look at Jacob Preston's stats and he plays even better. So he plays poorly. He'll play good when even your team's not playing great. And just quickly as well, Harry Hayes just getting better and better and better. I just think that the Bulldogs system, it's so impressive. Like they are. You look at some of these fringe guys. Like even in the trials, one of their best players of the trials is not even in the side yet. Then you got guys like Harry Hayes waiting in the wings. Max King's been outstanding, but I thought Harry Hayes had his best game of the year so far.
Even Daniel Sluke-Fafita with one of the great 17-minute stints, a try.
Yep.
Did he get hurt or something, or was it just the game plan?
But
17 minutes.
I tell you what, the testament to him, like he bounced around a couple of clubs, wasn't really working. Now all of a sudden,
He's had a lot of injuries as well, so
Big boy.
fully fit, big boy.
Big boy. So look, really, really good gutsy win from the Doggies. Yeah, they just what they needed. Okay, now on to the
Section 15, Part 1I. A player is guilty of misconduct if he behaves in any way contrary to the true spirit of the game.
There you go.
Okay, on to the Eels. Okay, they didn't win, but by God, they needed this performance. Similar-ish to the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys still played a little bit better than the Eels played, but they needed this desperately. I thought Zach Lomax, sometimes he was kick returning, sometimes he was at centre, but this is the balance that he can find. If he plays roaming centre like this and can play like this every week, 31 runs, 303 metres, 89 post contact, 9 tackle breaks in a line break. He was absolutely phenomenal, Zach Lomax.
This is what you sign a marquee player to do. And even in saying that, he's probably not quite a marquee player.
He didn't sign for a massive...
He signed pre-Origin and all that when he exploded. But
Jesus,
whether he's getting the marquee, he's probably not quite getting the marquee money. But
he probably got. You reckon he could have got $1 million if he had signed after Origin?
No,
800, 900,
800 maybe, not $1 million.
Mate, I don't know.
After the year he had.
Someone said we'll play you at fullback.
$1 million for a centre winger.
Mate,
maybe
play him at fullback. I reckon there would have been some desperate clubs that would have signed him as a fullback.
Oh, Broncos maybe.
But I reckon at the very least 800.
Anyway,
very least 800.
put it this way. He may not be on marquee money, but by the time last year finished and when he arrived at the Eels, you're looking at him as a marquee signing because of what he did. He was just like put them on his back.
It was crazy.
His effort areas in this, like even looking past just the 31 runs, but every bomb that went up he chased. He tried everything he could. It was one of the great performances from a losing centre.
It really was.
Centre/winger.
It really, really was. I'd love to see the Ks that he covered. It would be, honestly, might be a record.
And like I remember watching the first 2 weeks of how ordinary Parramatta were, and granted there's still a lot of issues with them, but it was a great bounce back, all things considered. And the first 2 weeks just going, they just looked like they were lacking a leader in the team and someone to get them up. And it's not something I've ever seen from probably Zach Lomax. And it's clear how much they're missing Mitch Moses, which comes as no surprise to anyone. But that's what he looked like to me out there. He looked like a leader trying to just inspire his team. And, wow.
Yeah. Oh, mate, the amount of work he got through, I've honestly nearly never seen it. Like 31 runs from centre.
Even some of his runs coming off their line where the Dogs would jam him down there, like they were coming right off their line. He was catching a metre or two from the line off the dummy half. And with the Dogs' line speed, and they'd go to jam him down there, and he'd just beat one or two and find his front and get a quick play the ball away to get him a bit of momentum out of trouble. Everything he did was gold.
Yeah, so That's the real positive for the Eels is they're getting this out of Lomax, and so it's like you just hope, rising tide lifts all ships or whatever the bloody saying is. Hopefully the people around him can just lift up to his level. I will say sometimes they just have these lapses of concentration. There was a try early on that was like,
Jackie boy,
mate, what happened?
Jacko, very uncharacteristic.
Yeah, and then he went and dropped the ball like 2 minutes later.
Was characteristic.
That
miss on Saluka Fafita. Anyway.
Just these lapses of concentration. I don't know, like, are they tired? Are they training too hard? Not hard enough? I'm not sure. In saying that, what I liked about his performance is although he had that start, he still worked his absolute backside off. He got back into the game.
From after that drop ball and his tackle, I thought he was great. He just started pulling.
which I do really appreciate. I thought Hopgood tried his absolute heart out. But unfortunately, this is exactly what they needed, but they're just so far behind the 8 ball to start the season that, I don't know what else to say to really. Anyone else stand out for you boys?
Yeah, I thought Hawkins was okay at number 7. Thought his kicking game was pretty good.
Yep.
With limited kind of opportunities, but I thought he had a crack, and they lost this game, but I thought they looked a lot more, spirited than kind of their previous couple of performances.
Absolutely.
I know it was a bit scrappy, but it was definitely a big step up from the first 2 games where they got blown away by both teams.
The way I see their attack, and it was a little bit better this week than previous weeks. I had this written down last week, I want to touch on it, but they're so their attack is so deep and so slow. So when they go out the back line, it's just like going through the works and going through the motions, and everything is just so slow. I think when that happens, if you're winning the middle and you've got these devastating line runners and they're keeping the defence tight and doing all that, I think you can get away with it if you're a good team. Parramatta at the moment probably aren't quite that. Like we spoke about on last week's show with the Knights and Ponga and getting him to play flatter and faster, I think they need to change up that shape a little bit. You've got Iongi, who, despite being 0 from 3 Parramatta, he looks a potential star to me. I think he's been a shining light early on in the season for them. Even in this one, he had a really nice try assist, I think 22 runs.
I thought it was interesting they had Josh Papali'i on the bench.
18th man.
18th man. But just interesting that he's...
For sure.
But,
Dill Brown, one of the best ball-running 5'8" in the game, and it's all out the back. Get him playing flatter and faster. I also understand that the forward pack probably aren't getting a lot of momentum for him through the middle to lay that platform. But there are times where it does happen, and I just want to see him playing flatter and faster.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think do they really suit, even Iongi, he's a great ball runner with good hands, but his ball running is his asset. So what I don't get is, I don't understand why Eels aren't hitting, if they want to play deep, at some point you have to lift the tempo. So play deep, hit that hard line, then play flat foot footy. But they don't. I'm with you. They seem to just play deep and slow, all the time. So hopefully they can sort that out. Look, in their defence, they've had a lot of different edge back rowers, and that probably does mess with their timing a little bit. That takes a little bit of time to get. But a much better performance. Still a long ways to go. Alrighty. Manly defeat the Raiders 40-12.
Apologies, guys, as well. We're pretty short on time, so we'll get through this one.
No, we're actually going to spend a lot of time, a lot of concerns for Raiders. Manly defeat the Raiders. And this is a problem with Manly. It's in the big games, at least in season, they are ready and raring to go, and they put on absolute clinics. And then they go against teams that they should towel up, and they friggin' struggle. It is so strange. They were so much better than the Raiders. I will say, and I don't want to be too harsh at all, because it's not just one person, but very rarely does one person's performance have such a big impact. But unfortunately, Kayo Weeks, his back-to-back errors just snowballed. The Raiders had defended so well for so long, and I really felt, and look, he's had such a good back end of the year, such a good start to the year, but those errors really hurt his team, and they could just never recover from that. So he's got to sort that out quickly, because otherwise teams are just going to target him and keep coming at him.
Yeah, such promise for him coming into the year as well. And despite the first wins in the first 2 rounds, Kayo was okay, but it wasn't him probably impacting the results in either of them. And in this one, it just all went wrong for him, didn't it? Pressure under the high ball. He kicked out on the full at one point. Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, you know, as an outside back, and I know people put shit on it, like, oh, you're just a winger or you're just a back or whatever, but like your job is to repay the forwards for all the hard work, everything they put their body through, with making as little errors as possible in that situation. Like that's your job, because that's how you pay them back, by going, yep, I know catching the ball is really hard. Like a lot of these forwards couldn't do that. But this is how I repay you, because the problem, like the tough thing is the Raiders worked their arse off for 30 minutes defending their line, tackle after tackle after tackle after tackle. And then it took a fullback dropping the ball, and it's like they've done all this hard work. And I know he didn't mean to drop the ball, but unfortunately it lets him down. Unfortunately it does. And hopefully he'll be back next week.
Yeah, like not trying to sugarcoat the loss, because the Raiders were poor, but I am not as upset as probably a lot of others about this Raiders performance. Mate, granted a lot of it was self-inflicted. Everything that could go against us
literally
did
everything.
go against us.
Yeah, any 50-50 call.
Yeah.
I don't think the horse was 10 in the bin, if I'm being honest.
It was bonkers, and it was like, had we been blown out of the water from the first 20 minutes, I'd be like, okay, we didn't turn up and we weren't good enough. But we did. Like, everything went against us in that first 20.
Your defence was incredible.
Our
the first
goal line D was unbelievable. Mate, by the end of the game, they had 20 more sets than us. They had 34 minutes of time in possession. We had 18. Go check out Ricky Stewart's press conference if you want to talk about or have a listen to the penalty count and all that.
So the first 20 minutes, they had 24 play the balls inside the red zone, and they hadn't scored, compared to 2 play the balls to the Raiders.
And then, mate, there was one of the great sliding doors moments, because when this happens, you go, momentum has to swing at some point. It almost always does.
It just didn't.
We finally get an opportunity. Beautiful ball playing. Sebi Chris goes through, scores a try, gets taken off them after being awarded, and I was so unfortunate because technically, you know, it was caught the ball inside and it's probably the correct call, but what did annoy me about it was that DC made that defensive decision. He's good at hiding these ones, but I think he'd made it, but technically it's probably the right call.
Yeah, see, I look, if we're going to, because I felt like this year we were going to be a bit more play-by-play.
Yeah.
And I looked at that. He would have no bearing on that play. It was 2 players past him. I didn't agree with that call.
And
I think the reason why, though, is because he caught the ball on the inside of his shoulder and on the outside.
That's it. That's what I mean. Technically, it was inside.
I still not for it, though.
But that would have put us, after defending our line for the whole time, up 6-0, 4-0, whatever. Instead, penalty, big red, Corey Horsburgh gets sin-binned.
What do you think about the sin bin? I was like that didn't look intentional to me. They just looked like turn around reaction. You're going to get a 10 in the bin for that. I just don't know if the punishment fit the crime.
Yeah, felt a bit harsh.
It was a fucking super harsh.
I thought it was probably a sin bin, but I think it was very soft and could have gone either way. The reason being that, like, he was not even close to being square at where it was, and Tavanga probably dives over and scores. So
there were people around him, though, and it was there wasn't multiple penalties. It was a split-second decision. I don't know. I thought it was I can understand if, like, he's lying on the ground and he, like, reaches up, but he was like, yeah, I thought it was harsh.
Put it this way, I thought it could have gone either way, but I'm not filthy about it. But back to that point of that sliding doors moment, they scored 4 tries while he was off the field.
Yeah.
And the Raiders have to be better, all right? You lose a player, this happens, you can't afford to do it.
That 10 in the bin doesn't excuse Kayo Weeks dropping the ball multiple times. Fogarty, what was he thinking? Like, bro, just ground the ball.
Yeah.
Just ground the ball. So I'm not suggesting that Manly still wouldn't have won, because the Raiders, like, you know, they should have at least they should have at least stopped 2 of those tries.
And, so that being said, poor result. Raiders weren't good, but after a good start to the year, going up to Brookie, friggin' tough place to go, especially when they've had a loss. I thought there were some good signs, and it honestly, everything that could go against us did. So I'm not too disappointed.
Matty, what do you reckon, mate? 10 in the bin or what?
Yeah, I was happy with
10 in the bin.
I thought it was. I didn't think it was like fully 100%, but I was pretty happy with it. It does make it look worse that they did score 4 tries after. Oof. It was very critical, but yeah, I was happy with the sin bin.
if I'm I'd be disappointed, but I would take a lot out of that first 20, 30 minutes. They defended their absolute asses off against one of the best attacking teams in the comp.
Yep.
And so, I thought defensively, Sebastian Kris had a few misses as well on Ruben Garrick. At least one of them that was just a straight one-on-one miss, which was disappointing. He did fight back into it though, and he ended up scoring a try, didn't he, Sebastian Kris?
He did late in the game.
Yeah,
after having that early one taken off.
In regards to good performances from, I thought Hudson Young ripped and teared as much as he could. Just one of those days that just nothing went right. I thought Trey Mooney, when he came on, was bloody good. I thought he ripped and teared.
He ended up starting.
Did he?
Started at lock, yeah. It wasn't named to, but started at lock.
Matty Nicholson, the Pom, 44 tackles, none missed.
When did he come back on that second stint, though? He came back on in the second half, about 20 to go, did he? Could you check for us, please? Whatever it was, that second stint, and he had that offload for the try?
Played the first 20, went off, and then second stint was 23 minutes. I don't know what minute he
came on.
56.
But he was the one that offloaded for that try, though, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly.
I think, I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought his second stint, 4 offloads, there we go.
Yeah.
I thought he was bloody, especially in his second stint, I thought he was really good.
Yeah. No, he was, that's it. And, the forward depth we've got there. And
it's fucking mental.
No Joe Tarpany either. He'll come back in next week after 2 weeks out. Big booster.
Hammy, that's a great shout in regards to Matty Nicholson. 44 tackles, 0 misses on an edge.
He's been unbelievable first 2 games. He definitely found one there.
Well, his debut for us in round 2 was with ball in hand, attacking 2 tries. Then this was the defence, wasn't it?
Yep. Owen Paddy I thought was pretty good when he came on as well late in the game.
Great.
Tried to spark some stuff.
Yeah.
Tommy Starling, 40 tackles at halftime.
Fucking hell.
It was Josh Papali'i who threw the offload.
Oh, big Papa.
Oh, it's Papali'i.
Yep. Just had a look at the highlights.
I could have sworn there was one that he threw that helped for like a line break or
he
something.
He had 2 line break assists. He did at some point.
Yeah, okay, so he did do it at some point. So I thought I was wigging out then. I'm like, fuck. Because he was number 16, and I was like, remember that 16 jersey. Look, I mean, we could go. It's hard to go through the Raiders game and be like, this is what went wrong, this is what went wrong. I mean, what went wrong is too many penalties given away. Whether you agree with them or don't agree with them, I will say, I understand Ricky Steele was pissed off in the press conference, and I didn't want to say it last week because I know people would just go, oh, you're just biased Broncos fans. But they laid in the ruck all last week. In my opinion, they were holding down. And I've got no issue with that. That is a part of the game. And if you can get away with it, good on you. And I thought there was a master game plan. How do you beat a side like the Broncos? Slow the ruck down and get crazy line speed so that their forwards can't get a roll on. But I felt like it caught up to them a little bit in this game where they just got a different ref that wasn't going to allow it to happen. Do I agree with every penalty? Maybe not. However, I do think that they probably caught up with them a little bit, the tactics of... Because what suits the Raiders' game plan? It's a slow ruck so their big forwards can jam blokes. And I just felt it caught up to him a little bit in this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I've always been of the opinion that especially if it's your side and you sit there and bluff about penalty counts, there's definitely occasions where, you don't get the rub of the green from referees and it doesn't look to go your way, but...
Always comes back.
Mate, more often than not, I think if your team's on the wrong end of a lopsided penalty count, it's probably because you've been outplayed by the opposition and your forward pack have been dominated, so the other forward pack are rolling through the middle, which leads to... the 6 against and all that. So I don't entirely buy into, whether you agree with it or not in this game, it doesn't matter. But just because one team wins more penalties, it's probably because they were the better team and created these opportunities.
And also the Raiders completed at 67% completion rate. So it's and look, someone might say, oh, that's because they were so fatigued from all the tackling. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. But
not to say there aren't weeks where teams definitely get the rough end of the stick from a ref, but... I don't buy into as soon as there's a lopsided penalty count.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Yeah, I'm with you.
That's not correct.
This idea that we should end every game with an even penalty count, it's nonsense. Stupid. It's nonsense. Sometimes certain teams are more disciplined than other teams. Back in the day when, Melbourne Storm used to wrestle constantly, of course they're going to get more penalties. That's what they did. They were really good wrestlers. So I'm with you, mate. I never understood the thought process of if the penalty count isn't even, something wrong has happened. Yeah. It's well, maybe that's true. Maybe you did cop harsher calls, but also maybe your team was just more ill-disciplined. Yeah. And so in this game, just everything went wrong that could go from the Raiders. Okay, now on to Manly. I mean, it is so hard. Like, we could sit up here and be like, holy shit, Manly are unstoppable, and they did it without Tom Trbojevic. Like, they scored 40 points without Tom. They are premiership heavyweights. Let's go. They've beaten one of the N4 teams of the competition. The problem is they could go out and play friggin', I don't know, they could go out and play a side that's struggling right now and get beaten next week, and we're sitting here going, well, I don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. However, the positive out of this game is they're still the same old Manly from last year, where they seem to really get up for the big games. The other positive is that they scored 40 points without Tom Trbojevic. Like, that's a big win for them.
Well, it's what we said pre-season, wasn't it? It was that this year you just didn't feel like there was going to be the reliance on him where they need him. First hit out without Tom Trbojevic, they put 40 on the Raiders, who are 2 from 2.
Yeah, which is like that is the biggest takeaway, and it's not to suggest that like we don't want Tommy Turbo, killing it back in the side. It's more just from a Manly perspective, looking at it going, mate, 40 points. I'm just trying to find where is.
And the other thing, mate, like a big part of that was because we're like, all right, they'll have Lehigh Hopewade, who can go to fullback and he's a gun. Lehigh didn't do that much in this game. Like, he was solid. He was great under the high ball, but it's like the points weren't coming through him, so it's like it was still without a fullback destroying. So you got Lehigh, he ran for 153 metres. He had 2 tackle breaks. He actually had a couple errors too. He got dragged out once as well. So he didn't. It's not like he killed it. So, yep, you can look at the 40 points. You can look at the win over the Raiders. But in my opinion, the biggest takeaway is without Tom Trbojevic, they look red hot. Granted, they're a much better side with Tommy there. But when was the last time you looked at a Manly side and they look red hot without Tommy? Like, a very long time. Yeah. Very long time. So it's a massive, massive takeaway. We've got to speak about him. But Ola Kawatu, holy shit. Like, 227 metres, 88 post contact, 7 tackle breaks, a line break. Like, you'd have to assume Angus Crichton and Liam Martin get the first crack at that edge, but if he's, I think you just got to find a spot for him on the bench. Surely Hamola Olakwatu in the Origin side. Absolutely,
just find a spot for him.
25 minutes, half an hour of chaos.
Just absolute chaos.
10 minutes before half time.
Oh,
yeah,
middle edge, whatever.
Yeah,
like if you wanted to play. Like, you probably just bring him on through the middle and say rip and tear. But look, if he is a specialist edge, you either give Liam Martin a spell or you shift Martin or Crichton into the middle for 20 minutes and play Ola on the edge, and then you base your attack around him, because he looks as good as he's ever looked.
Oh, keep in mind, Cam Murray's out, so Isaiah is probably going to go back to lock, so that does open up a bench spot.
He'll be there.
I wonder whether May gets that bench spot, though, as a out and out front rower, because Isaiah Yeo is essentially a front rower when he plays Origin, usually with Murray there. However, I think he will get a bench spot.
Well, put it this way, if he keeps up this form,
surely
he will be,
because he is frigging unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
You think of, like, best way of picking a team, what do the opposition not want us to do?
Yeah.
And they're sitting there going, do not pick Olakwatu.
Yeah.
In saying that, Billy Slade's probably sitting there, no, he does this,
he's got like, I got all this
pick
video.
him, I've got him covered.
Yeah. But I think he's gone to another level. I think even from last year, I think he's gone to another level. He just knows, that he is bigger, stronger, faster, and you can't contain him.
Imagine, I can't remember if I said this a week or two ago, but imagine being the half going into the game, opposing him, just going, I have to tackle that.
Like, what do you do? Do you just try and get up real fast and beat him with line speed and hope? But he's got good footwork and an offload.
You wear 2 pairs of bloke undies, you close your eyes, and you pray that you can get the
3 or 4 pairs, I think would be
three or 4. You'd be comfy.
Yeah, you would be.
Yeah.
Mate, you'd be super comfy. That poo in your pants would also not go anywhere.
Yeah, nowhere to go. Nice and firm and tight, you know.
2 pairs, it's not going nowhere.
No.
Bully Moore, I thought, had an outstanding game.
He's just, his last 12 months been so good.
Yep. He's becoming like a crucial part of that forward pack.
He is. Yeah, there's a bit of chat about, because was he off contract or something like that? Not so long ago?
I think so, and he extended maybe
Good.
1 year.
Great extension, because, he's just really rounds out their forward pack nicely. Got a bit of a knack of just finding the try line as well. Obviously got the double on the weekend, but he's one of those front rowers who's got a meat pie in.
Scoring a double within a few minutes off kick chasers as a front rower, a coach must just be sitting there going, like, I love you.
Yeah. and what's crazy is, like, he still ran for 154 metres with ball in hand. Those tries didn't count towards, they were like 5 metres.
Yeah.
So, like, even without those 2 tries, he still ran for 150 metres.
Yep.
What have we been saying with the Manly Seagulls is the problem is Paseka's gone down with an Achilles rupture. Huge loss. If there is one thing that could turn the season, it's losing Paseka, unfortunately for them, because they genuinely, unless they would decide to move Homole into the front row, which I don't think they will, they do not have a replacement for Paseka.
Takiaho has the potential to be the most important signing this season because now that they've lost him, like Manly at their best can win a comp, but they can't afford to lose any more middles. Takiaho, they wouldn't have got him on a lot of money, I don't reckon.
I just don't think he has the size anymore. In his prime, 100%. But at this age, I'm just not sure whether
he doesn't need to be a well beatable. Like he had 17 runs for 140 metres on the weekend, and I'm not saying he will, he wouldn't, but he's probably the one who needs to step up. Like Toa Sipley, he needs to take his game up another level as well. Again, I'm not talking making the 4 or making the 8. I'm talking if Manly can win the comp, which I think they can. Oh shit, he's a big out for him.
He's such a big out. It's like Broncos losing Haas. It's like Sharks losing AFB. Like that's how important Paseka is to him. He is their big body that just bends the line. And the worry I have with Takiaho, he's actually not that big of a body compared to Paseka, and he plays very different. Good footwork, just tough.
What's wrong with Nathan Brown? Well, he's obviously injured. Like he didn't play cup on the weekend.
Not sure.
Different body.
Different bodies.
But Brown is still to come in, so that helps. But yeah. Ugh.
Another quick shout out. I thought Ben Travojevic has been really consistent to start the year. 20 tackles, 0 misses, 158 metres. Last year he started the season world on fire, like killing it, and he just fell off. And as rookies do, it's normal. Super consistent at the moment, which is good to see, just getting through his work.
Yeah, for sure.
DCE, the fact that this guy is still going around like this is actually crazy. We've already spoken about Ruben Garrick earlier in the piece, guys. If you want to check out Ruben Garrick, go back to Hungriest Player. Really good win for a really bloody good win. Alloy had, all their forwards. That's what was so impressive. I felt like their forwards were just dominant against a team known for their forward pack being dominant. So that's a really good win for the. Have a look at this. Take Paseka out. Tokiaho 140 metres. Olakawatu 227. Ben Travojevic 158, Ethan Buddymore 154, Josh Aloiai 128. That's bloody good for a forwards. Yep. Bloody good. So, awesome win. Congratulations, Manly. Let's see how they go next week. Now it's time for a bit of Face of Music brought to you by our friends over at Sportsbet.
All right, let's get into it. So, the first game on Thursday night, it's the Rabbitohs, $3.82 up against the Panthers, $1.27. The line is 11.5 points. Probably no Nathan Cleary, no Dill Brown as well. Dill Edwards. What are we thinking for this game?
I am going to go... Oh, man. I am going to go... I'm just going to go Panthers head-to-head. There's not enough. There's only 50 cents in the 13 plus. Panthers head-to-head.
$1.27.
Well, you only get 50 cents for fucking... You only get 50 cents for 13 plus.
No.
No, you get $1.99. You get $2. You get another 73 cents.
Yeah.
72 cents.
Yeah, that's right. Is it worth risking for 70 cents?
It's your bet, mate.
That's my point I'm trying to make. You only get an extra 70 cents and you risk you're opening a can of worms.
Okay. So you reckon, okay, all right.
You do you, mate.
Yep.
Don't listen to us.
For 70 cents, nothing.
You're coming last. You do you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy.
I think I'm ahead of you by about 4 cents. And as I go a more higher odds one, you'll also jump me as you do it. So, I'm going to go with Panthers to cover.
Yep.
I'll go opposite of Timmy. South with the
South
start.
with the plus 11.5. I think Panthers minus 11.5. I think I like what they saw. They hung in there with a red hot Melbourne team the other day, even without those key players. So I reckon they can still cater for Souths pretty easily there. Next game, Shooks. $1.54. I've got the Titans, $2.49. Maybe a bit of value around the Titans, given how they played last week. The line in this game is 4.5 points.
Yeah, I'm going Titans head-to-head.
Yep.
Yeah, Titans head-to-head as well.
I'll give Titans the 4-point start, please.
Yep. I'm going to take Titans head-to-head as well. I thought they looked pretty good last week. Roosters, I don't know, still need a bit of convincing. I think that game against the Panthers was a bit of a flash in the pan the other week. And at the price, I like the Titans. Second Friday game, Dolphins $4.75 host the Broncos $1.19. The line in this one is 14.5 points.
They've got that line bang on the bookies, I reckon.
They have.
Jeez, that's hard.
Makes you think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. I'll go Broncos 13 plus.
Broncos 13 plus.
I'm going to give Dolphins the 14.5.
Okay, I'm going to go Broncos 13 plus as well. I reckon the Dolphins, they are struggling. If both sides play how they played last week, Broncos will clean them up easy.
Dolphins will get up for this derby for sure.
Yeah, I think they'll get up, but I just think the Broncos would have found confidence from last week in round one.
Yep.
And I just think that I can't see Michael Maguire allowing them to play like they did against Canberra again for a little bit.
Yep. Broncos 13 plus will get me $1.73. Saturday, Super Saturday. Dragons $2.78 host the Storm $1.44. The line is 7.5 points in this one. Last time they met, Sir George won down at Amy Park.
Melbourne 13 plus.
That'll get you $2.45.
Melbourne to cover.
Few injuries in Melbourne. I'm going to go Dragons plus 7.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go Melbourne minus 7.5. There are a couple of injuries. I still think they're good enough to do it. I haven't seen anything from the Dragons yet to win a game this year, and I don't know.
A couple of injuries, but they've still got their key. You got Munster,
Jerome Hughes out.
Pappy,
Probably out,
Grant. Still got a bloody good spine to be working with.
Yeah. It was interesting, though. Who will it be? Pezzett, you reckon, coming in at number 7?
Yeah, probably Pezzett. Or Wishart, maybe.
Wishy.
Wishy?
Yeah, Wishart,
Leaves him
maybe.
a bit light on the wing.
Is Pez's still out, isn't he?
Yes.
That ACL?
Yeah. See, I reckon go Wishy, but man, if you've got a spine still of Pappy, Munster, Grant, and Stefano, and Nelson's, is he all good? Nelson good to play?
I think so.
I wish we had the teams in front of us. And so Nelson will be looking to bounce back. I reckon Storm 13 plus.
All right, nice one. Then we've got the Cowboys, $1.92. Raiders, $1.92 as well. It's Pickham up in North Queensland. What are we thinking for this game?
I am going to go... I'm going big, baby. I'm going... actually better not. It's going to be a bit heavy something. I'm going to... What's the line? Oh, no.
Half a point. It's not really worth.
Oh, geez, this isn't worth much. I'll just go... Raiders 1-12.
I will go Raiders 1-12 also.
I will go Raiders 13 plus.
That'll get you $4. I think I'm going Raiders 1-12 as well, $3.10. I don't think Ricky will put up with the way that they went about it on the weekend. They'll get a big bake, and I reckon they'll be better next week. All right, Sharkies, $1.26 against the the Dogs, $3.90.
Wow.
11.5 is the point, is the line in this one. Both teams coming off good wins.
I'm going Doggies with a start.
Yep.
Doggies with the start.
Doggies with a start.
Yeah, I reckon you're right. I think I'm going to copy you guys. Doggies with the start, plus 11.5. This will be a close one, whichever way it goes, but I reckon they can keep it within that margin. Manly, $1.16 host the Eels, $5.30. 16.5 is the line in this one. It's at 4 Pines on Sunday.
Wow, yuck. I'll just go... I'll go Paris 16.5.
Yep.
And the reason I'll do that is just, that's a 16.5. That's a lot of points. It's paying $1.92. Sorry, $1.82, which is more than the $1.16 for Manly. So I'm just looking at, a bit of value there. That's why I'm going at.
I'm going Manly with giving away the 16.5. I think they're going to spank them.
Really?
Yeah.
I will go Manly, but 13 plus.
Okay, $1.59. I'm going Para plus 16.5 as well. I thought they looked a lot better last week.
Yep.
If they can replicate that, I don't think they win. But
And also Manly notoriously up
and down, exactly. So this should be a down week. Last game, Tigers, $1.62.
Juicy value here for the Warriors.
Come on, mate. Warriors, $2.30. It's out of the ninth, wonder of the world. Line is 2.5 points.
Mate, I'm going value, baby. Warriors 13 plus.
Yeah.
5.25. I'm going for a swing, boys. Going for a swing.
$5.25.
Warriors 13 plus. Up the wires. Give it to them.
Well done, mate. First bet that's more than $1 or something.
Don't get upset,
excited.
mate. Hey, I'm betting with me head, not me heart. All right, so don't take offence. I'm just trying to bet with me head here.
Yeah, I think you need an HIA if you bet with your head on that one.
I feel crook saying it, but Hammy, you're starting to convince me a little bit that something's going on there. So I'll go the Tigers, giving away that 2.5.
What a dumb bet.
Anyone from HR on this?
Yeah.
What a dumb bet.
Imagine copping stick from the bloke coming last.
Yeah, I know.
I'll just go Tigers head to head.
That's also a dumb bet.
Tigers minus 2.5. That's the easiest minus. Easiest minus 2.5.
You
I've
go on
seen.
minus a 2.5.
Yeah, to win by more
Bunch
than
of cowards.
to win by 3 or more.
Bunch of absolute cowards. There's only one having a dig here, and it's me. You blokes play, $1.20 bets. Give me a break.
I can barely hear him from that low on the ladder here.
Kemby could go 8 from 8 this week and still be last.
Mate, you don't win
Those $10s,
premierships,
mate.
Yeah.
You don't win premierships in March. You get ahead of yourself, don't you, boys? I'm Mr. Consistent here, all right? I'm Mr.
We
Consistent
have been
here.
so far consistently last. So.
Alrighty, that is Face the Music, brought to you by our friends over at Sportsbet. Give us a follow on the feed. Make sure to join the Bloke Club at www.bloke.club. Grab some Grumpy Coffee. We've got some huge new content coming soon with Grumpy Coffee. Make sure to give Timmy a follow, give Hammy a follow.
Yeah, Tigers fans who don't just want to hear me get bullied every time I mention the Tigers. Win, learn or draw. That's the podcast you want to head to.
Yep.
Ep 4 coming today. It's going to be a big one. Back-to-back wins.
We've also got Kempy, obviously the regular footy stuff, but the Cricket's Playbook podcast, been doing some good numbers, and basically now that they're filmed out of Bloke Studio as well for following this one, so big night ahead. But now that the summer of cricket's over and done with, the IPL's starting, the county season, building towards World Test Championship. So sitting here talking about a bit of cricket, randos on that one as well, so check that out.
Get amongst it. As usual. We will go and fuck ourselves. Thank you.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.